Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the movie of What If Naruto Became a Badass Shinobi by Training Under Toad. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Push comes to shove part 1. Damn it Brett, how many times do I have to tell you this? The basics need to be learned first before I teach you anything. Exclaimed Jiraiya to Naruto currently glaring at him. Basics. The basics you want me to learn, I did already. Besides, they involve someone with genin level chakra. I have more chakra in my body than most Kages. And that's without Kyuubi in my gut, countered Naruto with Jiraiya waving him off. Excuses. You produce more excuses from your mouth than you do shadow clones. Besides, the Kyuubi's power is more important to learn at this point. Something you have been failing to do, said Jiraiya while looking at Naruto with what could only be described as disappointment. I have been trying. It fucking hurts. We have been at this for a year and half a Rosenin. And all you have done is tell me to draw on the fox's power. You don't say how. You just bark out a command and expect me to do it. I'm not some commie damn pet, exclaimed Naruto with Jiraiya scowling further. So what if it hurts? It's called pain. Get used to it. You think Orochimaru is out there in one of his bases coddling Sasuke right now? No, he's putting him through the ringer to get him to become the strongest host possible to take over in another year and a half from now, said Jiraiya with Naruto's eyes narrowing. At least Orochimaru is teaching Sasuke. What do you do all day? Keep on women, drink yourself stupid at bars, and going to brothels to fuck some woman with more STDs than a Shinobi village has Shinobi. And with my money no less you fucking leech, countered Naruto with Jiraiya now looking increasingly angry at the accusation. Even if it was true, how I spend my day when I'm not teaching a worthless student like you is my business, brat. Besides, consider you paying for my leisure time the cost of learning under such a great Shinobi like me, Jiraiya shot back smugly. You were supposed to teach and train me to be a strong Shinobi. You haven't done any of that since we started. How are you going to explain this to Granny when we get back in the next year and a half? Challenged Naruto while Jiraiya shrugged. I'll tell her what I feel is true. You suck as an apprentice and it was a waste of time in the 3 years out of the village to train you. Which so far, I have been proven right about, declared Jiraiya while Naruto growled. It is called you putting effort into training your student, you lazy son of a bitch. Not give said student complex material he can't understand all to run off to peep on women just to write your fucking smut, exclaimed Naruto with Jiraiya getting increasingly angry. It's called learn by doing, brat. I'm not going to hold your hand every single day. I'm not going to be around to help you learn this. You want to be strong, stronger than Sasuke in the next year and a half. It's called doing it yourself. It's called stop being a failure and to stop being a fucking baby when things don't go your way. Jiraiya shot back at the boy while Naruto looked livid at his words. You don't do anything. How the Yondaime Hokage learned from you is a miracle right now. Hell, he'd probably still be alive right now if Orochimaru had been his sensei all those years ago, exclaimed Naruto while Jiraiya's eyes widened before they narrowed in anger and saw red. And in that moment, Jiraiya stuck Naruto hard. And he didn't stop. He kept hitting Naruto again and again and again while giving the boy zero time to counter, block, or say anything to make Jiraiya stop. You little brat, how dare you say that to me? I trained the greatest Hokage to ever take the mantle since the Showdown himself. And you insult my legacy by saying he would have been better off with Orochimaru as his sensei, questioned Jiraiya while he stared down at the barely breathing and bloody Naruto looking up at him with blood in his eyes. Angry defiant blue eyes that said you fucking bet I do, which only angered Jiraiya even more. You are a failure for a student. A mistake. When this is over, I'm requesting you be put into the Shinobi reserves and confined into the village. With my words against yours, I know Tsunade will side with me on this. So enjoy your time outside of Konoha, brat. This will most likely be the last time you have it. And before you think of running out on me for other places, don't forget the Akatsuki is after to you. I'm the only protection you have right now against them. And even without them being a factor, I would track you down myself to bring back to Konoha to be imprisoned for desertion, said Jiraiya seriously before giving the brat one more final kick to the body. The Sannin stomped off to enjoy his vices and forget Naruto's words. And the image of Minato frowning at him or Kushina's pissed off expression at what he just did to their son. He needed a hot woman to sleep with and a hard drink to make them go away. It would be hours before the fox healed Naruto's physical injuries, but the mental ones still remained deep within. Naruto hated Jiraiya right now. Hated the Sannin's words of being a failure, his threats, his recommendation he would bring to Tsunade to have him in the genin reserves. It was an insult, a humiliating insult to any shinobi put there. No self-respecting shinobi worth their reputation would be caught dead there. They did so little and were so weak. Their skill level was the middle area between academy student and genin. Naruto vowed not to be so weak. He needed to get stronger to the point where all the past Hokages combined were weak, sickly children compared to him. To get so strong that even Uchiha fucking Madara himself would have pissed his fucking pants if they ever crossed paths in life in a hypothetical situation. But how to do it? Leave. Jiraiya would track him down before he got out of the country they were in right now. Besides, the Sannin's words about the Akatsuki were true. They could get him too if Naruto wasn't careful. He needed a place to train, to learn from competent teachers, and above all else grow stronger. There is a way, said Kyuubi while Naruto found himself in his mind to see the fox. And that would be? Asked Naruto with skepticism in his voice. The toads. Reverse summon yourself to their mountain. Tell them what Jiraiya said to you, advised Kyuubi with Naruto looking unsure. Won't they side with Jiraiya in his actions? Sell me out to him, asked Naruto with the fox shaking his head. While the fool is their primary summoner, they do not answer to him. Despite what he may say to the contrary, it is quite the opposite. His actions shame him as well as them, but the difference is the fool doesn't care about it. The man is blind to the lives of those around him and their feelings. Whether they are friend or foe, it doesn't matter. You know this intimately with the way the fool has treated you all this time, said Kyuubi with Naruto nodding since the fox saw his memories of his time with the Sannin and was not impressed. So I go to the toads, tell them what Jiraiya has been doing, what he said, and ultimately ask them for training. All the while hoping they agree with me and not him. Why doesn't it sound so simple, even when I say it? Asked Naruto with Kyuubi smirking. Because it's not. While I am confident they will side with you, they still have to keep the fool out of reach of your person. They would need a reason to keep him away from the mountain and keep you there at the same time. All without him knowing you are on the mountain. Add to the fact, if you are missing for a long enough time, Jiraiya will report to your new Hokage, and this will no doubt cause problems for her when word gets out of your sudden disappearance, said Kyuubi with Naruto frowning for a brief moment. Not my problem, said Naruto with Kyuubi looking surprised. Really, I'm surprised you would be so cold to the woman on this. If you don't mind me asking, why? Questioned Kyuubi with Naruto frowning. Because she is family, answered Naruto with Kyuubi frowning. You lost me, remarked Kyuubi. She is from the Senju clan. From what I saw in a beaten-up textbook thrown in the trash once, the Senju clan is related to the Uzumaki clan. We're cousin clans. Even Granny's own grandmother was in Uzumaki, said Naruto with Kyuubi narrowing its eyes at the remembrance of Mito and how she locked him away until his anger was no longer there. But what did she know? She sealed him away and never looked back. Why wouldn't he be bitter after being sealed within the woman? And all for fighting against his will. Not to mention being sealed into Mito's successor, followed by being chained and crucified to a small moon. Used by an Uchiha again and finally sealed once more into another host to be used for his power without permission. The Biju had little doubt the woman would be so calm and understanding if she had to go through what he did. So you are going to spite them both. One for neglect in being a proper sensei and the other for being a neglectful distant cousin, commented Kyuubi with Naruto nodding. Don't you agree? She went on and on about losing her brother and lover, as if it was the end of the world. But the moment she hears my name, she doesn't bat an eye, exclaimed Naruto with Kyuubi thinking it over and surprised the boy by agreeing with him. You do have a point. Both your clans are related at some point and I do know that the first Hokage married Mito all those years ago, meaning your new Hokage is part Uzumaki to a certain degree. Something she has either clearly forgotten or no longer cares about, said Kyuubi with Naruto nodded. All the more reason to make her remember, said Naruto with Kyuubi smirking. And to think, I wanted to rip you to pieces and devour your remains while picking your bones out of my teeth, remarked Kyuubi with Naruto glaring. Just try it. I'll give you indigestion for the next 1,000 years, threatened Naruto before he vanished from his mind. Given who your mother is, I do believe it, remarked Kyuubi with a sigh knowing the boy's mother was exact same way in terms of personality. The fox knew that all the boy needed was the right push, the right shove, and maybe even a good punch to the face to send him the right direction. His mother was the same way in many aspects from what he recalled of her when learning how to do things. In the end, it resulted in a super-powered Uzumaki with the skills to punch you through 5 buildings, 8 fences, and 2 windows. The Biju would know since he remembered how Kushina did that to Jiraiya once when he mumbled she was getting fat when pregnant with Naruto. It set a new record on how far a woman could hit Jiraiya with super strength, one that Tsunade had not been able to break. What do you mean Naruto is gone, Jiraiya? Asked Tsunade in an angry seething tone that spelled doom for her teammate depending on his next choice of words. I mean he's gone. Vanished. Taken away. Exclaimed Jiraiya while seeing Tsunade looking even angrier. Explain, commanded Tsunade with Jiraiya fidgeting a bit. Okay, it all started a few months ago. The brat and I got into argument about stuff one day. Things were said. Words were spoken. Most of it his fault by the way, explained Jiraiya while Tsunade smashed her fist on the desk. Jiraiya, focus. What happened? Commanded Tsunade while Jiraiya began to sweat more. Well, after I left to vent my frustrations elsewhere, I came back to our campsite, but when I did, he was not there, replied Jiraiya while Tsunade didn't look pleased. And you didn't become concerned something might have happened to him when you weren't around. Because, asked Tsunade while Jiraiya wouldn't look her in the eyes. Because I didn't expect him to leave the campsite for various reasons, said Jiraiya with Tsunade's killer intent rising. What were the various reasons, Jiraiya? Demanded Tsunade while Jiraiya nervously let out chuckle. Funny thing, I might have mentioned the Akatsuki threatening to hunt him down to bring back to Konoha to be made a reserve genin if he tried to run, and I also might have violently lashed out at him for saying something hurtful, said Jiraiya before he let out a whimper when Tsunade rose from her chair and looked absolutely murderous. First off, who or what gives you the authority to threaten Naruto and saying I would be placing him into the genin reserves? Second, why in the name of all that good and true in this world did you beat him so badly that he would consider leaving your so-called protection in the first place? Demanded Tsunade, knowing only she had that power and only if the boy was extremely weak without showing any promise at all. His fight with Kabuto when recruiting her to be Hokage showed Tsunade that Naruto had a mountain load of potential. It wasn't my fault. The brat actually had the nerve to say Minato would have been better off learning under Orochimaru of all people over me. That Minato had a greater chance of being alive had Orochimaru been his sensei and not me. As far as I am concerned, the brat deserved his beating. As for making him a reserve genin, I figured after I gave my official report on him being a failure and learning under me it would happen. Defended Jiraiya while Tsunade was showing incredible willpower to not slug him in the face. And what did you do or say that resulted in him saying such things? And what made you think your recommendation alone would merit him being placed in the genin reserves? Asked Tsunade with Jiraiya frowning and looking away. I didn't do anything. It was the brat. I mean, all he did was doing on this trip is complain and whine about his training, said Jiraiya while Tsunade narrowed her eyes further. And what did you train him in exactly? Asked Tsunade curiously. Well this and that. Focusing on drawing on Kyuubi's chakra. And stuff, explained Jiraiya weakly while Tsunade marched right up to him and looked the man dead in the eyes. Be specific, Jiraiya. What stuff did you teach him? Demanded Tsunade while Jiraiya slowly took several steps back. Basics. The kid needed to know basics, so I tried teaching it to him. He was failing at it and quite miserably too. I mean, how could a genin not handle the genin-based chakra control training I gave him is beyond me, said Jiraiya while Tsunade's eyebrow was now twitching violently. Jiraiya, do you hear yourself when you talk? Much less think. You just said you were training Naruto as if he had genin-level reserves. Exercises meant for genin with genin-level chakra or slightly higher, said Tsunade slowly like she was talking to someone not all there in the head. Yes so? Asked Jiraiya in confusion. This is Naruto we are talking about. Not Kiba, not Shikamaru, not Sakura, not even that prick of an Uchiha. We are talking about Naruto, the boy whose chakra levels are up there with that of a cage. How the fuck is he supposed to do genin exercises with the amount of chakra running through his body? Demanded Tsunade with Jiraiya looking like a light bulb went on his head. Oh, well when you put like that. Shit, said Jiraiya while feeling slightly guilty and stupid right now. What else have you done, Jiraiya? Demanded Tsunade since she knew there was more the fool wasn't telling her. Well, we did focus on trying to draw out the Kyuubi's chakra, but the boy complained the whole time. Saying it hurts, I am in pain, and my body feels like it's being pulled apart like a whiny baby, said Jiraiya before Tsunade quickly grabbing him by his shirt and brought him closer to the point where their heads nearly touched. That's because the fox was fighting the seal, you nitwit. Did you really expect the Biju would let Naruto take its power by force? Questioned Tsunade angrily. Well yeah. What, the seal doesn't allow for Naruto force the fox into submission and takes its power for himself? Asked Jiraiya with Tsunade letting out a noise like she was dealing with a complete moron and wanted to cry over how stupid he was being. No you dumb shit. Had you gone over the notes Minato left behind, you would know that was not the purpose of the seal. And the fact you didn't even notice this or examine the seal yourself proves just how much of an idiot you really are. Even worse, aren't you supposed to be a seal master? What possessed you to do things in such a reckless manner? Why not research how the Jinchuriki and Iwa or Kumo drew on the power of the Biju before trying anything of that magnitude? Asked Tsunade while Jiraiya looked nervous. Come on Tsunade, I didn't have time for it. 3 years goes by pretty fast. I had to wing it. Besides, the brat should have just took the pain. So what if it hurt? We all have to go through receiving pain to get stronger, said Jiraiya before he was thrown against the wall. You baka, don't you realize that your method of training was putting his health at risk? Do you even care about him at all? Asked Tsunade while she stomped over to him. Truthfully, no, I don't, said Jiraiya seriously, which made Tsunade stop dead in her tracks. What? Why, he's Minato's son, exclaimed Tsunade while Jiraiya grimaced. Naruto may be my late student's child, but the kid has none of the talent. Even if my way of teaching him was off in some manner, the potential should have shown itself easily, remarked Jiraiya bitterly since he was hoping to get another easy prodigy for a student. Perhaps your way of training him was wrong. Or perhaps it was the lack of training, said Tsunade in an accusing tone. You think I would do that? Asked Jiraiya while mentally sweating since he had and did without fear of being caught. I know you, Jiraiya. For years, even if we haven't seen each other for over a decade, I know how you think. You care more about peeping on women than training a student to reach his full potential. You did it with your first and only genin team, you did it with Minato, and you did it again with Naruto, said Tsunade while Jiraiya scowled at her words. There was nothing wrong with my training of the fourth, Jiraiya shot back angrily. Oh no, I saw your training method once with Minato. You literally dumped all sorts of material into his lap, told him to study it, and left to peep on women at the hot springs for the next few hours. With each new thing he learned, you copied off of, and played it off as if his ability to learn so well was thanks to your so-called teachings. You were in our elites, Jiraiya. Everything that Minato learned, you sucked up afterwards, and made it appear to everyone who would remotely believe you that what he learned was taught by your perverted ass, said Tsunade while Jiraiya scowled. So, if it worked for Minato, it should have worked for his brat. But he has none of the potential. Always making excuses about how his teachers at the academy sabotaged him, how Haddock didn't teach him anything, and how I spend more time peeping on women instead of training him, remarked Jiraiya before he went pale in the face and saw the angry look Tsunade was giving him. So you were neglecting his training. You did the same thing you did with Minato. You gave him complex things to learn and left Naruto to his own devices, accused Tsunade with Jiraiya scowling again. I wasn't going to hold his hand, Tsunade. All the brat needed to do was grow up and put effort into his training like Minato did, said Jiraiya while Tsunade shook her head. You really are blind, Jiraiya. You look at Naruto and see a miniature Minato. You expect another prodigy where you put in minimal effort into the training the student. Let them do all the work knowing they will advance at it and you reap the rewards. Have you no shame? Tsunade shot back. No, don't you get it, Tsunade? Shame is for the weak. I have none. Why do you think I peep on women without fear of being beaten up by them? Why do I go to brothels? Why do I go on boasting that I am a super pervert? Asked Jiraiya while Tsunade walked back to her desk and scowled further. Shame allows us to keep our morals, Jiraiya. While we are shinobi and ninja with blood on our hands, I would like to think we can hold on to something close to a personal and we do not cross, said Tsunade with Jiraiya waving her words off. You are starting to sound like the brat. It was bad enough he complained and spewed excuses for his inability to do half the material I placed in his lap, remarked Jiraiya with Tsunade narrowed her eyes at him. And what if I told you those so-called excuses were true? Asked Tsunade before she brought out a massive folder containing Naruto's academic records. What is this? Asked Jiraiya curiously. Read, and see your failure for a student wasn't always a failure. He was actually very smart. Prodigy smart, said Tsunade while she saw Jiraiya reading some papers in front of him. This is when he first started the academy. Asked Jiraiya with Tsunade nodding. Yes, Naruto tried so hard to prove how smart he was at first to everyone. From the first few pages, you can tell Minato's brilliance was strong in him early on at the academy, said Tsunade while Jiraiya frowned. What happened? His grades show they are declining over the years, remarked Jiraiya while skimming through the papers. What do you think happened, you dumb shit? Beatings from the villagers when word got out he was actually smart. Blows to the head and the brain regenerating the way it did thanks to the Biju in him caused his brain to shift in terms of thinking. Not to mention the teachers at the academy were sabotaging him, placing him in spars with children who were told to go all out on him and beat him bloody. When the children didn't do that, it was the academy instructors. One of those bakas nearly took one of his eye out by an accidental throw of a shuriken during a practice session. Not to mention no one was around to teach Naruto anything proper. In short, this village poisoned the poor boy's brain and caused it to go from brilliant to stupid by the time he was 10 years old. Had you been in the Gaki's life, you would know this and had a chance to stop it from ever happening, said Tsunade, though she was just as guilty considering the brat was family on her grandmother's side. Why didn't Sensei correct this? Asked Jiraiya with Tsunade sighing. Because he feared Naruto's brilliance. He feared Naruto becoming the next Orochimaru, or the next Itachi. The only real difference being Naruto possibly finding a way to actually use Kyuubi's Charka, but on Konoha for all the years of abuse this village put him through. So Sensei let it slide. He would rather have Naruto be a dumb Jinchuriki capable of fighting for the village over a smart one possibly going rogue and unleashing his well-deserved anger on Konoha, said Tsunade while Jiraiya sighed. It's no wonder he ran. My beating made things worse, said Jiraiya while Tsunade glared at him. You shouldn't have beaten him at all. I don't care what he said to you, Jiraiya. The fact is, you most likely deserved it. Honestly, throwing him into a ravine to force him to call on the fox's chakra. What possessed you to put him in an almost guaranteed death sentence like that? Demanded Tsunade with Jiraiya sighed again. I was frustrated, all right. At the time, I wanted him out of my hair. I only trained the brat because I thought he would fail and I could go back to my research. But he kept on pestering me and his summoning of the toads wasn't getting anywhere. So I figured that a life or death situation would be the perfect way for Naruto to unlock the Biju's power, said Jiraiya while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at him. And what if he died? What if he didn't unlock its power, Jiraiya? Asked Tsunade with Jiraiya shrugging heartlessly. Then he died. It wouldn't have hurt anyone. The half Minato sealed into Naruto can't come back without the other half sealed in the Shinigami's belly while tied to my late student's soul. When the brat died from the fall, the fox would stay dead, and no one in the village would shed a tear. Everyone wins, said Jiraiya heartlessly. You are being quite cold to your student's only son, remarked Tsunade while Jiraiya waved off her words and ignored the growing killer intent coming off the woman. What? I'm supposed to go all happy in the face at the mention of Minato's son. I don't coddle kids, Tsunade. It doesn't matter who they are or where they come from. I only care about results. If Minato's brat can't produce them for whatever reasons, whether they are real or made up, then the kid can die in a ditch for all I care. Provided the Akatsuki don't get to him first to extract the Kyuubi, said Jiraiya while Tsunade finally lost it and threw a paperweight at him, which he barely dodged. Get out and don't come back, Jiraiya. Get out of Konoha. Don't stop to peep on women. No stops at the red light district. Get the fuck out of the village. Right fucking now, exclaimed a very pissed off Tsunade and looked ready to throw her desk at him. And with her super strength, she damn well could. What? You're banishing me from Konoha? Asked Jiraiya while Tsunade stomped over to him. No, you are going on a mission. S-ranked, but 0 pay since you can afford to do it for free, said Tsunade with an evil look in her eyes. What? S-ranked and 0 pay? Questioned Jiraiya with Tsunade nodding. Yes, you are going to find Naruto. You will find him, but you will not bring him back. No, whatever he's doing, it's meant to get stronger. When you find him, I want you to get on your hands and knees, Jiraiya. Get on your hands and knees and beg for his forgiveness for your actions, said Tsunade with Jiraiya looking livid. What? Beg him for forgiveness? Have you lost your mind? Asked Jiraiya before Tsunade grabbed him by the throat and slammed him into the nearest wall. You will do this, Jiraiya. You have wronged him on multiple levels, both professionally and personally. Did you think I wouldn't keep track of your movements when I agreed to let Naruto travel with you? I had a slug summons watching your every move, every single action, every horrible thing you ever did when traveling. I know all about how you are spending Naruto's money on your vices. I know how you haven't been training him to fight off the Akatsuki like you said you would. And the training to use Kyuubi's chakra. It's bullshit. We both know the pair assigned to hunt Naruto from the Akatsuki were put together to nullify the use of the fox inside him. How do you expect Naruto to combat them without Kyuubi's chakra if you don't teach him anything else? Did you even try to think about such a possibility? Said Tsunade with Jiraiya scoffing. Of course I did. I figured I would teach him how to use Kyuubi's chakra when traveling around, and he learns just about everything else here in Konoha, surmised Jiraiya like it was the easiest thing in the world. Except you didn't teach him how to use it properly, Jiraiya. You put his health at risk, his life at risk. And for what? So you could spend most of your days drinking and whoring while ignoring your student who is eager to learn. Do you know how many legends of the world would jump at the chance to have a student like that? And because of your actions, Naruto has gone off the reservation and off the map where anyone could find him, said Tsunade with Jiraiya looking away. The brat will come back. He will come crawling back to us soon enough begging me for forgiveness. Not the other way around. You'll see, Tsunade, said Jiraiya while Tsunade looked skeptical. Did you try reverse summoning him with the toads? Asked Tsunade finally. I went to them. They weren't exactly happy with me, remarked Jiraiya while his mind went to the memory of the toads all glaring at him. What do you mean you won't help me locate the brat? Asked Jiraiya while he stared at Gamabunta, Pa, Ma, and the other toads in the room. And none of them looked happy. The fact he left without you noticing after all this time and not coming to us sooner only proves our decision was correct, said Fukasaku firmly. You were entrusted with the Gaki by Minato, yet you spit on your duties to him and the boy. And for what? So you can write, you smut? Questioned Shima angrily. Hey, what I do when it comes to my so-called responsibilities with my failure of a Gotsun is my choice and mine alone. You have no right to judge me on this, protested Jiraiya with Gamabunta putting a giant webbed hand forward. Wrong. You had him sign our contract. He is part of our clan now. You cannot do anything that risks his health unless we deem it necessary. Your time with Naruto has left you wanting, declared Gamabunta with Jiraiya scowling at the giant toad. I see he told you everything before running away. Typical, muttered Jiraiya and was given a smack on the head with Fukasaku's staff. I don't know what got it in your head to be so cruel to the boy, Jiraiya, but it ends now. We won't allow it. Naruto boy came to us. He told us everything you did on this little training trip of yours so far, and we shudder to think what the remaining time would have been like for him. As such, we decided to take him someplace safe so he can properly train and be ready to face the Uchiha and Orochimaru should it come down to it, said Fukasaku while Jiraiya looked at him in disbelief. You honestly believe that failure can take on the Uchiha, much less Orochimaru? You have no idea how pathetic and weak Naruto is, do you? Questioned Jiraiya before he was hit in the head again. Harder. Need we remind you, Jiraiya, that you were weak and pathetic failure once when under your own sensei's tutelage. Granted, you still are pathetic, but that's beside the point. The point is, the boy can do so much with the right teacher. He puts in more effort to get stronger than you ever did. It's why you never could perform the Senin Moto to its fullest extent. We see great things with Naruto boy just waiting to come out, and it will never be allowed to come out if you are his sensei, said Fukasaku firmly while he saw the hurt in Jiraiya's eyes. You can train that brat until you're another color paw. He will never live up to the potential you see in him. Not with the remaining year and a half left before he had to be back within Konoha, countered Jiraiya while Fukasaku smirked. True, your actions have caused us a considered roadblock to bringing out his true potential. But there are ways around it, namely using that shadow clone jutsu the boy can use, said Pa while Jiraiya frowned in confusion. What about it? He can make copies of himself. Big deal. Just because he can make a couple hundred, if not 1,000 of them doesn't make him anything special. They all dispel after one hit anyway, commented Jiraiya with Pa sighing before he hit Jiraiya yet again and several times following the initial hit. Are you that ignorant of the shadow clone jutsu's true potential, Jiraiya? Everything a single shadow clone knows, the original will remember from dispelling. The boy can make hundreds if not thousands of clones. You said so yourself. In a single day, the boy could learn and gain several weeks' worth of training. In a month, years, decades, by the time the boy comes back to Konoha, correction, if he chooses to go back to Konoha, Naruto will make that Uchiha and your former teammate for a snake look like 90-pound weaklings soaking wet in pond scum, said Pa while Jiraiya seethed hearing this since he hated the idea of his student being taken from him and being trained to one day become even stronger than the Toad Sannin himself. That's not what the prophecy spoke of, Pa. You know I'm supposed to train him. The Toad Elder said so, exclaimed Jiraiya while Pa scoffed and waved his hand dismissively at the prophecy. Jiraiya, the Elder Toad, is getting on in his years. He smokes more and more opium every day to the point where his visions are absolute nonsense. Besides, we warned you not to take them seriously no matter how clear his visions of the future possible were to him. In addition, you were told not to tell anyone about the prophecy due to the rules in place to prevent mortals from interfering in the legitimate ones. Not that you listened to us since you told your damn sensei about it the moment your body landed in Konoha, said Fukasaku while Jiraiya looked away like a child getting caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Yeah, well, I wanted him to be proud of me. I was going to train the child of prophecy. Do you know how many women would have thrown themselves at me for such fame and glory? I would be up to my neck in hot babes all wanting a piece of me, even for just one night, said Jiraiya while Pa hit him repeatedly with his staff. Your lust for the female form and your sensei's approval is not an excuse. You were told to keep such information to yourself, but you didn't listen. And because of your actions, your sensei and those within Konoha have been trying to control the possible prophecy being altered in their favor, exclaimed Shima this time in an angrily tone. Would that really so bad? The prophecy working in our favor so Konoha being on top? Asked Jiraiya while seeing the toads glaring at him. Yes, yelled all the toads at once that it shook the very mountain. Fine, you want the brat. Take him, train him in some remote area on the mountain or some other part of the world for all I care. It doesn't matter. He's a failure. He was born a failure too. The only thing that makes him special is the fox in his gut, and the brat can't even get the beast to submit. To think he's Minato blood, mocked Jiraiya before he left. We're sorry you had to hear that, Naruto-chan. It must have been hard to hear, said Shima while looking behind Gamabunta's right back leg to see an emotionally conflicted Naruto behind it. It was hard to hear, considering I didn't know he was my godfather or that the fourth was my father until now, commented Naruto while his eyes became increasingly furious at the replaying of Jiraiya's words in his mind. Don't let the idiot get to you, Naruto boy. He was a failure for most of his life. The fact Jiraiya had a decent education, sensei, and wasn't a Jinchuriki speaks volumes unto itself. You have been hindered all your life, Naruto boy. But no more. We want you to train here, with us, without interference, and become every bit the shinobi you were meant to be in life. What do you say, Naruto boy? Interested in being every bit the powerhouse your father was in life, said Fukasaku with Naruto smirking now. No, Fukasaku-sama. I'm interested in being every bit the powerhouse my father was in life and more, said Naruto with determination while Fukasaku smirked. That's the spirit, Naruto boy. By the time we get done training you, Uchiha Madara himself will seem like a fly to be eaten in comparison, declared Fukasaku with a grin. Good, because that's what I want, so when the time comes, I can shove my fist filled with crow down Konoha's throats. Teach me, exclaimed Naruto with his eyes blazing with a fire the toads had only seen in Minato after they met the young man. Lousy ungrateful fly-eating wart makers, grumbled Jiraiya while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at him. Bitch about it later, Jiraiya. I need you to refocus your spy network focusing on both the Akatsuki and Orochimaru since they are a threat to Konoha, said Tsunade while Jiraiya grimaced. What about my mission to find Naruto and beg his forgiveness? Asked Jiraiya while he saw Tsunade scowl at him. That can wait until later. Naruto is clearly getting his training from the toads, but at a location neither of us can go. Besides, the Gaki will more than likely come back to the village when the time is right. You can beg for his forgiveness when that happens, said Tsunade with Jiraiya frowning at the idea groveling to his student. And if I say no? Asked Jiraiya with a hint of defiance in his voice, only for Tsunade to appear in front of him, grab the Sannin by the throat, and squeeze to the point where she risked crushing it. If you don't do this, I will rip your testicles from your body and mount them on the wall behind my desk, right between the pictures of Sensei and the fourth. Got it? Threatened Tsunade with Jiraiya grinning sheepishly at her. Well, when you put it like that, how can I say no? Asked Jiraiya while gasping for air. You can't. Now get out of my office. I don't want to see you back here until you have some results, replied Tsunade before she threw him out of the open window. Jiraiya-sama isn't the only one who should beg Naruto for forgiveness, Tsunade-sama, said Shizune while Tsunade frowned. I don't need a lecture from you, Shizune, said Tsunade before sitting down in her chair with a huff. Considering you don't listen to me regardless, it's not surprising, commented Shizune with a scowl. What do you want me to say, Shizune? Or do for that matter? Find Naruto and say, hey Gaki, guess what? You and I are distant cousins. We're family. I knew this whole time, but left you to suffer in Konoha alone. Forgive me. After all this time, what would you do in his place? Asked Tsunade with Shizune thinking it over. Well, if I were Naruto, I would probably punch you in the face simply in the belief you deserved it, followed by pranking the entire village as a whole. As a result, tripling your already large pile of paperwork to the point where you throw a temper tantrum and throw your desk out the window, answered Shizune while Tsunade's sweat dropped. Naruto wouldn't do that, would he? Asked Tsunade with Shizune just smiling at her, considering his pranking history. You tell me, said Shizune while Tsunade was now crying anime tears. He would do that to her. Damn. Push comes to shove part 2. When Naruto made his way to Suna, he was not in the best of moods considering his return to Konoha generated a lot of negative emotions from past memories. He had come back to Konoha with his mind clear, more focused, and a better perspective on life. The Toads had taught him everything they had to offer about chakra, including senjutsu, their fighting style to the point where it was flawless in performing the katas without error. There was only one thing Naruto truly needed that he currently lacking right now in life to make things perfect. Life experience. So when word reached Konoha of Suna's Keisuke Sabaku no Gaara had been kidnapped by the Akatsuki, it was only natural that Naruto go to help his friend. A team consisting of Kakashi, Yamato, Temari, Sakura, Sai, and himself had departed to Suna in the hopes they would stop whatever the Akatsuki had planned. And naturally, they ran into resistance in the form of the Akatsuki. After the group left Suna to find Gaara, the opposition came in the form of 2 of its members, in the form of Itachi and Kasame. Not that Naruto let them stop him from reaching his goals. So if it isn't Sushi Bitch and the Silent Asshole, killed any other clans lately? Have you spilled the blood of innocent puppies? Asked Naruto in a mocking tone. Look at him, Itachi. 3 years away with the Sannin and the brat thinks he is hot shit, remarked Kasame while Itachi said nothing. Year and a half. I parted ways with that perverted fool when it became clear his way of teaching wasn't teaching at all. Honestly, teaching me to tap into Kyuubi's chakra in order to fight you 2 better was not one of his better ideas. It's like someone fighting a house fire with toad oil. It doesn't work and makes things worse. So I spent my remaining time training under the toads themselves, said Naruto while Kasame kept on grinning while Itachi's eyes narrowed slightly. So you spent your time with some talking webbed word makers. Big fucking deal. It still won't help you against us, said Kasame while Naruto grinned viciously. If I'm not such a big threat to you, why is Itachi still trying to cast me in a genjutsu with his eyes like he has with everyone else? Asked Naruto while Itachi's eyes narrowed even more. So you found a way to make yourself immune to genjutsu. Interesting, said Itachi while Naruto suddenly scowled. Even stop with the praise, Itachi. I know why you 2 buddies are here and it's not to insult us or speak small praises at what I do. I also sense you 2 aren't the real deal. You hide it well, even showing the various abilities one would find in both the real Itachi and Kasame. Well, Uzumaki's sensory perception can see through that weak shit and right now I see 2 corpses being used as puppets to hold us off while my friend is being killed. So drop the jutsu and stand aside, said Naruto while Kasame grinned. Or else what, Brett? Demanded Kasame before he was suddenly and violently kicked in the midsection by Naruto, sending the man flying back well over 200 feet. Fast and strong, thought Itachi while glancing over at Kasame, who had reverted back to the dead body they obtained for this jutsu. Fun fact about senjutsu. It can really hurt people when you strike them in a vital bodily area, said Naruto before he glared at Itachi. I am curious, how are you blocking my Sharingan's power? Asked Itachi curiously. Simple. I'm mixing senjutsu and the Kyuubi's power through my body in perfect sync. When heading here, I spent that time gathering up as much of it as I could. Mix it just right with what is sealed in my gut and no genjutsu you have from your shitty eyes can stand in my way. Not even the 2nd level you have in your back pocket, said Naruto with Itachi frowning further. So you know, remarked Itachi with Naruto scoffing. Of course I do. Sasuke basically bragged as much on how an Uchiha gets one of your cursed eyes to that stage. I got further information from the toads on how it works. It's a good thing I don't consider your brother my best friend or else the bastard might get what he wanted. Aside from killing you of course, said Naruto while Itachi frowned further at him. You should reconsider. You could learn a lot from him and forming a bond would be for the best, said Itachi while Naruto snarled. Been there, done that. What did I get for my efforts? Insults, a broken neck, and 2 chitteras to the chest. I think I'll pass on the whole friends with the Uchiha concept. It's not healthy, said Naruto while Itachi frowned at him since he needed the 2 of them to be friends so Sasuke could get the eyes needed to become stronger. Naruto's resistance to reforming the bond of friendship with Sasuke was hindering the plans of the Uchiha clan slayer. And Itachi didn't like it. He wanted Sasuke to gain the next level of the Sharingan so when both Uchiha fought next, Itachi could give his eyes to Sasuke and become an Uchiha worthy of ruling over their rebuilt clan. But Naruto was being difficult and it seemed Sasuke himself had been responsible for causing the damage. Kyuubi Jinchuriki's time with the toads had clearly made the boy stronger. Stronger than anyone would most likely prefer him to be in life. Not only that, but the toads had provided a mentality of where the boy no longer took crap from anyone and was not as forgiving to someone who hurt him. Again, it created a problem for Itachi, one he now had to fix in the future, but do it in a discreet manner away from the Akatsuki. A pity. No matter. You are only a mean to an end, said Itachi while Naruto smirked at him now. So are you, said Naruto before he moved faster than even the fake Itachi's eyes could follow and was struck across the face where the eyes were located with the blonde's chakra, and leave large scar on the face of Itachi with enough chakra behind the strike to tear flesh from its body, and damaging the eyes of the fake body the Uchiha possessed. Racing into the fake Uchiha's chest and he was down for the count before Naruto used his chakra again to dispel the genjutsu his team was in. Before they could ask what had happened upon seeing the two unknown bodies around them, Naruto was already heading for where he sensed Gaara's fading life force was located. Racing into the barrier set up to keep them out did the trick, and Naruto entered to see Shukaku being extracted from Gaara. Before the two Akatsuki members sent to retrieve the young Kage could speak, Naruto did something that would shock them, the Konoha team, and the other projected members of the Akatsuki in the room. Naruto took out Tri-Pronged Kane before throwing them at Deidara and Sasori. "Oh," said Deidara with a start, since being a former Iwa nin made him recognize what just happened. Shit," finished Sasori before Naruto appeared in a flash, striking with another kunai to Deidara's skull and a senjutsu-enhanced kick to Sasori's side. Sasori's puppet body shattered into 100 pieces, but the puppet within the puppet had escaped, if just barely. But before he could do anything, Naruto was in his personal space, putting his fist into Sasori's puppet chest, where the blonde sensed was where the remaining anchor of life binding the puppet master was placed. "Any last words before you die?" growled Naruto angrily. "I do. I know Orochimaru is your enemy. He is mine too. I have a spy within his ranks at nearly the highest level. I was meant to meet up with him in the next 2 weeks to obtain the Sannin's future movements. I now give you this chance to kill him in my place," said Sasori while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. "Location," said Naruto while Sasori whispered it into his ear before Naruto crushed his heart within the puppet body before turning to the still shocked members of the Akatsuki staring back at him. "The Kyuubi Jinchuriki. We meet at last," remarked Pain from his projection after a long moment of silence while still trying to process the fact the boy used the Yandame's most feared jutsu. He would have to talk to Tobai and Zetsu about that in private. "And you must be the leader of these assholes. What does that make you?" "Biggest asshole of them all," remarked Naruto while Pain ignored the insult. "What? Call me an asshole with you? You are so fucking lucky I'm not there right now, kid. I could kill you easily and sacrifice you to Jashin himself," said hidden through the projection. "Am I talking to you?" "No." "Then shut your mouth and suck rope," said Naruto while the man he insult went on a cursing rant and spewed out more threats while the one next to him let out a chuckle. All of which Naruto ignored when he went to get a barely alive Gaara. Fortunately, they had gotten there to the point where Shukaku wasn't extracted fully from Gaara and went right back in the redhead's body. Acting quickly, Naruto altered the poor excuse for a seal to make it stronger, but also placing some various security measures into it to help prevent a future forced extraction like this one. Once done, Naruto glanced over at the projection still there watching him, and growled at Pain currently staring back at him with narrowed Rinnegan eyes. "You are only delaying the inevitable. You and every other Jinchuriki will soon be an extension of my will and bring about a new era of peace through Pain," said Pain while Naruto glanced at him before turning to another projection farther back from the rest of the members. "I'm going to enjoy ripping out your spinal column. I suggest you all get ready for the fight I am going to bring to your doorstep. Because I am not going to hold back, and I am going to show you why it is unwise to piss off Uzumaki Naruto," said Naruto to all of them before he picked up his friend and left without another word to them while ignoring his teammates. After what he just did, it was clear to them that the Naruto they knew, or thought they knew, was no more. This Naruto was geared up for a fight and had no problems with dishing out the beating to those who deserved it. "So, where's the loser? I see a pink-haired wannabe for a Konoichi. I see my lazy pervert for a sensei, an unknown and clearly weak shinobi, but not the loser," commented Sasuke arrogantly while he stared down at his former teammate and sensei. "Maybe he doesn't think you're worth the effort," commented Kakashi while Yamato was looking around for the Sannin. The last few hours, if not the past couple of weeks, had been interesting to say the least for them. Or it had been for Kakashi himself when Naruto came back to the village with a whole new feel about him. When Naruto had finally come back to Konoha, he had changed quite a bit. No longer loud-mouthy, boasting, and overall weak like he had been when leaving with Jiraiya. He was calm, serious, and had an aura about him like a storm of sorts was brewing all around his very being. When Kakashi tried to greet him, Naruto just gave him the most serious of looks that made the cycloptic Jounin freeze instantly, since it reminded him deeply of his late sensei when serious. It was in that moment Kakashi knew Naruto he remembered was no more. Gone was the ramen addict, hyperactive blonde, and his yell of being Hokage one day for all to hear. In his place was someone ready for a fight and would gladly dish it out if push came to a possible shove. When Naruto entered the Hokage's office, Tsunade had wanted to hug Naruto, which was what almost happened if not for the blonde man giving her that same moment look given to Kakashi. He was not back in the village for hugs, kisses, well wishes, or anything else resembling friendship one had among other shinobi in the same village. He was here on business. He was back in Konoha to clear away some of his own debts and make others pay theirs to him. Namely to clear up past failures, one involving Sasuke, Kabuto, Orochimaru, and even the Akatsuki itself. He also made it clear that any such abuse aimed at him in the past and into the future would be met with retribution by people who thought they could get away with it. While Naruto wasn't going to kill anyone, as far as Kakashi and Tsunade knew, the blonde Uzumaki made it clear that people would wish they had died should they test him. He also made it clear that the Toads had helped fix whatever broken mentality or false perception he had regarding his views of Konoha and life in general. They made it clear that forgiveness was good to give out, but not when it was taken for granted. Since they were never punished or ignored when the acts of abuse occurred, the people got it in their heads that the cruel actions they performed on Naruto was okay. Even more so when no one called them out on being proven wrong about Naruto in the first place. If no one did that, why feel any remorse at all? Why feel anything bad about abusing the Jinchuriki if no one was going to remind them how the boy didn't do anything to deserve it? The fools could easily argue their abuse kept the boy in check, that they had every right to hurt the boy and would do it again if possible for the same result since no one had punished them from the beginning. For Naruto, such lines of thought were unacceptable. Actions have consequences, and the actions of Konoha on his person were unacceptable. The fact the powers that be did not punish them for their actions and tried to let them see the light on their own was foolish since the group mentality would never let a single individual within think otherwise. In Naruto's mind, in order to fix this, you had to break the group mentality and target the individual fragments of the group mentality before they could reform elsewhere. Make them see that their point of view was not only stupid, but would not go unpunished. In his mind, if they didn't get punished for their past actions, it would only just encourage future generations to be abusive to any Jinchuriki following him. And Naruto wasn't going to stand for it one way or the other. When Tsunade tried to talk to him about more personal things, Naruto told her they could wait and to give him the key to his parents' home, the one he should have had from the start, but was denied by the powers that be when younger thanks to the Sandaime and the power-hungry council. It was clear to those select people in the room, who already knew Naruto's parents, that he also knew the truth, and was not happy with anyone who not only knew the truth, but chose not to do anything to help him. The Toads had been most supportive of him in providing Naruto with the knowledge he needed to know that was kept from him most of his life. They fixed the warped mental view Konoha, the Sandaime, and Jiraiya had given during his time living there. Naturally, they were appalled by some of things the village had done to the boy mentally, as well as the physical aspect of the abuse. It had taken a lot of effort to undo the damage, but the shadow clone jutsu producing thousands of copies each day to focus on ninja training while the real one had his mentality healed was a great counter. The Toads also suspected the shadow clone jutsu was kept from Naruto from the start, even though it was designed for an Uzumaki with high chakra reserves in the first place. It was also concerning that the Sandaime and Academy instructors had known the boy had such high reserves, yet offered no alternative to the standard clone jutsu. Hell, the Academy let Rock Lee graduate from the Academy and the spandex-wearing boy had practically no chakra to begin with. It raised a shitload of questions and speculative answers were all that followed. Again, the Toads suspected foul play. Even more so when all the instructors told Naruto to try harder and pay more attention in class despite the fact teachers kicked him out whether Naruto did anything to warrant it or not. They didn't tell him anything about chakra control or any other versions of the clone jutsu he could use, much less those that were elemental like the earth or water clone jutsus. Foul play only smelled more likely and more foul the longer the Toads thought about it and made a mental note to speak to Jiraiya about this in the off chance the fool knew or considered this outcome. Still, Tsunade wanted to test his skills in an evaluation. When Naruto asked who would perform the test, the boy unleashed a small pulse of killer intent throughout the room. It made Tsunade, Shizune, Kakashi, and the hidden ANBU watching everything shiver in fear. When it came to the evaluation, it was no longer any real surprise to Kakashi that Naruto had grown up so much since the last time he saw him. Hell, Naruto didn't even need the help of Sakura or the superhuman strength technique Tsunade taught her. The fact that he ignored her the entire time upon his return notwithstanding. Of course, Sakura would yell at him in order for the blonde to pay attention to her, but again, Naruto ignored her to focus on the test at hand. Which was naturally the fucking bell test. Something which Naruto recalled ended in the unfair treatment of himself being tied to the post at the end. Honestly, Sakura went down from a genjutsu, and again after seeing Sasuke's head sticking up from the ground. She didn't even try to get the damn bell. So what if he tried to eat the food? Kakashi had also been a prick the entire time and was late both times they first met him. As if it was okay for him to waste their time when they could have done things instead of waiting. How Kakashi justified his decisions to punish Naruto among other things he did when Team 7 was formed, the blonde didn't know. Nor did he care for that matter. Kakashi had wronged him back when they first started out and Naruto intended for the man to pay up with this test. Fortunately, Kakashi had basically ordered him and Sakura to attack the Jounin with the intent to kill. Which was why, for his part, Naruto quickly beat Kakashi bloody all on his own within a matter of moments, took the single bell the Jounin had, gave it to a stunned Sakura, and simply left the training field without saying a word. Only for Jiraiya to appear in front of him with a disapproving frown on his face. You've changed, Gaki, but not for the better, as if you have a right to judge me. After all the shit you pulled, so you're holding a grudge, is that it? It's not my fault you can't take a few hits physically or otherwise. We both know this goes well beyond a few hits, you fucking waste of space. So I wasn't there for you growing up. Do you think you're the only one with a godparent or a parent out there who ignore their obligations? Grow up. I didn't hold your hand back when you were a pathetic Gaki and I won't do it now. Also, I have no intention of getting on my knees and begging for your forgiveness regardless of what Tsunade commands. I don't expect you to hold my hand or beg for my forgiveness. I'm too old for one of them and the other I have none to give. Even if I did wish to forgive you, Jiraiya, we both know it would an emotional response wasted on a man who cares more about boobs and butts over his own surrogate family. Is it any wonder the old fart monkey liked Orochimaru far more when it came to teaching the two of you? Watch it, Brett. The Sandaime was my sensei and a great man. You may think yourself hot shit now, but I've got a lot more experience and can still kick your ass. You would think that, but we both know your skills are mediocre at best. When was the last time you trained Jiraiya? And I mean actually trained in the toad katas you were told require to be constantly practiced. When was the last time you had an actual fight with someone? The answer is simple. It's been a very long time. If I went all out right now against you at your best, I could wipe the floor with you and still have enough energy left to go on a mission without slowing down. Tough talk for a brat not even 16 years old yet. It's not talk. I can back it up right here, right now. The only reason I don't is because I am heading to see Hokage for a mission. Excuses. Excuses. Just like before a year and a half ago. If you really were stronger, you would fight me right now. I will fight you, right after I kill Orochimaru and bring Sasuke back a broken man. You can't kill him, Naruto. Orochimaru is too strong. Not to mention Sasuke will decimate you if there is a confrontation. The kid's a prodigy. You're not. Tell you what, a Rosenin. After I return from killing your former teammate and bringing back mine, I will fight you. One-on-one. No holding back. You fight me with everything you've got and I'll bring everything I have to the battle too. Agreed. Done. I just hope you're ready to admit how outclassed you are against a man of my skills, Gaki. And I hope you understand just how stupid you were to neglect me all those years ago after I leave your body broken on the ground. And just so you know, if I see a moment in time where I can kill you, I am taking it. This isn't going to be a simple spar, Jiraiya. This is going to be an all-out war, and I intend to not only win, but see to it you are never the same again as a result. Oh, and one more thing. Your so-called sensei wasn't the god of Shinobi. He was the god of hypocrisy. The Sandaime Hokage was a double-standard fool, and out of everything he taught you, it was the only skill that the man successfully passed down onto you. I'm warning you, Brett. Say one more bad word about my sensei and I will kill you right here on the spot. You tried that already, remember, throwing me into that endless ravine in the hopes of activating the Kyuubi's chakra. By the way, the toads think you are an idiot for thinking up such a stupid idea. It was the fastest way to do it. And if you failed, it was no big deal in my book. As your godfather, I was entitled to see how you were raised as my godson and trained in being a shinobi. Does that include how I should die as one or the other? Did the toads tell you about the prophecy? All of it? Yeah, they did. It's total crap, you know. I heard it word for word. Why the elder toad told you said prophecy is beyond me. You were not meant to hear it, much less blab it to the Sandaime. You do know there are rules in place made by Kami regarding prophecies, right? Though I'm not surprised. You were so obsessed with the part focusing on yourself itself, I would be surprised if you actually cared about who you would be training. Fuck those rules. Fuck Kami. You think I care about such things? Where was Kami and his rules when Madara betrayed Konoha? When Orochimaru betrayed Konoha? When the fourth Hokage died? When my sensei died? When I lost everything that mattered to me? If Kami wasn't going to play by the rule he set, I didn't have to either. Spare me your so-called suffering. You were always a lazy super pervert and leech long before you became a shinobi. Long before those so-called bad things happened to you in life. You leeched off my father and anyone else you could get your claws into for your own benefit. The only reason you didn't dig even deeper into the fourth was because my mother saw you for the wretched thing you were and put a stop to it. Which is exactly why I'm glad she isn't alive here today. Your bitch of a mother had no business getting between me and my former student. If I wanted to mooch off him, it was my right. She didn't have any right to interfere with how I was interacting with my former student, even though she was married to him. My mother wasn't exactly pleased with you when she overheard a conversation to convince my father that it was okay to have piece of Kunoichi ass on the side, so if my mother got too bitchy, he could always go to another woman for comfort. Not to mention, you told my father how the people of Konoha did not really care for my mother that much because she was considered a foreigner, and having a Kunoichi from Konoha on the side as a secondary option was more tolerable. How do you know about that? Both of my parents each left a piece of their souls in the seal as a failsafe of sorts should it falter from stress and strain. They were very angry with you and Konoha as a whole when I told them about my life. They see your actions as a betrayal of their trust in being a responsible godparent. When you die, they will be having words with you on the subject. Kakashi still shivered at the memory, especially the last part. The Jounin knew Kushina was a woman you did not cross. Ever. Even Orochimaru, for all his sadistic tendencies, knew pissing the woman off was worse than an angry Tsunade catching Jiraiya peeping on her. It seems that the loser has become even more stupid since the last time I saw him, said Sasuke arrogantly before he suddenly gasped in pain and grabbed his neck when feeling an intense burning sensation. Or maybe Kakashi is right. I don't see you as a threat or challenge to me anymore, said Naruto behind Sasuke moments later with the Uchiha's eyes widening. How did he get behind me without sensing him? Thought Sasuke before he turned around and attempted to cut the blonde in half with his sword. Or for said Naruto in front of him to explode and sent him flying back down towards the Konoha team below. Or rather, that would have happened if not for Naruto coming at him from the right, kneeing him in the rib. This was followed up by one to the left punching Sasuke in the face. Finished off with one surprising the Konoha team by shooting right up from the ground in the lab into the air and delivering a chakra-enhanced kick to the Uchiha's spine. After this happened, an army of Naruto shadow clones made themselves into a whip and launched the Naruto at the end to hit Sasuke in the chest to send the still shocked Uchiha back down. Not such hot shit now, are you Uchiha? Did Orochimaru spend his time training you to be a proper shinobi, or as his personal sex pet? Asked Naruto coldly toward his former teammate struggling to stand from the hits he suffered. How can you be this strong? Asked Sasuke while looking up at Naruto with disdain in his eyes. Through training. Lots and lots of training. Training day and night. I bloodied my hands, my feet, and even my face to the point where the crimson liquid acted as a second skin. I broke my bones in so many places it's not even funny. What I did to you was not even a fraction of what I can do to you, Sasuke. The force behind each blow I landed had enough power behind it to rival one of Tsunade's super strength punches. Right now, I believe you have several broken ribs, a badly bruised if not broken spine, and jaw shattered on one side with a few teeth being loose, if not falling out, said Naruto calmly while he raised a hand to stop Sakura from moving to heal the Uchiha. I should have killed you at the Valley of the End. To think I spared you on a whim, said Sasuke while Naruto had the nerve to laugh at him. At him, an Uchiha, an elite. You spared me on a whim. Once again, Sasuke, you copy others before doing anything truly original. I spared you first. I could have ripped right through your Chidori with my Rasengan or let my attack rip your face clean off while taking those eyes Orochimaru wanted so badly right out of their sockets. But I held back. I held a lot back. Orders were to use force if you resisted were authorized, but it wasn't lethal force. You, however, had no such restraint and came at me with the intent to kill. You threw everything you had at me and I came back for more. Your victory over me, Uchiha, was a technicality. Nothing more, stated Naruto while Sasuke was seething and tried to use his curse mark, only to find he couldn't. My power, the curse seal, I can't use it, stated Sasuke in shock while he had assumed Naruto had put some kind of suppressor on him. You're just realizing that now. I killed Orochimaru and as a result the curse seal on you was destroyed before I even made my presence known to your soulless ass. Honestly, you are so arrogant and smug about yourself that you don't have any sensory awareness for having eyes in the back of your head. Your belief that no one would even dare attack the mighty Uchiha Sasuke from behind is so strong that your awareness as shinobi should have for such things completely sucks, said Naruto while Sasuke seethed further. Impossible. There is no way you are near Orochimaru's level. Or Kabuto's, exclaimed Sasuke before he winced in pain from trying to push himself and was having a hard time breathing. I train to the point of exhaustion each day, Sasuke. With my stamina and chakra, I can train all day into the night. It got to the point where Pa and Matode threatened to halt my training if I didn't get any sleep at night. One point, I was training so hard they caught me sleep training and had to watch me until they could figure out how to stop it, said Naruto while Sasuke snarled at him. You used the Kyuubi for your training, didn't you? Orochimaru already told me all about it. Your dirty little secret. You used its power like a crutch to get stronger. Without it, you are nothing, exclaimed Sasuke with Naruto scoffing. As if you are one to talk. Who used Curse Seal Stage 2 on me at the Valley at the End? Who has the Sharingan? You want to talk about crutches in order to get stronger. Yours is practically in your blood. You cop at least Taijutsu for the Chunin exams rather than learn how to do it the old-fashioned way of learning it yourself because you can't do it the old-fashioned way. And what did it get you? All those fancy moves required having a lot of stamina. You may have copied the forms of his Taijutsu during the months spent training, but you lacked the meat behind it. I didn't make that mistake. I can go toe-to-toe with Madogai, Rock Lee, and Kakashi here at the same time all day while barely breaking a sweat. I imagine that's not the case with you, Sasuke. I imagine you can barely stand if you were to spar with Orochimaru or Kabuto while going all out, said Naruto while Sasuke spat blood out of his mouth. Fuck you, said Sasuke while Naruto smirked. No thanks, Sasuke. I'm straight. Unlike you, I don't run away from beautiful women to be with a creepy snake pedophile and his equally creepy butt buddy. When we get back to Konoha, you are going to answer for your crimes. You will answer for everything. Traitor, said Naruto before he kicked Sasuke right in the face with enough force to knock him out. Was that really necessary? Asked Sakura while Naruto glanced at her coldly. If you had paid attention to half the things Tsunade should have taught you, Sakura, you would know the body language Sasuke was giving off before my arrival clearly showed he was going to kill you all. He would have swooped down, killed you all, and not lost an ounce of sleep over it. Hell, I imagine he would paraded your bodies all over the place for anyone to see in the hopes of pissing me off. Still think it was too much, said Naruto before he put chakra suppression cuffs on the Uchiha before sealing Sasuke into his one-of-a-kind prisoner scroll created so prisoners could be easily transported back home if caught alive. You don't have to be so cold, Naruto, said Sakura with a frown since she was finally having a conversation with him, but was barely considered civil. Well, when you have 2 assassination jutsus rammed into your chest and have your neck broken by a ravine-high pile driver, you can judge whether or not the user of such moves deserves to be treated with kid gloves, commented Naruto before walking away and ignoring the shocked look from his former teammate. Naruto couldn't wait to show them off and rub it in everyone's faces what he had made when allowing his mind to think of new things to create. If I wasn't looking at the proof before my very eyes, I would have thought all of you were meant for an insane asylum, said Tsunade after Naruto took out 2 scrolls and unsealed one. The one holding the heads of Orochimaru and Kabuto. Though one head was arguably that of a giant white snake, it was definitely Tsunade's and Jiraiya's old teammate. Seeing is believing, Tsunade, said Naruto professionally while deciding to no longer call her granny like he used to do. Not out of respect. No, she didn't have his respect. Not anymore. Not her. Not Jiraiya. Not the late Sandaime. Not Kakashi. None of them did. Especially the adults. They all knew the truth. You have to be pretty fucking blind, deaf, and dumb not to know the truth of who was the boy's father. Naruto was especially angry at the Inuzuka clan since he knew they should have been able to tell right away thanks to their sense of smell being enhanced. I mean, all they had to do was smell his scent and compare it to the memory of his late parents. As for Tsunade, she had a look of sorrow in her eyes at not being called granny since it was his own weird way to show some measure of respect. While the nickname was in a way a shot at her growing age, it was not meant to be an insult, and was missing it in some strange way. How did you kill him? Asked Tsunade curiously. Simple. I pissed him and Kabuto off. I had them make the first move. Wasn't hard. Just had to provoke the one weakness Orochimaru and Kabuto had left, said Naruto like it was the easiest thing in the world. What weakness was that? Asked Tsunade curiously with the others listening intently. Easy. It was their pride. I attacked and insulted their pride. I insulted the intelligence of Orochimaru first. His so-called ability to cheat death and mocked him for fearing it. I called him a lowly parasitic worm who wets himself in the presence of the Shinigami. I also needed to make sure Kabuto didn't try to cool his head, so I proceeded to insult him next. I did this by mocking Kabuto for being so loyal to Orochimaru. I also called him Orochimaru's personal butt buddy and liked to have the Sanin's extended tongue and cock slithering up his ass because he didn't have any other purpose in life when it came to serving the Sanin. Naturally, the two didn't take my insults very well, and the fact that their pride was being attacked by someone they considered weak was something they couldn't tolerate, said Naruto, while there was simply more to it than just insulting the two missing nin. For one, Naruto didn't waste time being flashy with them. He was quick and precise in killing them both. Kabuto died first, cutting the man's chakra scalpel-covered arm off at the elbow, followed by the head with standard ANBU sword he had acquired from the traitorous and emotionally stunted Sai had done the job. Naruto had killed Sai because he knew something was off about the pale-skinned and emotionally challenged boy. Pa and Ma had taught him well in determining when a person was not who they truly were, no matter how hard they tried to hide it. Sensory awareness kicked ass. As such, Naruto had interrogated Sai to the point where the boy was a bloody mess. A silent mess, but bloody all the same. It was after Naruto went through Sai's ninja gear did he see the pictures of ANBU without their masks, lists of their names identifying them, and even some of their abilities. All assigned to be given to Orochimaru from the looks of things, and a message from one Shimura Danzo of Konoha asking for the two of them to work in taking Tsunade out. The pictures with the identities of the ANBU being a sign of good faith payment to Orochimaru and the promise of test subjects if the Sannin helped him become the next Hokage. All in all, Naruto kept such evidence for later and killed Sai with his own sword before the Root Nin could even contemplate what happened. The other members of the team didn't know this since they had gone on ahead to scout for Orochimaru's base. When they asked about Sai on the way back to Konoha, he found it was incredibly easy to just lie to them about how Kabuto killed Sai with the chakra scalpel to the chest. Considering it was how Naruto almost died at one point, it wasn't too hard to believe the story was true since the blonde used his own experience as a reference in the story. This way, the group would believe the story and make the lie more believable when giving his report. The look of remembrance on Tsunade's face would be seen by Kakashi, Yamato, and Sakura, so they wouldn't have any reasons to doubt it. Had the body was dumped off the bridge into the river below during the fighting would make it impossible for them to find Sai's corpse, which was actually burned into ashes, so there was no chance in hell of finding it. As for Orochimaru, he was pissed off that Kabuto was killed so easily and quickly by Naruto to the point of instantly going all out on the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Naruto did the same with the area around them being turned into completely different terrain. When Naruto went to Four Tails, the Sannin had tried to use his sword on him in the hopes the poison in it would end the blonde's life, only for Naruto to surprise him by grabbing the sword when extended at the last minute, yanked the Sannin forward, and sliced him in half with his claws. Orochimaru was able to recover by reattaching both halves together, but no sooner did he do that, Naruto was on his back, sinking both claws and teeth into the Sannin's body, sending corrosive, flesh-dissolving, Biju chakra into the man, who barely shook the Jinchuriki off of him before shedding his skin-like body to save his life, only to be met with a Biju bomb, which he tried to shield himself with using the triple Rashiman Jutsu. It almost didn't work, but the blast was stopped. As for Naruto, he was on the Sannin again before he could quickly recover, and began weakening Orochimaru considerably. Until finally, Orochimaru had no choice but to change into his giant white snake form to combat Naruto in his four-tailed state. The battle soon became one of pure skill, agility, wits, and just the right timing mixed in with some raw animalistic fury from both sides. With the one instance where Naruto grabbed the discarded and forgotten sword Kusanagi near him and sliced the Sannin's head clean off his body. Shortly after, Naruto stabbed the head into the brain for good measure and burned the large white carcass looking to be made up of multiple tiny snakes to ensure there was no way the Sannin could continue to live. One sealed up snake head later, the blonde was off to deal with Sasuke's traitorous ass. I find that hard to believe, Naruto. You're strong, unbelievably strong. But to take down someone like Orochimaru, much less Kabuto together, is difficult to accept, said Tsunade skeptically. And yet here we are with the proof sitting on your desk. Oh, one more thing before I forget, said Naruto before he took out a scroll and unsealed it to reveal Sasuke's battered form now in front of the woman's desk. A kick to the Uchiha's ribs by Naruto and the groan that followed from the beaten body on the ground proved he was still alive. Anbu, take the traitor away. No one is allowed to see him except Ibiki, Anko, and myself until I say otherwise. If anyone else tries to see Uchiha Sasuke, I want you to arrest them, commanded Tsunade with the Anbu nodding and left the room with the Uchiha being carried off. When can I get my pay? Asked Naruto with Tsunade sighing since she missed the loudmouth brat who would smile and shout about being Hokage. She still believed he would be Hokage, but would not have that same caring smile. Now he was all seriousness. What did he learn during his time away from Konoha and Jiraiya? Did they, her sensei, and Tsunade herself scar him that badly? Here is the pay stub for both the completed mission, the bounty for killing Orochimaru and Kabuto, and the retrieval of Uchiha Sasuke. Present that to the bounty pay room and they'll give you the money you deserve, said Tsunade with Naruto took them, but did not smile at her. Unlikely. If they are the same idiots who were there 3 years ago, they still owe me back pay for not providing the appropriate amount of cash from my previous missions when the Sandaime was alive. This includes the bounty for the 2 Akatsuki members I killed back Suna when rescuing Gaara, said Naruto while Tsunade frowned since she didn't know that. Did you tell my sensei about this when he was alive? Asked Tsunade curiously while also making a mental note to pay that section a visit. I did. The Sandaime said he would look into it. I waited 2 weeks for him to fix the problem. He never did. I always assumed it was because there was a lot of red tape on his end considering what I am to people in this village, said Naruto while Tsunade sighed and mentally cursed her late sensei for acting the way he did with the blonde in front of her. I'll handle it, Naruto. If they give you any trouble, tell them I will be down shortly, and will be looking over everything myself if necessary, said Tsunade with Naruto frowning at her. Funny, he said the same thing. Don't bother interfering. I'll handle them myself, said Naruto before leaving with his pay stub. What happened to you, Naruto? Why are you being so cold? This isn't like you, said Tsunade with Naruto stopping at the door. Normally, I wouldn't be like this, but after spending time away from Konoha and been taught things I was denied for years, I felt change was necessary. Why do you care? I would think a mature version of myself would be an improvement over the stupid one you first met 3 years ago, said Naruto before walking out the door. Should we be worried, Hokage-sama? Asked Yamato with Tsunade sighed and waved the concern off. No, Naruto has a lot of anger in him at the moment. Anger put there by this very village and brought to the surface after being away for so long. If he wants to vent some of the anger out, let him do it. Maybe afterwards, it will open the eyes of these morons down below what it means to abuse a child, and act like it is no big deal simply because said child is a Jinchuriki, said Tsunade before the door opened again and 3 people she didn't want to see were now in the room looking as serious as ever. So it is true. The Jinchuriki killed both Orochimaru and Kabuto, commented Danzo while Tsunade narrowed her eyes at him. He has a name, Danzo. You would do well to remember that, warned Tsunade, but it was clear the old warhawk didn't care about that right now. He never did. Asshole. Did he explain how it was done? Demanded Koharu while staring at the giant white snake head that was Orochimaru's face. He did, but I'm under no obligation to tell you, said Tsunade while all 3 elders frowned at her. Tsunade, you know it is imperative for us to know these things. First the 2 Akatsuki members, now Orochimaru and Kabuto. As members of your council, we demand that you tell us how strong the Jinchuriki has become. Demanded Amira while Tsunade grit her teeth in anger. You demand something from me. You dare say that to my face. You demand to know the answer to your question. Of me, your Hokage? Questioned Tsunade while the old man tried to keep his courage up despite her anger. The Jinchuriki is quite powerful, Tsunade. Knowledge of what he can do since his time away is crucial in keeping this village weapon in check, said Danzo while Tsunade was seething at this continued disrespect toward Naruto. It was bad enough Jiraiya did it and even her when she first met the brat, but these 3 were clearly going to be disrespectful to Naruto until the day they died, which she was hoping would be soon. He has a name, Danzo. If you can't even say his name, don't be in the same room as me or him. In fact, if you can't stand the idea of referring to him by his name, I suggest you simply kill yourself now. No one in this office will disrespect him while I am Hokage, said Tsunade while Danzo scowled and the other 2 elders looked shocked. Tsunade, you can't be serious, protested Koharu. You want to talk serious. Jiraiya hasn't been training the boy for the last 3 years. In fact, Jiraiya has proven himself incompetent in that area and has done it on purpose. It was fortunate that Naruto decided to take the initiative and go to the Toads themselves for training. Unlike my former teammate, they were ready to help get him stronger for the enemy we know is waiting to strike, said Tsunade while the elders looked even further displeased. Whether due to Jiraiya neglecting Naruto's training or the fact Naruto got the training he needed to grow stronger was unknown. He should have been sent to me for training from the start. I could have molded him properly into a ruthless shinobi, said Danzo with Tsunade narrowing her eyes. There is no question about that last part, Danzo, provided he wasn't a Jinchuriki. But the fact still remains, Naruto being trained like one of your old Root Nin wouldn't work very well for anyone. Jinchuriki need their emotions, and the lack of them will make one weak to the point where they are simply cannon fodder to be used on an enemy. Not only that, but I highly doubt you want to risk Naruto snapping mentally and pulling an Itachi on an even greater level before we could stop him. Besides, we all know any shinobi you train or is conditioned to your root training is basically programmed to be loyal only to you. We all know the boy would have been used in a coup to take the position of Hokage from me, said Tsunade, with Danzo saying nothing since it was true and just chose not to acknowledge what the woman accused him of doing being fact. Danzo would have made the boy his loyal pawn and used him in a coup to take Konoha from his old rival or the woman in front of him. Not that he would admit it outright. Let the woman in the Hokage seat accuse him of possibly snagging the Kyuubi Jinchuriki for his own purposes. His silence spoke nothing, yet everything to Tsunade, but without proof, it was just her spouting off nonsense. Which worked fine for him since it made the woman look inadequate in being Hokage. What does Jiraiya have to say on the subject of the ... boy? Asked Tamura curiously while he changed the subject back to the village Jinchuriki. What do you think? He is acting like an angry man-child about it. Naruto resents him for the lack of training received from the beginning and knows Jiraiya did it deliberately. Not only that, but I imagine the Toads told Naruto quite a few things that no one ever thought would be revealed to him until much later in life. Certain things we would rather take to our grave before letting see the light of day, commented Tsunade while the elders now had a look of fear on them. Even Danzo. They wouldn't dare. Hers and forbid the boy from learning anything until he was ready, exclaimed Koharu while Tsunade scowled at her. And when would this sense of readiness be determined, Koharu? When we were all on our deathbeds. When Naruto himself was old, gray-haired, and too weak to do anything if he felt like it. Besides, Sensei only forbid Konoha Shinobi from telling him. The Toad summons do not fall into that category. He is also their summoner and therefore have the right to tell him things we would not, said Tsunade while none of the three elders liked this one bit. His mind needs to be wiped or suppressed of these things, stated Danzo immediately while the others agreed. No, I forbid it. Naruto knows what he knows and that's fine. He should have known the things he does now from the start. Sensei made the wrong choice on how to raise Naruto and Konoha. He let the village treat the boy like a punching bag in order for them to vent out their frustrations and damn near stunted the boy's growth and potential beyond repair. We all know that if my grandfather, granduncle, and grandmother were here they would have piled a lot of bodies in the middle of the village square for what this place has done to him. And don't bother denying it. I know enough about the issue to know that all three of you helped in its very orchestration. You are all just as guilty as he was when alive and even more so to let it continue, said Tsunade while knowing these three had the pull in Konoha's own government to make it happen. To say otherwise would insult everyone's intelligence in this room. We did what was best for Konoha. Such potential had to either be stunted, controlled, or both to the point where the ... boy could not attack us. Hiruzen understood this and decided to let things play out. Whether or not it went against the wishes of the fourth Hokage was irrelevant. The needs of the village as a whole outweighed the wishes of the select few, said Amir while Tsunade scowled. Says the select few who preyed on the fears of the whole village to get what they had wanted from the start. Says the people in front of me who are afraid to actually make the selfless sacrificial play to ensure Konoha lives to see the next day. You three are a bunch of sniveling cowards, who throw away the true patriots of this village just to sit in your cushy seats of power while judging others for the work they do, said Tsunade while the elders made scowling faces at her to indicate she was not only right, but they hated being called out on it. So what will you do now, Tsunade? Asked Danzo curiously while wondering what she had planned to do about the village weapon. It is Hokage-sama to you, Danzo. If you can't call me by my title, I suggest you not come to any more council meetings and officially retire from all service. As to your question, I will let Naruto do as he wishes. If anyone tries to fuck with him from now on, it will be their own damn fault if he finally decides to smash their stupid faces through a wall or two, said Tsunade while the elders didn't like her answer at all. So you condone him lashing out at Konoha? At its people? At us? Asked Tamura while Tsunade scowled. Yes, I do. As to what I do not condone Hamura-san, his people in this village, which my grandfather built, trying to hurt Naruto and thinking they can get away with it. This village needs a wake-up call, if not a kick in the ass. Who better to kick it than Naruto? Said Tsunade with the elders grimacing. They really didn't like her decision now. The people will not stand for this, Hokage-sama, warned Hamura while Tsunade glared at him. If they are looking for someone to blame on the issue when Naruto starts beating people bloody, they can either look in the fucking mirror, or they can turn their anger out on the three of you for setting this in motion from the start. Take your pick, said Tsunade while giving those three a choice, knowing the people would come bitching to them first before they went to her. Either have these old buzzards turn the blame on the people for hating Naruto since his birth, or accept the blame, the hate, and anger of the mob that would no doubt form as a result of their machinations which brought about its conception. Either way ... she didn't give a shit, and something told her neither would Naruto if he were here in her position. Sure enough, the elders were right about not liking Tsunade's decision regarding Naruto, and letting him do what he wanted should someone try to mess with him. It was quite the shock and wake-up call for Konoha to see the boy they hated suddenly retaliate against them. The first to feel his wrath was the payroll department following his return to the village after killing Orochimaru and Kabuto while bringing back Sasuke. They had tried to cheat him of the full amount from the bounties and mission pay, stating demon tax along with some other nonsense, all with cruel smiles on their faces since they had done it before to him without fear of being punished by the higher-ups and Tsunade's Hokage predecessor. If anything, they were encouraged to do it. Naruto's response: beating them bloody before throwing their bodies in front of the hospital. Naturally, the idiots wanted to press charges against him and make a big deal about it before the Hokage. And why not? The people usually bitched and complained to the third about the brat, even when Naruto didn't do anything at all. However, they weren't dealing with the Sandaime Hokage. They were dealing with the Gondame Hokage. As a result, Tsunade said she had absolutely no problem pressing charges against Naruto, provided they admitted to screwing the boy over for years on his mission pay, and had no doubt tried it prior to the beating he dished out on them. It made them go pale in fear, knowing full well that admitting to such things to the Hokage would result in prison time, and all assets were liquidated before being transferred to Naruto. In short, Tsunade effectively shut them up. And to prove there were no hard feelings, the idiots in question were transferred out to another department that didn't involve Naruto at all, but with significantly reduced pay on their end. Sadly, it didn't end there with those bakas. As time progressed, Naruto had not received a warm welcome from many of the people in the village, and he was not inclined to stand there taking it. The end result was piles of bodies being sent to hospital every other day, regardless if they were shinobi or civilian. Naturally, people tried to pressure Tsunade into doing something to bring the demon under control again, or anything that would return things to the status quo, which basically involved having Naruto as their punching bag again. Tsunade told them no, and that they were getting what was coming to them for their own mistreatment of the boy, since it was unwarranted from the start. If they wanted to file charges, it was their right, but she reminded the poor victims that doing so would require an investigation on her part into their past, and any previous actions they did to provoke Naruto into attacking them in the first place. She would make sure to dig up every dirty trick, act, abuse, and horror the people had done to the boy, no matter how insignificant it may appear. After all, she had to hear both sides of the story and find out which side was telling the truth. Various other shinobi were targeted too, Kakashi for one. The evaluation spar had been one of many beatdowns Naruto had given him due to the fact the man was the student of the blonde's father. Instead of protecting him as a child or teaching him when on a team, the asshole taught next to nothing and focused entirely on Sasuke during that time. Speaking of Sasuke, the elders were moving for the Uchiha to have his punishment from being one of imprisonment to that of house arrest. Tsunade, of course, denied it, stating they might as well have pardoned Itachi, or even Orochimaru if the man were still alive, for all their past misdeeds. The information obtained from various sources at the Dead Sanin's many bases revealed the Uchiha had tested his skills against the many prisoners Orochimaru collected. Sasuke had killed, crippled, maimed, and tortured many people either for training or to satisfy his various dark appetites. So why give this Uchiha any leeway at all? Because of his bloodline. It wasn't as special as everyone made it out to be, given all you had to do was use flash bombs or other various methods that hurt a person's eyesight. Tsunade knew there were shinobi that didn't have Taijutsu bloodline and were 10 times stronger than the Uchiha at the brat's age. Still, rumor had it the elders were going to use some law that they often used to get their way and overrule her standing on the matter, which they did. Only when they came to free Sasuke from his cell, they found the 2 ANBU guarding the cell were dead, killed in a very brutal fashion, and the Uchiha was found dead in his cell. The boy had both of his eyes ripped out of their sockets, a leg and arm were missing, his intestines ripped out and pile on the floor, and upon further inspection noticed blood pooling between his legs unrelated to the last one. The final injury indicating someone had castrated the Uchiha to prevent anyone from having his children and to the rebirth of the Uchiha clan. Naturally, they blamed Naruto, which he openly admitted to doing without shame once brought before the Hokage, the elders, and the clan heads. Originally, Danzo pushed for Naruto to be imprisoned for the act, calling it treason, and proclaimed him an enemy of the village. He never realized it until the blonde's trap was sprung, as Naruto wanted the Warhawk to make a spectacle out of this during the trial. Naruto had called Danzo out on his own patriotism for being a supporter of Orochimaru before the Sannin even went rogue and recruiting the snake into root. Naturally, Danzo denied the accusations fired back at him, calling Naruto and it a weapon speaking out of turn, and disobedient tool unfit to proudly serve Konoha, along with mentioning that there wasn't an ounce of proof the Jinchuriki was telling them the truth. Producing what Sai had on him, the letter addressed to Orochimaru from Danzo with the identities of the various ANBU loyal to Tsunade said otherwise. It was only when Danzo saw the information he gave to Sai and looking back at Naruto did the old Warhawk put 2 and 2 together on how his subordinate truly died that day. Not only that, but Naruto had the Toads do some infiltrating of Danzo's base underneath Konoha, making copies of the files there and soon plopping them on Tsunade's desk. It was amusing to the blonde Jinchuriki to see Danzo's usually emotionless face show fear and anger at having his plans exposed to those he didn't want to see said plans. Even worse, Naruto had surprised him by using a small wind jutsu to cut the bandages around the Warhawk's face off to reveal the Sharingan eye hidden there. Before Danzo could even move to flee or summon Root to his aid, chakra chains from Naruto wrapped around him and squeezed to the point where the man cried out in pain from the pressure. By the time a chakra-suppressing tag could be put on him, Danzo was on his knees and glaring up at Naruto's face. The boy had placed the seal right on his forehead and was so strong, it actually forced the Sharingan eye in Danzo's head to turn to a normal black orb to further prove it came from an Uchiha. Even worse for the Warhawk, his hidden arm had been exposed with the arm itself now looking like it was rotting from the lack of chakra running to it along with the Sharingan eyes literally crying bloody tears. Danzo, of course, was defiant to the end when called out about his actions, stating that everything he did was for Konoha, how he was a patriot, doing what no one else had the courage or strength to do when it mattered most, how he should have been Hokage, how Hiruzen cheated him out of it the first time around thanks to Tobirama and even later on when Minato became Hokage over Orochimaru. Since the Sannin had once been in his root program, Danzo felt he could hold more leverage through his former subordinate, and be the true leader working from the shadows to bring about his version of Konoha. How following the fourth's death, Hiruzen once again took the position of Hokage again, and later Tsunade taking it upon the Sandame's death to further deny his ambition. When it came to the Uchiha clan, Danzo confessed to influencing the event to a degree where he lied to them about staying back when the Kyuubi attacked. He wanted everyone in Konoha to believe they were somehow responsible, planting the seeds of distrust and resentment knowing the village would eventually turn on them, to make things so bad for the clan that they would wish to rebel and could set things in motion to put it down while harvesting their eyes. How he used Orochimaru's desire to splice bloodlines to get him to do it with both Senju and Uchiha together to one day take control of not just the Kyuubi, but all 9 Biju. How he planned to take all 9 back to Konoha and rule from his position like a god while finding a way to use the chakra of the Biju to sustain his life eternally, and becoming true immortal without equal. As to why he confessed so freely, Naruto had put a special matrix in the Fuinjutsu used to seal Danzo's chakra to force the brain into speaking the truth when asked any question. It also helped stimulate the aggression part of the brain so when answered, the person with the seal on them would sound angry, frustrated, and spiteful like they had been cheated. Which is exactly how Naruto wanted Danzo to be portrayed before having the old man's head sliced clean off. Even the seal on Danzo's torso was deactivated since there was no chakra left for the man to try sending into the system to kill everyone. With Danzo out of the way, Tsunade quickly had the other 2 elders arrested despite their own vocal protests, until Naruto told them they had 2 choices, one being they were imprisoned in their homes until they died. The second was him killing them both here in the office and have their sins brought to light and shaming them forever along with Danzo. They quietly took option 1, but they still gave him a glare for doing this to them, as if it was his fault they had done such horrible things in life. Naruto's response to their glare, telling them to fuck off and getting the fuck out of his sight before he did to them what was done to their favorite Uchiha. He would visit and kill their wrinkled old asses later, of course. They still could try rallying the root named Danzo had underground to stage a last-minute coup against Tsunade. No one wanted that. With the internal threat to Konoha taken care of now, Tsunade could refocus her efforts on the Akatsuki. At the moment, the group was down 2 whole members. With Sasuke's death eventually getting out, the Hokage had no doubt Itachi would come back to Konoha to pay a visit to find out what happened to his little brother. And she wasn't disappointed. Itachi had come back to Konoha to kill Naruto since he knew the Uzumaki would be the only one to go that far to hurt and kill Sasuke. The man was livid when he came back to the village after Zetsu had revealed what happened to the younger Uchiha. Itachi knew he was disobeying Pain, Tobai, Madara, and even Jiraiya himself when the Sannin got word of Itachi heading for Konoha to kill the Jinchuriki. Uchiha Itachi wouldn't hear them. He was out for blood. Uzumaki blood. Naruto's blood. Only when facing Naruto did the Uchiha realize how outmatched he was when facing the younger ninja. Naruto was ready for him. It was clear the blonde knew the Uchiha would come back to Konoha to not only get answers, but to avenge his little brother's death. An ironic twist really considering Sasuke wanted to kill Itachi to avenge the clan. So you came to avenge Sasuke. That's ironic all things considered. And the avenging part coming from you no less. Before I kill you in a way equivalent to what you did to my little brother, tell me why. Why did you kill Sasuke? Why mutilate him? Did he sever the bond you had with him so badly that the only way to make the pain stop was to kill him? You honestly think I felt any kind of pain from him severing our so-called bond that we had with each other? I felt no such pain. The only pain I felt from Sasuke was the 3 times he tried to kill me all those years ago during our fight at the Valley of the End in order to get to Orochimaru. Your brother was bastard. One you helped make with your actions and fucking over his mind. Twice. You didn't have to kill him, Naruto. He could have been imprisoned. Rehabilitated from the ground up if possible. You honestly believe that after Orochimaru invested those 3 years into molding your little brother to be his next host, you think Sasuke was going to stop walking his angry path of darkness and vengeance directed at you if he managed to end your life? What makes you think he would stop hating? Stop hurting others? Because you were dead. Because of you. Hatred is the only thing Sasuke knew when it came to having a purpose. With you gone, Sasuke would have been a wild rabid animal roaming the elemental countries, killing just about everything and anyone who so much as sneezed right in his general direction without pity, mercy, or remorse. You don't know that. Actually I do. He told me as much. Before I killed him. You lie. Not about this. Why do you think I did what I did? He was going to be released from his prison by Danzo and the elders, going around the Hokage's authority, His guards were Danzo's route in. They relayed to him what Danzo told them. He was going to be under house arrest with A and BU supposedly watching him. Though we both know it would be the route A and BU watching him. That doesn't explain why you killed Sasuke and that he admitted to killing people after I was dead. But it does. I easily killed the route A and BU myself and saw Sasuke in his cell with chakra-suppressing cuffs on. He had this knowing smirk on his face, as if everything I had done would mean absolutely nothing. You should have heard him talking in his usual superior attitude. How he was going to get let out. How he was going to train. How he was going to turn the village against me for the brutal beating I gave his ass before bringing him back to Konoha. How he was their favorite. How in eyes of the village, he could do no wrong. How he was going to play them like a fiddle into believing going to Orochimaru was a mission to grow strong while infiltrating the Sanin's base of operations. How he was eventually going to go rogue again to hunt your ass down and hurt anyone deemed a threat to his plans to kill you. Sasuke practically admitted to me that he would have no problem burning down an entire orphanage with innocent men, women, and children inside if it meant killing you. I see. In the castration, your little brother apparently likes the idea of raping any woman that remotely piques his interests. He said as much. Fortunately, he didn't, since there wasn't a woman in Sound or the surrounding regions visited in the last 3 years with one that caught his eyes. Hell, I wouldn't have castrated him if not for the fact he said, why would I care if a woman is willing or not? Any woman should be grateful I fuck her raw and was given the seat of an Uchiha elite. I will take any woman I want regardless if they are willing or not. I will impregnate any woman I want and use my sharing to implant a suggestive command for them to keep and raise said child. Besides, women are only good for giving men like me strong offspring to carry on their legacy. They have no other purpose in life, so it's not a crime if I do that to them. So as you can imagine, I took it upon myself to ensure there would be no future child descended from his bloodline. My brother did not say that. He wouldn't admit to doing such a thing or wanting to do such a thing. I have it on tape and on camera. The Hokage had a hidden camera implanted in his cell long before he was put in it. No one knew about the camera except her, Shizune, and myself. Not even Danzo or the elders knew it existed. She figured Danzo might make a play on Sasuke and wanted evidence of his actions in recruiting the Uchiha into route so she could handle him her way. Personally, I wasn't about to stand around and let those two play politics and risk letting the issue of Sasuke's punishment get mudded or hidden under the rug. I took the direct approach to the matter, and as a result, I was able to fully expose Danzo's schemes. I also know you aren't the traitor the Sandaime and Konoha painted you to be following that night. No one can know the truth. The populace would never understand. It would only make the Uchiha clan hated for all time. Even if Danzo was the one to cause it in the first place. I don't care about your clan. I don't care about what you think or feel, Itachi. You made your brother into a monster. You made him into a hate-feeling emo piece of shit also he could one day kill you. And for what? All to redeem the Uchiha clan when in truth, it was doomed the moment you started ending their lives. And now that Sasuke is dead, your so-called chance for the clan being redeemed is lost. No thanks to you. I'm not your brother's fucking life support. I am not going to give up my life for him and to fix your mistakes. You wanted him to redeem your clan. You shouldn't have fucked with his head twice over. You turned him into a rabid dog. You shouldn't be surprised when someone comes along in an attempt to put him down and to do it successfully. All the same, you will suffer for killing my little brother. You will suffer for not carrying out your purpose in life. The Sandaime saw you as the village sacrifice to save us from destruction. You were meant to be used as such repeatedly over time. The fact you refuse to accept this truth is a betrayal of his trust in you, a betrayal of this village, and one to my brother. I will not stand for it, says the man who killed nearly all of his kin. As for the Sandaime, he can take his legacy and go fuck himself. The man I looked up to as a boy was a lie. He was always a lie, to cover for his mistakes, his shame, and his weaknesses in being sentimental to the wrong people. He was soft on Danzo. He was soft on Orochimaru. He was soft on your clan. And he was soft on Sasuke. You call my actions a betrayal. What about yours? You didn't have to kill all of the Uchiha, but chose to do it anyway. So tell me, Itachi, who is the true traitor between us? The shinobi who officially is one and makes them through his actions? Or the shinobi who puts them down? It seems we have nothing left to talk about. Agreed. Goodbye, Itachi. Send my regards to that bastard you call a brother in hell. You first Jinchuriki. The battle between Naruto and Itachi was fierce, both coming at the other with the intent to kill. But not even Itachi, for all his skill, training, and power with his sharing and eyes, could match Naruto's mastery of using Kurama's chakra mixed with Senjutsu. The entire time they were talking, Naruto had been absorbing it right into his body and gearing up for their fight. And boy did they fight. When it was over, the training field looked like a war zone. The trees were either uprooted or incinerated. The ground had craters everywhere with ninja weapons scattered all over. And on the ground in the biggest of the craters was Itachi, or what was left of him. The Uchiha had tried to use Susanoo against Naruto, while the Jinchuriki used his hidden ace up his sleeve in the form of his Rasen Shuriken to obliterate anything Itachi could muster for a defense. When Naruto walked over to the remains of the Uchiha, he saw the man was barely clinging onto to life. His limbs were gone one way or another. His eyes were destroyed and most of his internal organs were destroyed by the overall attack. It was actually a miracle the Uchiha was still alive for as long as he was to have one final conversation with Naruto before death. You won't win, Naruto. Your enemy, your true enemy in the Akatsuki, is stronger than I am. My death will only delay the final confrontation. This plan the Akatsuki has created for the 9 Biju was set in motion before you were born, back when Jiraiya was still in his prime. How much does Jiraiya know about the Akatsuki? Has he kept things from Tsunade? From me? Things not even the Toads know. Yes, he knows things about the organization from what I was able to tell him. Things not even the Hokage knows. Jiraiya kept things even from the Sandaime. As for the Toads, if they knew the true extent of his involvement in certain events leading up to the Akatsuki's birth, it would anger them greatly. Why? Tell me why. Because the leader of the Akatsuki is known as Pain and his partner Conan were former students of Jiraiya. He found them as orphans near Aim along with a third boy named Yahiko. He trained them to survive the harshness of their environment and saw one of them had the eyes of the sage. The Rinnegan. If that is true, why didn't he take them with him back to Konoha? Why didn't Jiraiya raise you when it was his duty as your godfather? Point taken. So what happened next? I honestly do not know. All I know is one of them died and Madara came along shortly to corrupt the organization. Capturing the 9 Biju and using their combined might as a deterrent for war was his idea he implanted in Pain's mind. The ultimate weapon to be used as a deterrent to force peace on the world. But it's a lie. Madara has other plans that do not involve such things. Madara is dead. He's too old to be alive. The man claiming to be him says otherwise. What does he look like? Does he wear Madara's armor? Does he have the Sharingan? No. He wears a spiral mask and standard ninja gear under his Akatsuki robes and calls himself Tobai in front of the group. Plus, he pretends to be an idiot so none of the other members know he is Madara. But to answer your last question, yes, he does have the Sharingan and can turn it off. Only an Uchiha can do that, so the man is clearly from my clan. Which further proves he isn't Madara. The real Madara would never do such a thing in front of anyone. Acting like an idiot and hiding behind a mask is not something the real Madara would do. His pride would never allow it. He's clearly an Uchiha, but clearly not the most infamous one. Nevertheless, he calls himself Madara. He was the one who attacked the night of your birth and ripped the Kyuubi from your mother's body to take control of it. Only someone like Madara could that in the past. I figured as much from what the fox showed me from his own memories of that night with my parents dying. Doesn't matter. I know enough about the fool to plan a proper defense against his little time-space manipulation and transparency technique. When the time does come, I'll crush the Akatsuki and any who support them. You swim against the tide. You will drown in the attempt. Perhaps, but I have no problem making waves that will set change in motion before I do. A kunai to the skull later and Uchiha Itachi was no longer alive. After he did that, Naruto found Tsunade had come with a small army of NBU, the clan heads, Jounin, and Jiraiya, with the last one glaring at the Jinchuriki. Of course, Naruto wasn't surprised the man was upset with him. Not only did the blonde Uzumaki prove he was strong, but he had killed Jiraiya's only spy that high up in the Akatsuki organization. Never once did he show concern for Naruto's own health or the fact Itachi no longer acted as a spy for him when coming back to Konoha to kill for revenge. Of course, Tsunade was also angry, but surprisingly, her anger was not aimed at Naruto for killing Itachi. He didn't do anything wrong despite Jiraiya saying otherwise. No, the woman's anger was aimed at Jiraiya for not informing her of Itachi being a spy in the first place. She also felt the truth regarding the Uchiha clan plotting a coup and Itachi doing it in order to spy on the Akatsuki should have been brought to her attention after becoming Hokage. Jiraiya disagreed, stating if he told her where some of his key spies were, it would make his value as a spy master diminish. Plus, the less she apparently knew about who his spies were in various parts of the world, the better. Plausible deniability were the two words he chose to reference, but Tsunade thought differently since Jiraiya's current handling of Konoha's spy network had become crappy. From what Tsunade had gathered since Jiraiya had been out of the village for 12 years to provide Konoha with information, which he passed along to the Sandaime, the informants were not reporting in on time or their information was vague at best. Some had threatened to quit unless given an increased paycheck and holding the information they held as key leverage. Others threatened to go to the enemies of Konoha to provide them with the key information they held in exchange for immunity for past spying. Others simply wanted out because the Toad Sannin had found them in dire straits at the time of first meeting them and continued to blackmail these people unless they played ball with the pervert. Some of these spies were women, and from what Tsunade had been able to carefully read, her former teammate had gotten far more than just the information from their spying from them. If it wasn't from the fact they were in such valuable spots and needed for them, Tsunade would pull those spies out with those willing to take over. But she knew replacing old spies with new ones was extremely tricky, and there was also the fact Jiraiya would never let those female spies go on living knowing the tables would turn on him in terms of who was blackmailing who. If these women told the various people in positions of power about Jiraiya and what he did to them in order to obtain their loyalty as spies, it would not only severely damage his reputation, but put Konoha in a bad light too. It seemed no matter what, her former teammate for a pervert left a big fat stain or stink on Konoha that no one could remove no matter how hard they tried. Even worse, Jiraiya had some debts of his own outside the village that were not on the books and had conveniently forgetting about. until they came to bite him in the ass. The first one was the issue with the Nechiko village, which was waiting for Jiraiya to honor his promise he made to the former leader of said village years ago. The Kunoichi from said village named Takiwa came with Shizuka to Konoha after hearing about Naruto killing so many S-ranked nin and the other rumor he was Jiraiya's student. Tsunade had admitted the boy was Jiraiya's student for a short time, but had a falling out over the teaching methods the Sannin used during that time frame. After hearing what Jiraiya had promised, Tsunade had all the more reason and desire to smash her former teammate's head into the ground before breaking every other bone in his body, starting with the tiny one he had between his legs, since that seemed to be where his damn brain seemed to relocate itself 98% of the time. As for Jiraiya himself, the pervert had conveniently made himself scarce when hearing how two Kunoichi from Nechiko had come to Konoha. Fucking coward. As for Naruto, he accepted the challenge, but on the condition of choosing to nullify any marriage arrangement between them. If he was going to honor the agreement made by Jiraiya, his possible future bride would have to be strong enough to make him sweat a bit to earn the right to be his future wife. After all, if she wasn't strong enough to last against him in a drawn-out fight, how can she be good wife material for him to marry? If he was not impressed, the arranged marriage would be nullified, and that would be the end of it. Shizuka found it acceptable, and surprisingly so did Takiwa, who smirked at how Naruto was able to turn their village laws against them. Shizuka hated those laws that said she had to fight the man who would be her future husband if he won against her. The man she loved was dead, and closing off her heart was the only thing left for Shizuka to do. Even with Naruto's condition, Shizuka still wanted this whole mission to end, and just let him win by default, if not for her Kunoichi pride and the pride of her village being at stake. Besides, Naruto had made it clear the only way for this to work one way or another was the woman going all out against him. And so they fought, with Tsunade and Takiwa as witnesses to the event along with a few curious Konoha shinobi, only to have a pest and puppeteer named Kokuyo, who wanted Shizuka for himself, and to rule Nechiko like a king to interfere in the fighting. Of course, he was easily crushed thanks to Shizuka destroying his puppet, and was quickly arrested by the Hokage for his entering the village illegally. The fight between Naruto and Shizuka continued, with the latter trying to hit the former with everything she had. But in the end, the Kunoichi failed to so much as make Naruto bleed, even for 1 second. It was clear that he was just too strong for her and could not win no matter what she did. In the end, Shizuka lost, but at the same time, won the right to live freely without having to be married to someone she didn't love. Not that she didn't find Naruto ugly. Quite the opposite. She found him handsome, and after getting to know him following their fight had almost made Shizuka regret not marrying the young shinobi. The fact he was so strong and not ranked higher was a bit of a bafflement to her. It was only when he openly admitted to being a Jinchuriki did she understand his rank being that of a Genin while everyone else was Chunin or higher. She had heard stories about the Jinchuriki in general, mostly hated, used as weapons of war, tied to the village cage on some level. How they were violent, bloodthirsty, how the one in Kiri became Mizukage and had caused a civil war with those having bloodlines. Suna's own Jinchuriki had been killing people shortly after the time he could walk and clearly enjoyed it. But seeing Naruto and talking to him showed her that not all Jinchuriki were like that in regards to killing everyone in their path. In fact, Naruto cleared up why Gaara was the way he was in the first place, and how it wasn't the kid's fault. Rather, his father did it and didn't even have the courage to consider the option of having the faulty seal looked at to fix Gaara's inability to sleep at night. Insomnia and having a biju in your head constantly talking about killing and spilling blood was not good for someone's mental health. When it was finally time to leave, Shizuka bid Naruto farewell, and even being so bold as to kiss him on the cheek while thanking him getting her out of this situation. Naruto gave her a genuine smile, one he rarely gave to anyone, but still gave to those who deserved it. He almost missed the blush that formed on Shizuka's face when she turned to leave the village and wondered if marrying the woman wouldn't be such a bad idea. He did have a clan to revive after all, and Naruto got the distinct impression his mother was on the other side saying, "Give me grandbabies right now." "You're such a pervert, Naruto," accused Sakura with her arms crossed and face forming into a scowl. "Oh really? Her kissing me on the cheek makes me a pervert." "You wouldn't be saying that if Sasuke kissed you on the cheek," countered Naruto while Sakura's scowl deepened on her face. "She should have castrated you," remarked Sakura after witnessing the whole thing. "For what? Winning our fight?" asked Naruto with a scowl of his own. "That's and for simply being the super pervert student," answered Sakura bitterly while Naruto scoffed at her, knowing her reason for being this was due to Sasuke. She never would forgive him for killing and castrating Sasuke if the truth got out to her on the subject. The Kunoichi in front of him would no doubt feel the Uchiha's possible future children deserved some chance at redemption. "I wasn't his student, not for the last year and a half. And the first year and a half, he did absolutely nothing except peep on women and drink himself stupid at bars. With my own money no less after stealing it. Not much for a training trip between master and student, is it?" Naruto shot back while Sakura scoffed back. "Or maybe you were just a poor student looking for an excuse not to do any of the heavy lifting needed to get stronger," mocked Sakura, which earned her a blast of killing intent, and making the Kunoichi show signs of sweating. "Says the Uchiha fangirl who couldn't do anything to literally save her life when she was younger and we were on missions. It took you a C-turned-to-ranked mission, an invasion by 2 shinobi villages, and 3 years with the new Hokage to snap you out of it. Of course, judging from the negative feelings coming off of you right now, I take it you still hate the fact I didn't treat our former teammate with kid gloves this time around, said Naruto while not mentioning Sasuke was now dead by his hands. As far as Sakura knew, the Uchiha was still imprisoned in a cell, and for a very long time befitting his treachery. No doubt his pink-haired teammate thought she could one day try to convince the Hokage later to help him bringing Sasuke back into the fold. Why shatter her dreams and fantasies about the jerk? Tsunade could do that for him. He was our friend Naruto. Friends don't do that to each other, countered Sakura, but the glare and killing intent from Naruto only increased. Oh, and what about what he did to me? You say friends don't hurt friends. Well, our so-called friend tried and succeeded in hurting me. Even worse, he tried to kill me. As far as I am concerned here, Sakura, the team was not a friend. He was not a teammate. He was a power-hungry asshole and deserved the beating I gave him, if not more, stated Naruto before he left. I'm sure Sasuke-kun feels regret for doing what he did Naruto. Can't you feel any at all for him? Asked Sakura while Naruto stopped and glanced back. My only regret, Sakura, is the simple fact I didn't do worse when we fought each other for that brief moment, said Naruto before he was gone in swirl of leaves, and leaving Sakura shocked at his words. Following that incident, Tsunade wanted more answers from Jiraiya about the Akatsuki and who was this leader Itachi mentioned before dying. It was clear by the Uchiha's last words that her former teammate knew more than he was letting on or was going to reveal for one reason or another. Of course, Jiraiya was being tight-lipped on the issue about the Akatsuki and refused to answer, at least at first. It was amazing how breaking few ribs, a leg, 3 fingers on each hand, and the threat of castration could loosen one's tongue. So Jiraiya reluctantly admitted how the leader of the Akatsuki was another former and secret student. One Jiraiya claimed was believed to be dead years ago. One he thought wasn't truly important despite the fact the boy in question had the legendary Rinnegan eyes in his possession. It was a major blunder on Jiraiya's part, and even more so when the Sannin inadvertently admitted the boy's last name was in fact Uzumaki, possibly a distant relative of Kushina's in some manner, or at the very least a cousin from within the Uzumaki clan itself. A boy named Nagato, who apparently abandoned his name for the new one he gave himself and was now called Pain. Jiraiya further admitted he had known for some time who Pain really was and wanted to go to aim to fix his mistake in letting Pain become too powerful. Tsunade forbid it. If Jiraiya was going to go, it was not going to be alone, and on some self-sacrificing mission designed to redeem himself in the eyes of Naruto. She knew Jiraiya well enough that he would do such a thing for 2 main reasons. 1, to avoid the fight that she knew Naruto really wanted to have with him. And second, to make sure that his noble actions left a powerful impression on Naruto's own psyche to influence the boy to doing things while following Jiraiya's beliefs, not his own, essentially hijacking Naruto's own free will and trying to control it from beyond the grave with his memorable actions of sacrificing himself for the greater good. Naruto wouldn't have it, and told Jiraiya as such. He wouldn't allow Jiraiya to get out of their fight using Pain as an excuse, nor allow the man to sacrifice himself in the hopes his death would have some kind of influence from beyond the grave. Angered by this, Jiraiya shot back saying he didn't give a damn what Naruto wanted, and never did care from the start. He was going to ensure the prophecy was fulfilled and his dreams would be realized over all others. Before either Naruto or Tsunade could try to do anything else, Jiraiya reverse-summoned himself back the home of the Toads to recover there. Tsunade swore and cursed at Jiraiya for being a moron and trying to do something that had long-lasting consequences for those who had to clean up his messes. Naruto, however, chose to be calm about it like the Toads taught him when training under them. Focus your mind, young tadpole. Rushing into things can get you killed. Your past history of doing so is proof of this. Think about what is happening and who is involved. Think how they might act and react accordingly. You do not need a Jutsu like the Sharingan to predict every single move your opponent makes, just the major ones. Your mind can do that if it knows what to look for in a person and their own personal beliefs. Those had been the words of wisdom Pa had given him when training Naruto and wanted the boy to learn about looking before leaping. It was okay to sit still and think about the things around you before making the leap. It was the way of the Toads, but it was also important to never sit for too long. Something Jiraiya had never been able to learn on his own and often abused in terms of knowing when to act or not to act on matters he deemed to be important. I know where he is going once healed, said Naruto while Tsunade scowled since it was obvious to her too regarding Jiraiya's destination. I'll get an A and BU squad together along with some Jounin. They'll drag him back before he can get halfway there, said Tsunade angrily. There is no point. He'll be there before the group can be deployed. Just send me, said Naruto with Tsunade looking shocked. Absolutely not. First off, you are still ranked a genin. Second, I would be giving the Akatsuki exactly what they want. Even if they didn't extract your Biju right away, it does not mean they will make your time there as a prisoner any less pleasant. Some of them are pure sadists, protested Tsunade while Naruto scoffed. First, they won't get me. You don't train as hard as I do, only to get captured. Second, you can promote me easily enough. Not to mention rank doesn't count for shit in the real world. And third, if I can kill Itachi, Orochimaru, Kabuto, Sasori of the Red Sands, and Deidara the Mad Bomber of Iwa, I can handle the others, said Naruto with Tsunade now glaring at him. Even if what you say is true, I would be an idiot to send you to aim alone without backup, said Tsunade with Naruto frowning. Perhaps, but it really depends on the backup, said Naruto with Tsunade looking like she had been slapped by him. You're suggesting the ninja SMD would backstab you? Questioned Tsunade while she saw Naruto's glare intensify. In a heartbeat. All those years growing up and I was getting beaten, they watched. Some even went as far as to join in. They knew who my father was. They knew enough about Fuinjutsu to know the difference between prison and prisoner. Did they care? No. Why would they? Who was going to remind them of their oaths to the fourth? Who was going to enforce it? The Sandaime. He gave the order. Force the Kyuubi Jinchuriki into submission. Make sure he is nothing like his mother. Like his father. Make him weak. Reliant on me. Reliant on those I tell him to be reliant on. You haven't rotated out the ANBU when becoming Hokage, and I can easily sense those in your office looking at me with hatred. You assign any of them to provide support, they'd sooner sell me out to the Akatsuki and make up any story they wanted, said Naruto while Tsunade winced since what he told her was true. What do you have in mind? Asking Tsunade with Naruto shrugging. As I said, you just have to send me. We both know it will take some time for Jiraiya to heal from the beating you just gave him. The Toads are more loyal to me over him. The moment he pops out of their realm, they will tell me. Once that happens, I'll head to aim and stop the fool from doing something stupid, said Naruto while Tsunade grimaced. Fine. Considering your actions since coming back and your level of power, if not your strength, I'm promoting you straight to Jounin, said Tsunade with Naruto looking a tad surprised. Are you sure you can do that? Won't the rest of the shinobi forces who hate my guts go throw a fit? Go on and on about procedure and exams and all that crap. Don't I have go through promotional ranks one at a time instead of skipping them? Questioned Naruto with Tsunade shrugging since she understood his surprise. He was expecting her to simply promote him to Chunin now, followed by Jounin in the distant future sometime later. I'm the Hokage. I can promote and demote whoever I like to any rank I like if they are qualified enough. Honestly, those exams are all meant to draw clients to our village on a large scale, and to get the potential Jounin for their jobs. I can easily do that just as much after word gets out on how many S-ranked shinobi you recently killed, said Tsunade smirking at Naruto. Well, better late than never, said Naruto with a smirk of his own. Sometime later. Sure enough, the Akatsuki were not happy. Losing Itachi, Sasori, and Deidara was a very crippling blow to the organization. They needed to turn things around. Not to mention they needed to gain new recruits and an increase in finances, which meant they needed to go out and collect high-paying bounties of various targets. Hence why the zombie brothers of the Akatsuki had sacked the Fire Temple for their intended target there, knowing the money would help the organization greatly. Not to mention it would make the infamy of the Akatsuki grow, knowing just two of them had destroyed the Fire Temple simply to collect the bounty on one person. Naturally, the monks fought back, only to fall and die bloody death by their hands. It wasn't long before they encountered and fought Konoha shinobi in the form of Jounin Sarutobi Asuma, who had nearly died at their hands from their 2-on-1 assault. Nearly. Well, if it isn't the undead bitches of the world. How is it hanging? Or do you undead assholes not even have dicks? Taunted Naruto from his spot behind the two Akatsuki members and getting their attention. I'm going to enjoy sacrificing you to Jashin-sama, exclaimed Hidden angrily. Come out of that circle and do it yourself. Or do you have to ask your Jashin-sama to do it for you, like a pussy? Mocked Naruto with Hidden looking livid while Kakuzu looked at the blonde with narrowed eyes and sensing the boy's strength. He's not weak like our initial reports claimed 3 years ago. Itachi said he was weak and had no way of mastering the Kyuubi's chakra within him. It was only because of Jiraiya that we failed to grab him. But if reports are to be believed, the Jinchuriki killed quite a few S-ranked missing nin since his return. Thought Kakuzu, knowing the bounties Naruto earned from his recent kill count of high-valued targets had really pissed off the assigned treasurer of the Akatsuki to no end. The only reason Kakuzu didn't rush at Naruto was twofold. 1. He wasn't a hot-headed idiot like Hidden. 2. He sensed Naruto's power easily enough to be reminded of the first Hokage all those years ago when trying to assassinate him. Kakuzu learned from his past mistakes regarding the late shot aim and knew going all out on Naruto was a mistake. Damn it, kid. Run, protested Asuma while Naruto surprised them all by glaring at him. Am I talking to you, Sarutobi-san? No. Good. Help is on the way, so stay still and try not to bleed to death, said Naruto before refocusing on the two Akatsuki members. A little harsh on your fellow Jounin, I see, commented Kakuzu while getting ready for a fight. His father wronged me when I was a child. Not to mention the fool took a shot at me once when coming out of a bar drunk off his ass when I was 6 years old, said Naruto while Asuma winced from the memory since he did have a slight remembrance of that moment despite the drunken haze. He had been drunk at the time and angry with his old man. Hokage duties having driven a wedge between father and son. So when he came around a corner, near an alley, Asuma saw the 6-year-old Uzumaki Naruto digging through a dumpster for food. The young Hiruzen knew who the boy was and scowled in his drunken state, and seeing the brat his father was interested in for so long. Why couldn't his father pay more attention to him, his son? Instead, his father focuses his attention on Naruto, regardless of the reason, which Hiruzen refused to specify about, and ignore the wishes of his own son. Anger and alcohol mixed in a chaotic swirl, and Asuma's vision had mixed with red when attacking a surprised Uzumaki Naruto. The boy had dodged the first couple of punches, but the rest not so much, and soon Naruto had found himself pinned to an alley wall with a kunai to his shoulder. What followed was beating from the drunken shinobi along with those trench knives the man had on hand to slice up the brat pretty bad and give the poor blonde a near-fatal experience. And not once did the now Konoha Jounin ever come forward and admit his shame or give Naruto and apologize for it. Instead, he acted like it never happened, secretly buried under the rug and those who knew acting like it never happened. But Naruto knew. Naruto had a distinct memory of the faces of those who wronged him, and Asuma was no exception. The only reason the blonde Jinchuriki didn't hunt the asshole down sooner was due to the Sarutobi being out of the village on a long-term mission. It was only fitting the cig-smoking Jounin suffer near death, bleeding from as many life-threatening injuries given to him by Hidden. The man's team would be here soon anyway. Ino was trained as a medic, and so healing her old sensei wouldn't be too difficult for her. Huh, the little shit is hated in his village just like the others, exclaimed Hidden with a grin on his face. At least I have a shinobi village. Unlike you, I heard all about you, Jashin priest. Your shinobi village lost its balls to be one and you went on a rampage as a result. Must have hurt to know your village didn't have what it takes. Did you cry, whine like a bitch, maybe even peed yourself like a little baby while crying like one? Asked Naruto with a grin on his face while Hidden looked like he was ready to explode with rage. Only before he could, a shadow clone of Naruto struck from behind and kicked Hidden in the back of his head. The force behind it sent him flying out of the circle he made for himself to use against Asuma and ended the ritual. You fucker, yelled Hidden while Kakuzu frowned. Calm yourself, Hidden. He's upsetting you on purpose so you make mistakes, warned Kakuzu while Hidden snarled. Not hard to do. All it takes is insulting his impudent god and the moron goes on a tirade lasting for hours, taunted Naruto while Hidden was foaming at the mouth. I'm going to gut your fucking as AAH, exclaimed Hidden when a shadow clone of Naruto shot out of the ground behind the priest, but this time took his head off with a wind-coated kunai. And surprisingly, the man's head kept on talking while cursing before Naruto's shadow clone punted it to another one holding a box with sealing tags on it. Before Kakuzu could do anything, the shadow clone along with the box were both gone in a puff of smoke. What did you do? Asked Kakuzu curiously. My shadow clone reverse summoned to the Toad Clan's mountain. They are going to use their sage arts to purify Hidden and sever his connection to Jashin. Are you upset? Questioned Naruto with Kakuzu shrugging. Honestly, no. Hidden would always curse, yell, shout, and be an annoyance whenever we partnered together, going on about his religion and how great it was when compared to everything else. I'm honestly surprised the Akatsuki kept him. The world Pain wishes to create does not sit well with someone like Hidden being a part of it, answered Kakuzu while Naruto stood there watching him. Which explains why you never moved to help him, commented Naruto while Kakuzu shrugged again. He would have done the same to me if I were in his position. We were only put in the same pairing simply because we can't kill the other. Hidden had previous partners who died by his hands simply on impulse to appease his god. My 5 hearts prevented that, said Kakuzu while Naruto's smirk grew. Until now, said Naruto before a rumbling came from the ground. Kakuzu's eyes widened when the ground erupted with dozens of chakra chains wrapped around him along with his various hearts. Struggling to escape, Kakuzu struggled to escape, but found it wasn't possible, and soon felt each heart being stabbed by the chakra chains. You were stalling so those chains would make their way through the ground to me, said Kakuzu while his remaining heart was being squeezed by the chakra chain around it. No shit, I'm an Uzumaki. If my mother can do this, why can I? Asked Naruto before he commanded the chain to squeeze hard until the remaining heart it was crushing exploded, and thus killing the missing nin of Taki. Thanks Gaki, you are a lifesaver. If you weren't here, I would be finished, said Asuma while Naruto simply walked over to him and punched the badly injured man in the face and knocking the Jounin out. Shut up, whispered Naruto before walking away from the bleeding man to seal up Kakuzu's body just as the second-generation Ino Shikacho arrived. Whoa, what happened here? Asked Ino while rushing to Asuma's side. The Akatsuki. They killed a former shinobi and guardian 12-turn-fire monk, a good friend of mine. I intercepted them after they had sacked the fire temple. They were too much for me, said Asuma weakly while Ino went to work on healing him. But not for Naruto? Asked Shikamaru curiously. He didn't even break a sweat, said Asuma while deciding to keep the fact the blonde boy had punched him in the face or revealed their past altercation years ago. Really? What did Jiraiya-sama teach you? How did you get so strong? Asked Choji to Naruto who finished sealing up the body and hearts of Kakuzu. He didn't teach me shit. The only thing that asshole did was drink in bars, peep on the women in hot springs, and sleep with whores with more STDs in their bodies than the overall populace of Konoha. He took my money, left me alone at various points in time while dumped scrolls in my lap without any means of understanding the material. As to how I got so strong, I trained with the actual toad summons and learned more from them during my 1.5 years than I did with the perverted asshole, said Naruto coldly before he glanced at Asuma, who was looking a tad nervous. Naruto? Asked Shikamaru curiously while seeing the look between the blonde and his former sensei. Don't worry about it, Shikamaru. Just remembering a certain moment in time not unlike now, but with different people in different positions. Talk to Sarutobi there. He knows all about it. Afterwards, come see me. The story your former sensei tells you may have quite a few truths. Retracted on his end in order to hide his shame, said Naruto before he left them to look at Asuma, who was again looking increasingly nervous. Asuma-sensei, asked Ino with Asuma closing his eyes and letting out a sign. It's a complicated story. I'll tell you later. Just let me heal. I need to collect my thoughts on certain matters, said Asuma while looking up at the sky while Ino continued to heal him. This is unacceptable. We have lost practically over half our members in just a few short months. The rings taken from the corpses have been destroyed save the one off of Hidden's headless body, but that just be speculation at this point, said Pain angrily at how things had spiraled downward for them while Conan was watching him from a distance. We need to recruit new members. Find a way to replicate the destroyed rings, remarked Conan while Tobai shook his head. Those rings were one of a kind. We can't make new ones yet, not without doing some serious research and finding the means to make more. It could take years, decades, time you do not have, time that we do not have, said Tobai in rare serious tone. Where is Kasame? Asked Conan since he wasn't here. He went out to capture Iwa's 2 Jinchuriki alone. I was going to send Zetsu or even Tobai here with him, but the man refused. He said taking on 2 Jinchuriki might make things interesting for him, said Pain while Conan narrowed her eyes. And you let him go? Asked Conan while Pain nodded. There was no point in refusing him. Besides, if we sent either Tobai or Zetsu with him, I have no doubt they would have been targeted by the man's sword. We do not need one of our stronger members deciding to lash out at those who remain like a wild animal. I trust Kasama to channel his bloodlust properly and report when possible to us once the job is completed, said Pain while knowing it was best to unleash Kasama against their enemies over stopping him. He would let the monster run free. Their enemies would hunt and eventually kill Kasama, but Pain also knew the monster of Kiri would take plenty of them down before that did happen. As a result, Pain knew the number of his enemies from the 5 shinobi villages would be diminished significantly. Shame. You were going to need him, commented Jiraiya, who came out of the shadows with a serious look on his face. Hello, sensei. It's been a long time, commented Pain while Zetsu and Tobai decided it was time to vanish back into the shadows. Not long enough. I see you have changed since the last time we saw each other. At least Conan became every bit as beautiful as I believed, replied Jiraiya with a small smile to the woman. If you are done having perverted thought about Conan, I think it's time you explained your presence here, said Pain while Jiraiya's smile left him. To fix some mistakes I made in the past. Namely with you, answered Jiraiya with Pain staring at him impassively. You have known of our activities for some time. Yet you are personally interfering now of all times. Why? Questioned Conan while Pain watched Jiraiya's body movements. Personal reasons, commented Jiraiya while Pain knew that while it was the truth, it was also a lie. Half-truths, Jiraiya-sensei. You always hated it when we told you lies are half-truths. Don't tell me you have become a hypocrite since the last time we saw you, commented Pain, as he recalled a time when Jiraiya always demanded they tell him the truth, and hated how the 3 orphans of AIM would try to deceive him. Enough talking. Time to end this, said Jiraiya while Pain nodded. Agreed. Conan, do not interfere, ordered Pain while Conan nodded and took several steps back. You underestimate me, Nagato. You always did, said Jiraiya with a smirk before he summoned Pa and Ma to his shoulders. Nagato is dead. I am Pain. As to underestimating you, I was a child, believe you were someone to look up to when growing up. And did they secretly place something on the back of Jiraiya? After today, I will show why I am the strongest of my 3 teammates despite the fact I was the dead last of my genin team, said Jiraiya with Pain looking unafraid. Hardly something to boast about. Orochimaru was the weakest of us when he joined for our protection once going rogue from your village. He is focused on staying young and dissecting things over expanding his actual skills. Tsunade was a drunk and gambler for over a decade, so her skills have no doubt declined. You haven't improved on anything since the Yondaime Hokage was alive. You are the strongest of your 3 teammates due to their skills being rusty or neglected while yours have stagnated, said Pain mockingly while Jiraiya grit his teeth. We'll see, said Jiraiya before he used his imperfect version of Sen and Moto after he had gathered enough senjutsu during their conversation. Not see, more like, I know, said Pain before his other 6 paths suddenly appeared and now made Jiraiya a tad nervous. Ah crap, thought Jiraiya while he braced himself for the fight that was to come. This fight was going to hurt. Jiraiya was right. This fight did hurt. In fact, the last time he was this badly beaten in a one-sided fight, Tsunade had caught him peeping on her in the hot springs. If he didn't get medical attention fast, Jiraiya was certain death would descend upon him. Pa and Ma were bested and sent back to the mountain where they would no doubt report this incident to Naruto, if not Tsunade. Man, was she going to be pissed off at him. Damn, and here I was hoping to fix things and set Naruto on the path I wanted for him by proving my superior strength. Oh well, maybe my death will be just as effective since the brat does appreciate those who act as martyrs for a cause, thought Jiraiya while he let a small chuckle leave his mouth. You shouldn't laugh, Jiraiya. I have won. You have lost. The time has come for you to die, said Pain while a chakra rod was in his hand and ready to stab the Sannin. Only for a sudden orange flash manifest itself and Naruto was there glaring down at the toad Sannin. I figured as much. Look at what he did to you. It's bad enough you fled when those 2 Kunoichi from that Kunoichi-only village came regarding your promise, but you had the never to run after Tsunade tried to beat some sense into your perverted ass. She told you not to come here and do this. You practically committed treason for disobeying her. And for what? To make sure the prophecies stay focused on me and not on him, said Naruto angrily before he glared up at Pain. Kyuubi Jinchuriki, you made a fatal error in coming here of all places. And to save him no less, said Pain while Naruto snarled. I didn't come here to save his dumbass out of the goodness of my heart. I came to bring a dumb shit back to Konoha so Tsunade could heal him up just so she can beat him bloody all over again. Pa and Ma only came here when summoned by the Baka so they could put a Hurricane tag on him so I could interfere shortly after they got knocked off his dumbass. Good thing too, since not even Tsunade can repair the loss of his arm if left off for too long. Still, with all the groping he did on women, whether consensual or not, it seems fitting he lose at least one of them, explained Naruto before he kicked Jiraiya in his already broken ribs for good measure. No respect, whispered Jiraiya while Naruto glared at him. Considering you tried to grope my mother when she was slightly drunk one night and thought you could get away with it, you should have lost your raisin-sized balls years ago. Just another reason for me to fight and beat the living shit out of you, exclaimed Naruto before he picked up the Sannin by the back of his coat. You will not be leaving here with him. He knows too much. As do you, said Pain while his 3 remaining 6 paths to Pain surrounded them. And you think you do. Itachi was Jiraiya's spy. He told this idiot everything and passed it along to the Sandame. After the old shit monkey died, it went to the Gondame. Not only that, but I have it on good authority that you aren't the true leader of the Akatsuki, just the puppet. Ironic considering you command quite a few of them around us, said Naruto with Pain showing emotions on his paths with each one scowling. I am a god. My eyes are that of one. You will fall to me, said Pain while Naruto just scoffed. Like I haven't heard that one before today. Also, the masked idiot calling himself Uchiha Madara. He's not the real deal. Just an Uchiha for a student using his name. If he were the real Uchiha Madara, the fool would wear the armor of the man, and not act like a total idiot in front of others from the start, said Naruto while Pain narrowed his eyes at this and so did Conan. Why tell me this? To divide us? Asked Pain while Naruto shook his head. No, so you are aware of him lying to you. So you can be ready for when he betrays you for the real plan for having all the biju. Or did you really think he would be honest with you regarding the purpose of the giant statue several rooms away? Asked Naruto since the toads had been to aim earlier to scout ahead and saw the statue itself before Jiraiya was even ready to come here. Are you saying it's not a weapon of ultimate power? Asked Conan with Naruto smirking since he had the toads do some serious investigation work and using shadow clones to spread out through the elemental countries to dig through all dusty libraries. Kurama also helped fill in some blanks too. It took some serious leaps of faith from the fox to disclose things, but it was worth it. I didn't say that. It is a weapon of sorts, a living weapon, dating back to when the sage was still alive. One that some people think they can control if they have a certain Dijutsu in their possession. Ask your fake Madara about it. Ask about the story of Jubai and how it was defeated by the sage. See what his reaction to hearing it is and see for yourself if I was telling the truth. Hopefully, you two can put the pieces together in relation to that ugly-ass statue and the 9 biju being needed for it, said Naruto while Pain looked at Conan, who was frowning further. And you wish for us to let you go with Jiraiya as compensation for this information, surmised Conan with Naruto shrugging before the blonde picked up the arm Jiraiya had lost during the fighting. Perhaps, as I mentioned earlier, I have a personal score to settle with Jiraiya regarding his past slights against me. You already got your 10 pounds of flesh off of his perverted ass. Now it's my turn. Think about what I said. And don't worry about Kasame. I killed him 2 days ago before he even made it to Iwa and returned Samehada to Kiri and the new Mizukage, said Naruto while Pain and Conan were both shocked by this. How? Asked Pain while tempted to use a chakra rod to stab Naruto and force him into submission. Simple. Take away his chakra-eating sword and the man runs out of chakra fast without gaining any back at a later time. That sword feeds him chakra because his own body can't sustain any reserves for long due to a genetic defect his body possesses. Naturally, the man did have chakra, but he can't increase his reserves through training, and what he uses does not come back. It was one of the main reasons he could use Samehada's ability to eat chakra in the first place and why he liked to fight. Absorbing all that chakra through the sword and no one realizing that the man was a walking chakra-eating factory like his sword. But, if you take away the ability to use it and go on a full-out fight with someone like me, you lose in the long run, said Naruto while Pain didn't look happy with that piece of information. Kasame was considered a biju without a tail due to his massive chakra reserves, but no one had suspected he only obtained such reserves through Samehada. Most assumed the sword took the majority of the chakra eaten off of people and gradually channeled some of it into him. No one assumed the man needed the sword just as much as the sword had a need for Kasame. The Shark Man basically threw himself into fights knowing his enemies would generate chakra his sword could devour and send to himself to keep his reserves up. Kasame's death wasn't expected, but was no real loss to us either. In times of peace like what I wish to accomplish, people like him fade from existence or lose all purpose in life. No doubt Kasame preferred the idea of going down fighting and did just that against the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, thought Pain, as he watched Naruto readjust Jiraiya onto his back. I'll see you soon. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the plant man with your fake Madara was in on the original scheme they kept from you. If you do use your Uzumaki sensory abilities like I have, you will know what I am talking about. Cousin, said Naruto while seeing Pain and Conan look at him in surprise. And in a flash, the young blonde-haired Uzumaki was gone. Do you think he was telling us the truth? Asked Conan with Pain narrowing his eyes further in thought. I do not know, but I have a way of finding out. First, I need to replace my lost paths. Once they are replaced, we will get our answers, said Pain while wanting to know the real plan the supposed Madara was keeping from him. You are a baka. Do you know that? Do you have any idea just how stupid you are for pulling a stunt like that? Going to aim without my permission? For defying me? Do you know just how much I want to beat you within an inch of your life? Demanded Tsunade angrily at the person in the hospital bed, in a fully body cast, and was at an angle where injured person could not look away. Tsunade-sama, given his condition I don't think, said Shizune, but was silenced by a glare. Do not pity him, Shizune. Jiraiya deserved his near-death experience. He's lucky I was even able to save and reattach his arm. With enough physical therapy, he just might get it to work properly. Though personally, I wish Naruto had just left it to rot so he would have one less hand to molest innocent women with, said Tsunade while she continued to glare at Jiraiya with all her anger. You should have let me die, mumbled Jiraiya while Tsunade's glare increased. I should have done a lot of things in my life, Jiraiya. One of them should have been your castration for peeping on me in the hot springs instead of just beating you within an inch of your life. I also should have returned to Konoha sooner to help watch over my distant cousin from the Uzumaki clan. Again, a mistake on my part. Hell, I should have every single person our sensei allowed to hurt Naruto be put to the sword in a public execution. All while making the offspring of the soon-to-be-executed watch, exclaimed Tsunade, as she had been tempted to do so given her sensei and former teammate plotted against the boy since he was a baby into being their loyal weapon without the boy even realizing it. The only reason she didn't do such a thing was due to Naruto having no problems with venting his anger out on those who had wronged him in the past. No one in Konoha thought the boy would fight back when he came back from his training trip with Jiraiya. Then he assumed the man would successfully mold Naruto into a subservient weapon they could abuse and command at a moment's notice. And as a result, they could sleep soundly at night in the belief their actions would bring down some measure of punishment upon them. It only further enforced their belief that any slight, harm, or abuse aimed at Naruto was the right decision. If it had been considered even remotely wrong, would they not be punished in some shape or form by the village's governing body? Sensei taught you better than to give in to such thoughts and feelings, said Jiraiya while he winced in pain from shifting only slightly to the right. Sensei was a liar and a hypocrite. If he were here, I would have beat him within an inch of his life too. I don't care if he was stronger than either of us. The old man betrayed just about everything my grandfather believed in when founding Konoha. The fact you even support his decisions without hesitation on your part only infuriates me further, stated Tsunade further while she was so tempted to smash her fist into Jiraiya's face. The only reason Tsunade didn't was because it would have killed him. What about Naruto? His coming to save me put the brat's life at risk. I doubt you would have sanctioned that mission or assigned it to him, said Jiraiya while Tsunade smirked. Actually, I did sanction it. And yes, I did assign it to him. Naruto figured your stunt to reverse summon yourself back to the Toad Clan's mountain to heal was a mere detour to get to aim. He believed that when you made it to aim to face the leader of the Akatsuki, you would fight the man one-on-one in some attempt to make yourself a martyr. To pass down your stupid beliefs using your own death, if necessary, to leave a lasting imprint on Naruto's mind. Naruto believed you would use Sage Mode and contacted the Toads to tell them that when you did, they were to plant a Hurricane marker on your back so he could save your ass after being defeated, said Tsunade while Jiraiya grimaced since his former student had outthought him. It was for his own good, Tsunade. The prophecy needed to happen. It has to be Naruto who completes it, not Nagato. Only one student may fulfill it, said Jiraiya with a look in his eyes that told Tsunade he was obsessed with the damn prophecy. Say for the sake of argument's sake that Naruto is this child of prophecy the elder Toad spoke of years ago. What happens when Naruto does fulfill it? Will he get the praise and recognition with it? The love he rightfully deserves not only from within Konoha after so many years of being hated, but with the rest of the Shinobi village. Or, perhaps a certain perverted idiot named Jiraiya Baka, and a poor excuse for Godfather goes on a loud and boastful propaganda campaign to claim it all for himself. To finally cast a large shadow over the world and all the other Shinobi in it after being in the shadows of other great Shinobi of the past. Questioned Tsunade while Jiraiya refused to look her in the eyes. I deserve the recognition, whispered Jiraiya with resentment while Tsunade scowled. So Naruto does all the hard work, puts his life on the line, nearly dies. And for what? Also you can eat it all up saying I trained him, ladies. Spread your legs for me. To every woman around you. He does everything while you mooch off his success and take the so-called fame and glory for yourself ... like a leech. Accused Tsunade while Jiraiya was now scowling behind his cast-covered face. I am his sensei, not to mention his godfather. I can do what I wish and how I wish in regards to him and his development, said Jiraiya with Tsunade looking more pissed off. Not anymore. Naruto has disowned you from your so-called rights as godfather. He did it shortly after he returned to Konoha from training with the Toads while you were off peeping on women at the hot springs. I stamped the order myself. I also made it clear in the brat's records how you failed him as a sensei with your past actions so no one can argue in your defense, said Tsunade while Jiraiya looked livid. You had no right, Tsunade. protested Jiraiya while Tsunade glared even harder. You forget, Jiraiya, I am an Uzumaki by blood on my grandmother's side. Not only that, but the Senju are cousins to the Uzumaki clan. I can trump your claim of guardianship on that alone since we are related by blood, countered Tsunade with Jiraiya snarling. Said the woman of blood relation who wasn't there for him for over a decade. Jiraiya shot back. Maybe it had something to do with both you and Sensei keeping things from me at the time. I asked Sensei about Kushina and the child after the Kyuubi attacked in a message. Do you know what he said in return? They are fine. Nothing to worry about. Keep on wandering and heal. It wasn't until I met Naruto that I thought Kushina had done a bad job of raising him, only to find that the boy wasn't raised by her at all. Because she was dead. Something Sensei decided not to tell me. Something you conveniently decided not to say or mention after finding me in the bar. You had plenty of time to tell me things in secret, but chose to keep your mouth shut. We both know you did it for selfish reasons. You knew I was close to Kushina and knew if I found out about Naruto, I would have come back and gotten close to him. You and Sensei wanted him isolated and dependent on your shared presence, said Tsunade while Jiraiya glared back. That's not true, protested Jiraiya, but it was clear Tsunade didn't believe him. Don't bother denying it, Jiraiya. I read Sensei's journals. Every page, every verse, every chapter, every word written in his handwriting. Everything related to Naruto and how you two tried to screw him over, exclaimed Tsunade to the point of nearly shouting and saw Jiraiya's denial fade away to admittance almost instantly. It had to be done. Don't you get it, Tsunade? Naruto has to be balanced. Not too weak so he crushed Konoha's enemies, but not too strong the brat will be able to turn on us without fear of losing. It had to be done. Jiraiya shot back. Bullshit. You didn't need to do what was done to him to make the boy loyal. Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki didn't have to be made known to the council by Sensei. He did that deliberately knowing it would set off the chain of events needed to make the village hate him. Also, you could swoop in one way or another to provide him the only support you were willing to let Naruto have in life and force your beliefs down his throat. He has the right to choose, Jiraiya. You had no right to force your beliefs on him, stated Tsunade while Jiraiya growled angrily. I have every right. I don't care what you say, Tsunade. I am the boy's godfather and still his legal guardian. I can do what I like in terms of dictating the brat's future. Do you know why? Because the boy is mine. Mine to mold. Mine to control. Mine to make sure the prophecy is fulfilled the way it was meant to be fulfilled. And if the end result allows me to mooch off that disrespectful shit and live a life of happiness at his expense until the day I die, then so be it, exclaimed Jiraiya with a hint of madness in his voice and eyes. For years, Jiraiya had been in the shadow of everyone around him. Sensei, Orochimaru, Tsunade, Minato, Kushina, just to name a few. Even Itachi was getting up there in terms of his own infamy. Had Naruto not crushed him as the fight they had clearly showed or had been declared a missing nin, the Uchiha prodigy would have truly been one hell of a Hokage. But Jiraiya was tired of being in the shadows of others. His first book, Tales of the Gutsy Ninja, was a complete flop. His perverted books were loved, yet some hated the fact he peeped on them in order to get his inspiration, something which he felt should be considered an honor. He proved his greatness with his transparency jutsu and trusty spy network, but was openly ignored for Tsunade's own super strength and her top-notch medical skills. Orochimaru showed off his genius daily before it got all sick and twisted, which only inflated the Snake Sannin's ego to keep holding the bar higher than Jiraiya could reach. Even after it got sick and twisted, people still revered the Snake Man's genius and left Jiraiya in the dust. Fuinjutsu, Minato and Kushina had it down to the point where they surpassed him on the subject like it was a piece of cake. His transparency jutsu, spy network, his Ika Ika Paradise series, mere footnotes in history compared to some of the exploits of others in Konoha. Even some Jounin, who had died bravely in the last Shinobi War, were treated with more respect over himself. And all because they weren't perverts or super perverts like himself. He was tired of it. Where was his fame and glory casting shadow? Where was his army of people giving him respect? Where were the people who look at him with respect and fear? Where were the looks of envy, of desire by the women? The answer: they were focused on everyone else but him. So when the Toad Elder spoke his prophecy, Jiraiya decided to seize a rare and golden opportunity for himself. To take his prophecy and mold it into something Konoha could control, could manipulate, could ensure made them the top village among the Big Five for decades, not centuries to come. It was why he told his sensei about it. Together, they could set things in motion, put pieces on the board who would act accordingly to their actions, and the actions of those around them with just the right nudge. And Jiraiya would be the one to reap the glory behind it when the prophecy was finally fulfilled with everyone speaking his name with respect. He could and would boast on how it was through his training that Naruto was so strong. Not really a lie, but no one needed to know that particular part, and Jiraiya doubted the brat would say anything to the contrary when the time came. Especially given how good-natured the boy would have been once the Sannin gave him just enough mentoring to make the brat see things his way. No longer would a Kunoichi glare at him for his perverted ways or for peeping on them to write his wonderful novels. They would practically invite him into the female section just so they could sit next to the man and rub their bodies against his own. He would have so much female tail around him, it would be incredibly easy for Jiraiya to write 1,000 Ika Paradise books, all the while basking in the glory of his greatness and truly be respected by every one of his peers. But the brat had chosen to be resistant to his method of training. His sensei had assured Jiraiya that the need to prove himself and getting stronger to obtain the approval of those from within Konoha was imprinted into the brat's brain. How all Jiraiya had to do was dangle a few jutsus in Naruto's face, put the gaki down with negative criticism, and make it seem like nothing the boy did was enough. By doing this, they could force the boy's drive to improve himself to focus on getting stronger for Konoha, to fight for Konoha when its enemies came knocking, never questioning, never thinking outside of doing what he was doing unless the village benefited. The only reason Jiraiya and Hiruzen didn't do it to Kushina was because Mito was alive long enough to imprint the Uzumaki way into her. Added Minato's own good-natured self not having the strength to break her beliefs or way of thinking only made trying to control her next to impossible. Hiruzen and Jiraiya had to start fresh with a newborn babe without parents to influence the brat in order to make their various dreams a reality. The Kyuubi attack the night of Naruto's birth was very much unexpected, but the hidden opportunity was too good to pass up. A Jinchuriki babe, no parents, no friends, and no family to influence the boy made him a blank slate for them to write their intentions on. They just didn't believe the stubbornness of the Uzumaki clan and Kushina would pass on to Naruto despite the many attempts to stamp it out of him, both physically and mentally. By the end of his little rant, Jiraiya could only stare back at a silent and deadly serious Tsunade currently staring down at him with a look he couldn't quite understand. There was disgust, loathing, anger, and yet behind all of it was a plan to make him suffer. I see. Well, Jiraiya, I hope you feel your actions were worth it because now is the time to see what your actions have produced in the coming month, said Tsunade while Jiraiya frowned at her words. What do you mean? Asked Jiraiya with a hint of worry. Simple. I'm going to heal you. Every wound, past and present. I'm going to use all my medical skills and knowledge to fix your broken, perverted body, answered Tsunade while Jiraiya and Shizune looked confused. Not that I am complaining, but why? Asked Jiraiya in confusion. Because I don't want you having an excuse for when Naruto fights you. So you can't complain when Naruto shows you what your stupidity has done. So Naruto can enjoy taking your fully restored body and breaking it into pieces before leaving it to rot. So I suggest you enjoy the feeling of your body being back to its prime state, Jiraiya, because after Naruto destroys it. I'm not healing you. I'm not saving you. Nor will Shizune. If you want medical aid after Naruto destroys you, I suggest you go seek a back alley doctor, said Tsunade while Jiraiya was shocked by this. You honestly think the brat can win against me when I'm at full strength? Asked Jiraiya with Tsunade giving him a cruel smirk. Of course I do. Have you seen the list of S-ranked ninjas killed recently? And in such a short time? When was the last time you took on so many S-ranked shinobi in such short amount of time and won? Not only that, but he saved your ungrateful ass from suddenly being killed by another tucked-away former student with a grudge, said Tsunade with Jiraiya grit his teeth. You mentioned he used the Hurricane to have us escape pain. How did he do it? Asked Jiraiya while Tsunade smirked at him. He has access to his parents' home, remember. Minato was a genius in Fuinjutsu and so was Kushina. If there is one thing Naruto excels at besides shadow clones, it is in using Fuinjutsu in a way that many would consider to be scary, said Tsunade while Jiraiya looked livid. What? No, he can't have it yet. The Sannin decreed he couldn't until he was mature enough or was jounin with considerable experience, exclaimed Jiraiya, knowing his old sensei had done this to make it nearly impossible for Naruto to have access to the vast knowledge left behind for him. He is mature enough, no thanks to you. As for his rank being a possible issue, I recently promoted him to jounin. The fact he killed quite a large number of notorious S-ranked nin tells me the brat has accomplished the requirement of getting experience. So you can take senseis in your stipulations regarding the boy and shove it. What's the matter, Baka? Are you now afraid the brat will actually fuck you up in your eventual fight? Countered Tsunade with Jiraiya growling. He's still immature, throwing a tantrum on how I train him, bitching about the Biju's chakra hurting him. As for him kicking my ass, never. Besides, you should be more worried about yourself. He might challenge you for the Hokage seat in a one-on-one fight. Do you really expect him to hold back if that happens? Asked Jiraiya while Tsunade just smirked at him. Fight him? Hardly. Within the next 2 or 3 years, I'll give the damn hat to him to run Konoha how he sees fit, said Tsunade while Jiraiya fumed inside at her doing this. You can't. There is a law in place. One sensei has locked in so Naruto could never have his dream fulfilled, said Jiraiya while Tsunade frowned. And what law is this? I know all the laws in Konoha. There is nothing in the books that says Naruto can't become Hokage, replied Tsunade while let out a small chuckle. Oh really? Check along the lines of requirements. Sensei always had contingencies in place for almost anything. So in the chance Naruto did get nominated to be Hokage, a law was put in place to deny him due to his Jinchuriki status, said Jiraiya while Tsunade was furious about this law. When did this happen? Demanded Tsunade, knowing it could be repealed if the daimyo signed off on it. Shortly after the Gande Mizukage and Jinchuriki Gaara started his bloodline civil war within Kiri, Sensei used it as an excuse to create a law banning any Jinchuriki in the village from being Hokage. He said, "We can't afford Konoha to have future Hokage who is like the Gonde Mizukage and one too strong to stop or rebel against, with the clan heads and elders supporting the decision. So you see now, Tsunade, the dumb brat can't be Hokage. His dream was always meant to be just that. A dream, a hopeless dream he could never accomplish. An impossible task," said Jiraiya while Tsunade seethed for a moment. "I can repeal the law, Jiraiya. The elders and Danzo are dead. Amira had his throat slit and Koharu was found with the woman's body hanged using her own intestinal tract. All within their own home. The clan heads won't deny Naruto or his dream. He's more than earned it." Sensei played off their fears. "I will change their minds through Naruto's deeds," said Tsunade with Jiraiya glaring at her. "You honestly think Sensei didn't think everything through? That there was a chance the next Hokage after him would take this to the daimyo? This action was supported by the fire daimyo himself. You want the law repealed? You'd have to go right through him, and I doubt he will do it. Hiruzen has told him enough about Jinchuriki in general to make the man believe they are too dangerous to be put in a high position of power. The Gonde Mizukage only reinforced this, and despite Sabaku no Gaara being Kasukage, we both know the fire daimyo thinks that the wind daimyo is an idiot. Naruto's dream of being Hokage is just that. A dream," exclaimed Jiraiya, since he did not believe the fire daimyo could be convinced to help change that law. "We'll see about that, Baka. I still have a trick or two up my sleeve when necessary to deal with daimyos. Plus, Naruto's shinobi record shows he is far from what the Gonde Mizukage ever was when ruling Kiri. All I have to do is show him how our sensei was pour lies into his ears, and the foolishness of supporting those lies will be for him in the future if Naruto is denied becoming Hokage," said Tsunade while Jiraiya just growled at her. "As if the fire daimyo will believe you. Sensei was a well-respected shinobi and Hokage during his time," countered Jiraiya while Tsunade smirked. "And I have enough evidence and dirt to throw on said respected time to make the fire daimyo realize he was being played like a fool by said man," Tsunade shot back. "You would do that to our sensei. Where is your loyalty?" demanded Jiraiya while Tsunade scowled. "My loyalty is to my family, my cousin, both of which you, Danzo, the elders, sensei, and the rest of the village have betrayed multiple times over. Do not speak to me about betrayal, Jiraiya. I am not going to just sit by and let people run my family's legacy into the ground. Nor will I allow those betrayals to stand and to set a cruel precedent letting people believe such things are allowed. Besides, why should I be loyal to Sensei after all of his betrayals to my family and Naruto?" "Would you?" exclaimed Tsunade while she saw Jiraiya narrow his eyes behind his cast. "He was our sensei. He deserved our loyalty. You and Orochimaru spat on it. I am the only one truly deserving to be called his student," spat Jiraiya while Tsunade scoffed. "Oh yes, such a remarkable title. And what has your loyalty to the man gotten you for siding with Sensei and his ridiculous plans? You being in a body cast and soon to be in another one after Naruto finishes breaking it into tiny brittle pieces," said Tsunade, since her reasons for betraying the Sandaime were pure and for good reason, since the man had betrayed her first along with everyone associated with the Senju clan. Orochimaru simply did it out of pure spite because their sensei chose Minato to be the fourth Hokage over him. Not to mention all of the illegal experimentations done that resulted in the Sannin going rogue. "The brat can't and won't hurt me. He doesn't have the stomach for it. I'll beat him like I did a year and a half ago," commented Jiraiya in an arrogant tone. "Considering his tally of S-ranked missing ninnies killed." "I highly doubt it," remarked Tsunade, since she knew the brat was itching for a fight with Jiraiya and training almost every damn day. The boy was becoming a regular juggernaut ready to run over anyone deemed his enemy and wasn't looking back. Kushina had been that way in many aspects. Caring, kind, and loving one moment. But piss her off. She was an evil red-haired demon from which there was no escape. She would run you over to get to her target if your mind, body, and even soul somehow managed to stand in her way. Kushina's power and skill as a kunoichi had been so great, the woman made battle-hardened war veterans weep and piss themselves at the sound of her name. And now it seemed Naruto was showing himself to be the same way and being a force of unstoppable power capable of doing the same as his mother. Tsunade almost couldn't wait to see the Gaki smash Jiraiya to pieces. Pain was not amused, not in the slightest. He had approached Zetsu under the impression of a mission and had begun to specify the details of said mission when Conan struck. The paper woman was a master in using any and all things paper-related thanks to her skills honed over the years of training and warfare. As such, it was incredibly easy for Conan to send a paper with a seal on it to the back of the plant man's neck and cutting off its ability to use chakra. Before either half of Zetsu could say anything about it once the seal was applied, Pain had grabbed his head and ripped out the plant creature's soul, and got all of the creature's memories, making Madara believe Zetsu's darker half was in fact the Uchiha as will implanted into it for manipulating events to one day bring down the Big Five Shinobi villages, to set all the events of the last 2 generations following the official death of Madara into motion, to one day weaken the Shinobi villages one by one to the point where it would be easy for Madara to win against them, even if they all rallied together to form an alliance to defeat the Uchiha. How Madara had secretly planned to come back from the dead using the Rinnegan and Tobai, who was Uchiha Obito, to do it. Once brought back, restored, enhanced, and ultimate never capable of dying, the most powerful Uchiha in its history would crush the Big Five before betraying Obito at the last moment. only for Madara himself to be betrayed by Zetsu, and the real person who put their will into Zetsu, and it came in the form of woman, who was in fact the Sage of Six Paths' own mother, Akatsuki Kaguya. Pain also got all the memories of Zetsu and the plan the rabbit goddess herself had given the plant man to use the 9 Biju to bring about the Jubai in order to bring about her way of peace, which essentially involved using the moon and infinite Tsukuyomi and locked everyone into cocoon-like things forever. This could not be allowed to happen in his Rinnegan eyes. While Pain did want peace, he did not want it to happen this way, for it wasn't peace at all. It was genocide of the entire human race until all that was left was Kaguya herself. "What do you want to do?" asked Conan while Pain looked at her. "We do not need the others. They were mere agents to get us what we want. First, we remove Tobai from the equation. Once done, we will hunt the Jinchuriki ourselves from most power to weakest," said Pain while Conan frowned. "Even if it means killing your cousin, Uzumaki Naruto?" asked Conan with Pain just nodding once. "Uzumaki Naruto may be my cousin to some extent, Conan, but I won't let such a thing stop our dream of peace becoming a reality. It cannot be stopped simply because the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is part of something long since broken and scattered to the winds years ago. We will bring about our version of things, but without interference from outside forces seeking to manipulate us," said Pain while Conan nodded, though she was unsure how they could do this without the other members of the Akatsuki and the rings outside of their own and Tobai. "Shall I contact Tobai?" asked Conan while Pain nodded. "Tell him I have an assignment for him. One only his unique talents can provide in moving the plan forward and back on track," said Pain, knowing he would need to draw the man in close. "He might suspect something," said Conan while Pain looked completely calm. "I'm sure he will be suspicious, but it is a risk we have to take," said Pain while knowing the masked Itachi has ability to phase out for a short period of time and teleporting would need to be negated first. "I hope you know what you are doing, Nagato," said Conan, knowing that for all of the masked man's display of stupidity in front of others, Tobai was far from stupid. "So do I still. One should not underestimate him. We have done that for too long. In the event I should lose to him, I have one final assignment for you. One only you can carry out," said Pain while Conan nodded. "I'll help any way I can," said Conan while Pain gave her a small, barely noticeable smile on his path's face. "I know you will, Conan. This is my command should the Uchiha defeat me," said Pain before he told her what was to happen afterwards should the Uchiha win. "You can still back down, Gaki. Admit I'm your better and we can stop this right now with your pride somewhat left intact," said Jiraiya with a smirk. "Why, so you can go around boasting and bragging about how you supposedly best me in combat while trying to swoon some whore in the red light district so she'll put her diseased mouth on your junk. No thanks. You already have enough STDs in your body to be labeled a biological weapon. We don't need you adding more to a possible mutation and outbreak," said Naruto while Jiraiya scowled at him. "You sound like your mother brat. If she had just kept out of my relationship with Minato when growing up, I could have made him into quite the ladies' man," commented Jiraiya with Naruto rolling his eyes. "Yeah, I'm sure my mother would love the idea of marrying a womanizing adulterer with a small army of STDs running around in his system. Or the fact, if you had your way, I would have several dozen, if not 100 half-brothers and half-sisters born from loveless sexual escapades," said Naruto sarcastically while Jiraiya summoned Ma and Pa to get into his imperfect sage mode. Both had been informed of the match ahead of time, and while both would have preferred to fight for Naruto's side, they had to do their duty in fighting for their senior summoner on the contract. Not that it mattered. Pa and Ma knew their presence on Naruto would result in the boy being unable to use Sage Mode properly. Besides, they had seen firsthand his ability to get around the imperfection despite the difficulty of doing it thanks to Minato's seal holding a certain nine-tailed Biju within Naruto. "There is nothing wrong with my way of doing things. Everyone else is wrong in judging me for how I do things," said Jiraiya while Naruto gave him a flat stare. "That has got to be one of the most stupidest things I have heard come out of your mouth since I came back to Konoha. It is all the way up there with you ditching me for whores and you throwing me into a nearly endless ravine to access the fox's chakra," said Naruto with Jiraiya looking unapologetic for the act. "Sink or swim, brat. It's the way of life. If you can't handle it, I suggest you drown quickly so others don't get dragged down by your dead weight," said Jiraiya with Naruto entering his version of Sage Mode now. And unlike Jiraiya, it was perfect. "The only thing about to be dead around here is you," said Naruto before getting into his toad fighting stance while Jiraiya did the same. "Tough talk for a brat barely reaching puberty," said Jiraiya mockingly. "Says the man who never achieved it after reaching his twilight years. The only thing you can do early is age and ejaculate into an unsatisfied woman," said Naruto while Jiraiya was seething at the insult to his male pride. "I'm going to enjoy hurting you," said Jiraiya while his eyes narrowed. "Says the man who was ducking me and going on a suicide mission to get out of our fight you had originally wanted from the start." Naruto shot back before he was gone in a mere second before his fist was barely caught by Jiraiya. The impact forced the man back several feet while still holding the fist. "You call that fast? Your father could move faster and hit harder too," said Jiraiya while Naruto smirked before leaping away from the Sannin. "I know, I was just taking it easy on you at first. Being old and frail at your age, I felt a sudden moment of pity and compassion for you. It's gone now, said Naruto mockingly before he got serious and moved even faster. Shit, thought Jiraiya with wide eyes and suddenly felt a pain in his sides from an elbow blow to the ribs. Jiraiya stumbled and nearly fell over from the blow, but managed to stabilize himself, if just barely. Before he could even realize it, a kick hit Jiraiya in the face, followed by a knee to the spine, and finished up with an elbow to the chest, each one causing incredible pain for the Sannin, and the impact from the ground further proved to Jiraiya his former apprentice was no longer holding back. You were always a fool and a loser, Jiraiya. You spent so much of your time focusing on the pleasures of the flesh. So much time wasted peeping on women, using others for your own personal gain, and trying to get people to see you as something outside of being the proverbial parasite. But people aren't as blind as you think, Jiraiya. They saw you for what you are in life, said Naruto while walking around Jiraiya like an animal stalking his prey with calculating eyes. And what does that say about you? People must see a demon when they look at you, right? Asked Jiraiya while slowly getting off the ground. I said they saw the truth when looking at you. With me, they're blind as a bat's, said Naruto with Jiraiya laughing and spitting out some blood in his mouth. Is that so? Nearly an entire village sees you as a demon, as a monster. They can't be all blind. Maybe they do see something about you that you can't see about yourself, asked Jiraiya while Naruto scoffed. And how exactly am I a demon? A monster? If it is simply for holding the Kyuubi, then they are just as stupid as they are blind. Just because I hold a Biju doesn't make me one of them. I am not some weapon or tool or pet you can command and expect to obey without question, replied Naruto before Jiraiya moved to hit him, only for the Sannin strike to be blocked by Naruto, who countered by punching Jiraiya just as quickly. That's where you are wrong, brat. You are a weapon, a tool. That is what Jinchuriki are to their respected shinobi villages. They fight and kill like good little attack dogs and are punished when they don't follow orders, said Jiraiya before he went on the attack and tried to land a decisive blow against Naruto. Keyword being tried. So my mother was one too. And Uzumaki Mido? Asked Naruto before dodging another arm strike and viciously broke Jiraiya's elbow, followed by kicking the man in the back 3 times before throwing him onto the ground. Of course they were tools. The only difference was neither one knew it and were too strong to remold into the image others wanted them to become such things. Despite her old age, Mido made sure Kushina wasn't turned when my sensei became Hokage. Even when she grew up to be a Kunoichi, Kushina was untamable thanks to Mido's influence. And later with my student when they fell in love, snarled Jiraiya while hating the concept of the word and how he felt it poisoned his student. What do you have against love? I thought you loved Tsunade. So why say the word like it was something foul? Asked Naruto while Jiraiya glared and charged at the younger man with the intent to kill. I don't love Tsunade. I love her body. The body she had when younger. The breasts, the ass, and the legs that show off her physical beauty. Ever since I first laid eyes on her in that hot springs, naked from head to toe, I loved the idea of being able to mount that fine piece of senjutail until my balls were drained. But she never gave me the time of day. She had eyes for that sissy boy Dan and all because he believed in the same things she did. When my student fell in love with Kushina, but does he exploit her love she gave in return? Does he try to act like a real man and take charge of his home? Put his future wife in her place? Does he use his ever-growing reputation as a highly skilled jounin and soon-to-be Hokage to sleep with multiple women on the side? No, he stayed faithful to her, because he was in love. So yes, I hate the concept of love as you, Minato, and even Tsunade see it, said Jiraiya, who finally managed to land a punch on Naruto's face, only to find it didn't do much. In fact, the younger man's face barely moved from the blow Jiraiya had delivered. Not only that, but unknown to the Sannin himself, Naruto allowed Jiraiya to hit him in order to gauge the man's overall strength. He wasn't impressed. Is this it? Is this all the strength you have? I was expecting you would at least move my body back a good 2 inches. But this, I didn't even feel it, commented Naruto before he batted away the fist of the stunned Sannin and kicked Jiraiya in the chest. That was my hardest punch. I put everything into that hit. How did you take it and not lose your head? Demanded Jiraiya while seething at his failed attempt to kill him and one blow had failed. Simple. I'm stronger than you. While you spend your days peeping on women, sleeping with whores, and drinking heavily at bars, I actually bust my ass to get to this level. Had you trained me properly like a true sensei would, you would have seen the writing on the wall. But like a fool, which everyone called you when growing up, you chose to be a lazy bastard. I was right when I said Orochimaru would have made a better sensei over you. Hell, maybe my father could have helped curb your former teammate's own lust for the darker powers and notions of immortality, since Minato would have been his legacy to the world when dead. Alas, we will never know. Not that you would have allowed it. I get the feeling you would have killed my father out of spite for Orochimaru if that were to happen, said Naruto while Jiraiya spit out more blood and rubbed his chest. Of course I would have killed Minato. That boy was a genius. A prodigy one sees and comes around once in 100 years. Whoever trained him would gain fame, glory, and the recognition for decades to come. Do you really think I would let such a thing like that be given to that pale-faced freak of nature? It was bad enough Sensei favored Orochimaru all those years ago, but I would have drawn the line at my student not being mine, said Jiraiya while the look of madness was in his eyes and Naruto narrowed at it. You sound as if the old monkey had planned on it after telling him of Minato's potential as a shinobi, said Naruto with Jiraiya's smirk increasing. Actually, he did just that. My former teammate was so well loved by Sensei at the time that any other choice for master and apprentice relationship was out of the question. I told him to hold off until after the boy was Chunin to make a decision on who would take the boy as an apprentice in the future. So I spent that time running a little smear campaign against Orochimaru using my spy network, falsifying various reports about my former teammate's actions. I had my spies spreading all sorts of lies about him, about his sexuality, his preferences, and even possible hints of his loyalty being put into question. By the time Minato became Chunin, I had convinced my sensei to have me take your father as an apprentice while Danzo offered to take Orochimaru into his root program, said Jiraiya while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. I see. So because of you and your clearly inferior ego, if not insecurity, Orochimaru of the Sannin was sent into the arms of Shimura Danzo. Right into the hands of the emotion-hating warhawk who twisted your former teammate into the sadistic psychopath Konoha has, until recently, been shaking in fear over. And for what? Also the big whiny baby named Jiraiya could get his bottle, asked Naruto before landing a few punches and kicks to various parts of Jiraiya's body and making the man stumble. Minato was mine. The prophecy stated as much. Anyone I trained is mine to do with as I see fit. Don't you get it? The prophecy bringing about peace with me as the sensei of the child of prophecy is all that matters. My name will last throughout the ages as the very person who trained him. I will have my great legacy and my shadow stretch far and wide throughout the ages of time. Nothing will stop it. Do you hear me, brat? Nothing, exclaimed Jiraiya with the madness in his eyes and the last bit of sanity snapping like a rope being stretched to its limits. Actually, there is someone who can stop it. Me, replied Naruto before he was upon Jiraiya and began to ruthlessly beat the man to a pulp. No genjutsu, no jutsus of any kind. Just all-out fists, arms, feet, and legs beating up the Sannin without mercy. Ma and Pa had long since left Jiraiya during his little rambling of a speech and decided to leave the fool to the beating he so rightfully deserved. Not that Jiraiya would sense them leaving. The man's imperfect sage mode was so imperfect, he wouldn't be able to sense it was gone until he did something that required the use of such a form. By the time Naruto had stopped beating the Sannin into the ground, the body was too broken to move, or even make a twitch of any kind. It wasn't surprising when it was over that Naruto had gone to such lengths to beat Jiraiya into oblivion. After all the things he had done, the actions he performed, which caused the actions of others to flourish and cause unimaginable pain to others around him. Without remorse, without any form of empathy toward the people he harmed as a result. And for what? Also, he can exploit the lives of women around him and use his so-called fame and glory to sleep with as many of them as possible. Hence why Naruto poured all his hatred into those blows. All his pain, suffering, rage, and anger into each hit. Each blow designed to destroy Jiraiya physically, so when the man did regain his mental faculties, they would shortly be broken, knowing his former student had brought him low. That both had fought at their best and it was the student who came out on top. And without any form of excuse Jiraiya could try to conjure up in order to save face. Damn Gaki. And I thought I had beat him bloody when he peeped on me all those years ago in the hot springs, commented Tsunade while she saw Jiraiya was in even worse shape since that moment in time so long ago. You already beat him within an inch of his life. The only way to top it was to beat him within a fraction of that. Not to mention he deserved it, said Naruto while knowing Jiraiya was just barely clinging to life and would soon die if Tsunade didn't stabilize in the next 2 seconds. Literally, true, but even still, I didn't think there was any way you, or anyone else for that matter, could top what I did. Of course, you are an Uzumaki on your mother's side. The clan was always said to do the impossible when others said it was impossible, said Tsunade while she stabilized Jiraiya despite part of her whispering that the man should just be left there to rot and die. Especially after everything he just admitted to Naruto and her during this fight. What Jiraiya didn't know was that prior to his arrival to the training ground, Naruto had placed a very large and powerful seal around them, one which Tsunade activated after her old teammate arrived when his back to the woman. It was designed so everyone in it would be compelled to speak the truth about a subject, no matter what the topic. Naruto had wanted to know just how low Jiraiya had sunk so he could justify beating the idiot the way he had just done now. While Naruto had suspected Jiraiya was one of the lowest forms of life in existence, he didn't expect the Sannin to have fallen this low. To think, due the man's childish actions, spurred by some stupid prophecy, the fool had caused in his former teammate to join Root. As a result, Orochimaru became twisted by the man running it, which eventually caused the Sannin to go rogue for a various number of reasons. One of which was the Sandaime choosing Jiraiya's student and Naruto's future father as Hokage. Even worse, Orochimaru could have been Minato's sensei, which could have prevented the Sannin from becoming so twisted, and so obsessed with immortality to going down such a dark path. One that Naruto suspected Danzo had a hand in nurturing, and the Sandaime Hokage himself encouraged down the road, if only to make sure his former student channeled his newfound interests for the betterment of Konoha as a whole. Heal him as best you can, Tsunade, but not too much. I don't want him being a shinobi anymore. He has no right to be one after the shit we just heard him say, said Naruto while Tsunade could only agree with him. In truth, Jiraiya's time as a shinobi was ending. The man had lost the respect of his peers, his fellow shinobi, and the next generation of Konoha itself. His spy network was messed up with internal problems. He was hated by Kunoichi in and out of Konoha, and the man had not been in an actual fight in years, so his skills were no doubt rusty. Even if Tsunade could fix all of the damaging injuries Naruto had just inflicted on Jiraiya, which was a big if at the moment, the perverted fool would never be worthy of being a Konoha shinobi ever again. It was best to just leave the man in a crippled and semi-vegetative state in the hospital where he could slowly wither away and ultimately die. All the while trapped within his own body, unable to move, and realize just how big a fuck-up he truly was before the end came for him. That was the punishment Naruto wanted for Jiraiya. The punishment the man ultimately deserved for his actions, for his crimes. Because of him and his selfishness to make a possible prophecy come true, the world had been slowly thrown into chaos. Had the man just been responsible, actually took his own training, and the training of his own students seriously, things would have been different, without question. But the man didn't act responsible in any shape or form. He didn't train seriously. He did not train any of his 3 students. His actions set things in motion for darker powers to make their moves and bring about pain and suffering to the world. So it was only natural that the man suffering such an end. To be alone, in the darkness of a room, no one to visit, no one to see, no one to speak to anyone about anything, unable to move without feeling incredible pain. A true hell if there ever was one. And it was one Naruto believed Jiraiya deserved with all of his being. Pain was dead, not just his paths, but the man himself. To Uchiha Obito Akatobi of the Akatsuki, it was of not great loss. The man was dying for some time now and was only alive due to his Uzumaki genetics. What did matter was the Uzumaki had somehow learned of the Moon Eye plan and decided to ruin it. Not only did the fool Nagato manage to weaken him during their fight, but stalled him long enough for his paper bitch of a woman to take the Rinnegan, eyes once belonging to Uchiha Madara, and leave aim for Konoha. He would have pursued Conan, but Nagato had used the last of his chakra to create a barrier seal tied to his life force that prevented him from leaving it. Even the Uchiha's own Kamui ability was proven ineffective and had to wait until Nagato died, which sadly was several days. Damn Uzumakis and their seals. It was any wonder their clan was destroyed. Zetsu had done his job well over the years in manipulating certain events to bring fear to the hearts and minds of others when it came to that clan. The Uzumaki and their intimate mastery over Fuinjutsu would have been a threat to the overall plan, at least according to the plant creature, and he had gone from village to spread fear of the clan. All in order to make them ally against the Uzumaki clan and prevent their skills in Fuinjutsu from being allowed to grow. Only now, it seemed that skill had come back to bite him, and the Moon Eye plan right in the ass for one last act of defiance. By the time Obito got free from the seal barrier, he was sure Conan had already made it to Konoha and told them everything she knew. Considering she was Nagato's right hand and knew about him being the true leader, Obito knew he would have to act on his own at this point. He would have taken out all the heavy hitters from each shinobi village in order to truly break them long enough for him to get all 9 Biju into the statue. The Uchiha had hoped to revive Madara to make things easier in crushing the future opposition of the big 5 shinobi villages, but without the Rinnegan, or the Edo Tensei for that matter. Obito was on his own. Not that it mattered. Obito was strong enough to handle them all should a fight break out against them should they band together. Once all his enemies were crushed, Obito would form the Jubai once more, and use his eyes to take control of it in order to seal the creature into his body. With his newfound power, the Uchiha would use the moon itself to cast a worldwide Tsukuyomi and bring the world under his control. A world where Rin lived and they could be together. The world without Kushina. A world without her son or the Uzumaki clan. A world without people like Danzo, Orochimaru, and even Kakashi. A world where all things were perfect to him and him alone. We have been doing this in the wrong order. We have been targeting the weakest to the strongest of the Biju. We should have done it in reverse. So that is what I will do. With the Kyuubi under my control, I can have it attack Konoha within its own walls, and go where Kumo next. Once done, I will target the other shinobi villages until they are broken and disorganized with their Jinchuriki dead or badly wounded. Once I obtain all 9 beasts, I will seal them into the statue here and aim while under my Sharingan's power so there will be no screw-ups, said Obito to himself before leaving via Kamui. He never noticed blackish-gray tone looking more like a statue was watching him silently before it went poof to report his findings. Conan was a big help with this intel. To think Uchiha Obito was alive all this time and even Madara himself to a point, commented Tsunade while reading the report Ibiki had given her after Conan had submitted to his interrogation. Conan even placed a preservation jar with the Rinnegan into the Hokage's hands as a show of good faith of her willingness to cooperate. Everything she knew and Nagato knew from the past to their recent actions had been written up into multiple reports for the Hokage to read. The Yondame's second student going rogue, and all because of what those white Zetsu creatures impersonating Kirinin did to his third one. Madara must have realized in order to turn Obito against Konoha, he would have to take away what mattered most to his new student. That's just cruel, said Ibiki with a sigh, since it was cruel to turn someone into a monster just so you can carry out a plan you think you made up, but really didn't. What do we do with the eyes she gave us? Asked Naruto, who felt it was necessary to hear what became of his father's remaining 2 students. Hard to say. We could destroy them since Obito wants them badly for his plan to revive Madara and use his former sensei to put us on the defensive. Or, I could transplant them into someone who can handle them, said Tsunade with Naruto looking surprised, and so did Ibiki. Not to question your judgment or ideas, Hokage-sama, but the latter you just mentioned doesn't seem to be a wise choice here. Those eyes are said to be the most powerful if not most legendary Taijutsu the world has ever known. The Rinnegan is said to once belong to the eyes of the sage himself. To give someone those eyes would be risky, countered Ibiki with Naruto nodding. Yeah, and who would you choose? You can give it to the nicest guy around and he could still use those things with the intent of being a real power-hungry jerk thinking they could do whatever they wanted, added Naruto with Tsunade nodding since it was true. Plus, from what Tsunade knew about the origin of the eyes in question, anyone with them could come to the belief they were invincible. Considering what happened, how the user of these eyes had called himself a god intent on bringing pain to the world, it was no real surprise. Still, she had one candidate, though whether he could take the change or the power that went with it was debatable. When Conan delivered these eyes, she mentioned how after saving Jiraiya Baka's stupid life, you told her along with pain that he was in fact your cousin. A fellow member of the Uzumaki clan like yourself, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding and frowning at the same time. Yeah, I just wish he didn't go down the route he did. What was Oro Sennin thinking when he didn't take them with him from AIM? An actual member of the Uzumaki clan, and he could have brought to Konoha. My mother could have had a fellow clansman to talk to when growing up here. His presence here could have shifted the events when the fox was freed by Uchiha Obito on the night of my birth. After my birth, even with him raising me due to blood relation if my parents didn't survive, said Naruto while he was inwardly cursing Oro Sennin for his stupidity and arrogance. He was no doubt thinking with his penis, as usual, which would explain why his IQ is so small since it matches the size, remarked Tsunade while Ibiki winced at the insult and felt as if almost all the pride males everywhere had was just downsized considerably. Naruto didn't look the least bit affected by the statement, which made Ibiki conclude the boy was well secure in his masculinity on all fronts. You were about to make a point, Hokage-sama, commented Ibiki while Tsunade was looking at the jar on her desk holding the eyes of the sage. Yes, when Conan came here with the eyes, she asked that if we decided to give them to someone, it would be a person she believed would use them wisely, said Tsunade, as she saw the two shinobi in front of her look on with interest. Really? Who did she recommend? Asked Naruto curiously. You. She recommended you, Naruto, answered Tsunade while Naruto looked shocked. Me? Seriously? Asked Naruto while Ibiki looked like he was just told everything he did in life never mattered and he had wasted years doing what he did best. Either that or the man was envisioning the horrible pranks Naruto would cook up with the power of those eyes at his command. Maybe both. Yes, she sees greatness in you. Conan believes in you, Naruto. While respectfully not in the way of bringing the everlasting peace Jiraiya's stupid prophecy foretold, she believes you can at the very least keep things with all 5 shinobi villages balanced. I'm inclined to agree with her. After all the good you have done, cleaning up Jiraiya's mess, exposing Danzo, Orochimaru's death, Kabuto's death, the vast majority of the Akatsuki being killed off. Is it any surprise? Answered Tsunade while Naruto looked at the eyes in the jar with a sense of hesitation. This wasn't like stealing the Forbidden Scroll incident where he opened it and learned a jutsu to graduate. No, this was worse since these eyes had the power to do all sorts of crazy shit and all at the command of whoever had them in their eye sockets. You trust me with these things? These are the eyes said to belonging to the Sage of Six Paths after all, warned Naruto, showing a great deal of maturity for his age. Clearly the toads had taught him well. Be respectful when using power unless you wish to be corrupted by it. Strangely enough, I do trust you. Besides, if what Conan said is true, our enemy will not stay delayed for much longer. From what the woman informed us about Obito, he was badly injured, so it will take time to recover. We can use this time to transplant the eyes into you and use them against him when the attack comes, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding, and decided that if these people were all willing to trust him with the sage's eyes, why not? I would also provide additional security on the Forbidden Scroll. If these eyes were part of a larger plan to bring back the real Madara, I'd bet 10 years worth of ramen the second part involves the Forbidden Scroll, said Naruto while Tsunade agreed, since using both of those mentioned parts would spell complete doom for anyone opposing Obito if he got either one and using them together. I take it you have something in mind? Asked Tsunade with Naruto nodding. I do, but I need the blood of Uchiha Obito or a close family relative you have on file to make this work, said Naruto with Tsunade raising an eyebrow. I'll get you a sample of the blood on file, but it won't be much. After the Uchiha clan was wiped out by Itachi, Danzo and the elders pushed for all the stored Uchiha blood at the hospital be destroyed since there was no point in having so much from dead people, replied Tsunade while Naruto frowned. Let me guess, he oversaw the operation? Asked Naruto with Tsunade frowning. Yes, though we have confirmed Danzo did destroy most of the blood from all of the documents found in his root base underneath Konoha. I would wager he gave some to Orochimaru to help with the experiment regarding that abomination for a hidden arm he was concealing, said Tsunade, knowing that whatever samples Danzo gave Orochimaru was not enough for the Sannin to use for his own personal use. I just need enough of what is on file. Barely a vial of it. His medical records have a seal holding some right, offered Naruto, since he knew medical records also held a single vial of the blood taken from the patient's last physical. Yes, though we'll have to dig through the medical archives to obtain it. Up until now, the man has been presumed dead after Kakashi and fellow teammate Rin reported his death. Though the file should be there, I did the physical myself and drew the blood in it, so getting the vial shouldn't be difficult, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding. I'll do the security measure first. Once done, you can begin the transplant, said Naruto, since securing the scroll of seals first was the best choice. Besides, Tsunade would need time to prepare for the operation for transplanting the eyes anyway. Obito was not in a good mood. The phantom pain from his injuries were acting up. He was able to get some of the white Zetsu parts to replace what was damaged during the fight with Nagato's 6 paths and Conan's interference. Unfortunately, the parts Obito needed were not up to par with what he had prior to the injuries sustained in the battle. The paper bitch had sabotaged his entire supply of body parts and organs, including his own supply of Sharingan eyes he obtained when the Uchiha clan was killed before Danzo's root had come to take the rest. No matter, once he had the forbidden scroll of sealing, the Uchiha intended to unleash a whole shitstorm down upon Konoha before targeting the other shinobi villages. He just needed to subdue some of the stronger Jounin-level shinobi in the village before he used them for his sacrifice to bring back a few notorious S-ranked nin of legend. One would be Uchiha Madara, of course, but Obito wanted some extra muscle he could call upon to protect him when getting all 9 Biju sealed into the statue. Using Kamui, the Uchiha entered the Hokage's office knowing she wasn't there so late at night unless it was a major emergency. Walking to the safe where the scroll of sealing was located, Obito easily used the combination he knew would open it. In a rare act of sheer stupidity to those wearing the hat, the combination had never been changed since the time of the Showdown Hokage. The combination itself was meant to be known only to each Hokage in power, but there were times when a certain select group of people learned it as a sign of trust by the Hokage in question. But in Obito's case, it was in the form of Orochimaru when he joined the Akatsuki after he went wrong. The Sandaime during the Third Shinobi War had planned to retire and was going to name Minato the Yondaime Hokage in the coming weeks. Orochimaru had gone wrong soon after before joining the Akatsuki and unknowingly revealed it to them under the powerful hypnosis the Sharingan can create on someone. He could have used it to get the Ito Tensei, but at the time, Obito didn't know Orochimaru even knew how to use the jutsu. It wasn't until the Sannin used it when attacking the Sandaime did the man realize what a lost opportunity it had been on his end. One he now planned to fix here and now. Only this time, the end result would favor him. Naruto smirked when he saw Obito appear in front of him. A look of shock behind his masked face was no doubt there since he was looking around frantically. No doubt he had just touched the forbidden scroll of seals and the next ... was found here. No sooner had the masked Uchiha appeared did Naruto give the signal and a barrier went up around the two men. Hello Tobai, or should I call you by your real name, Uchiha Obito? Asked Naruto while Obito glared at him behind his mask. So you know, commented Obito before his eyes widened when he saw the blonde's eyes and the fact they were no longer blue. Conan told us a lot about you. Not to mention the toads are excellent for spying. I just needed to have some of them who are indigenous to aim hoping around. No one is the wiser, not even you. They have been spying on you and the Akatsuki for some time and telling me all about your movements. Add to the fact Nagato killed Zetsu after ripping out his soul, I know the truth about the reason behind your actions, and how you are just a puppet for the real mastermind behind this, said Naruto with Obito scowling before he removed his mask to reveal his scarred face. Madara does not control me. My actions are my own, said Obito while Naruto scoffed. Madara. I never said it was Madara. Hell, he was being used like a puppet too. Black Zetsu was never Uchiha Madara's will. It was Kaguya, the mother of the Sage of Six Paths. She tricked Madara into thinking Zetsu's will was his own. Zetsu was going to use you, Madara, and everyone else they could get their hands on to fulfill her ambition to one day return to the land of the living after being sealed away by her own sons during their battle. Explained Naruto while Obito narrowed his eyes at him. No, the Moon Eye plan would have brought peace. Zetsu explained it to me in great detail. There is no way he could make that up, said Obito while Naruto shrugged. Oh, the Moon Eye plan was real. But you wouldn't be the one to use it. Kaguya would be the one to use it. She would trap us all in the infinite Tsukuyomi just like you wanted to do. But unlike your version of things, those who oppose her would either be dead or be trapped in the Genjutsu living a lie created within our minds until eventually ... we die. Answered Naruto while Obito looked livid at his words before calming down slightly. It doesn't matter. The Moon Eye plan will bring about peace to the world. With it, I will be able to have Rin by my side. With it, my dream will become reality. With it, no one I care about will die while those who are insignificant will not longer exist. Exclaimed a now clearly deranged Obito while Naruto frowned. Even after hearing the truth, you still want to go through with this. All for what? A girl that is dead and can't come back to you unless she is an illusion. A fake made from your own imagination and memory of her. What happens when you get tired of her, Obito? When the joy from being in the illusion and lie become too painful to handle whenever you see the fake standing there? Will you destroy the illusion? The Genjutsu itself? When the lie becomes more painful than the truth? Asked Naruto while Obito looked angry and was not amused. My world will become real. My world is all that matters. Rin is all that matters. I will have Rin back, one way or another. Exclaimed Obito while Naruto scoffed again. If that were true, why not use the Ito Tensei to bring her back? You could have tricked Orochimaru into doing it and wrestled control of her from him using your Sharingan. Hell, you could have asked him for the hand signs for the Ito Tensei. But you didn't. Why? Because you know if you do, the real Rin would disapprove of your actions. You want to live a lie because the fake Rin wouldn't care and you can lie right to her face every time if the question ever came up. Face it, Obito. You want to live a lie because the truth is far too painful to live in and the very thought of ending your life for the next world scares you even more. All because we both know that if you did die one way or another, the place where Rin now resides ... you cannot enter. Ever, said Naruto harshly while Obito seethed in rage at his words. Since deep in his heart, Obito knew the words spoken by Naruto were completely true. Deep down, the Uchiha did fear his own death. After all he had done, the things he had helped orchestrate, the lives taken, good lives, honest lives, Obito knew where his soul was going upon his death. It was going south, the deep south. Rin was no doubt located in heaven and happy there. He could have used Ito Tensei once learning it or used his Sharingan to make Orochimaru do it before taking control afterwards. But as Naruto had said, Rin would have seen his actions and disapproved of them. Yelled at him, screamed at him. She would have denounced his actions, denounced their friendship. She would have called him a monster. So yes, Obito chose to create a lie. Create a false Rin, simply because the fake one would not care, would not hate him, would not judge him, because the lie was easier to handle over the truth this world produced. But was he going to openly admit it? And to his late sensei's brat? Hell no. Shame, your opinion means nothing to me. All that matters is my ambition becomes real and Rin is by my side. While you, your father, mother, and every other person opposing me are removed from existence. Exclaimed Obito while Naruto smirked. Then come at me. I have something you want, something you need. Not only the fox in my belly, but the eyes of the sage himself. This barrier will ensure no one interferes in our fight. It will also nullify your ability to use Kamui just in case you decide to act like a fucking coward and retreat. Just like you did with my father when he bested your stupid ass, said Naruto while Obito clenched his teeth and fist. And yet I was the one to walk away from the fight alive. Not him. His victory over me was hollow. He died. His wife died. You were left to rot in a village that hates your guts. That will keep hating your guts even if you become Hokage. I imagine it will be difficult to rule over a village that would sooner burn itself to the ground over accepting you as its ruler, said Obito mockingly while Naruto shrugged. Well, if the people don't like me as Hokage, they can either kill themselves or leave the village and go live in a cave. When it comes to the arrogant, the bigots, and the overall assholes Konoha has produced, I honestly don't give a fuck about them. If they were to be attacked right here, right now by an invading force, I would simply let them die. I would spare only those who were worth sparing, said Naruto openly without shame in his heart. Your parents would be disappointed in you, commented Obito with Naruto smirking at him. Not really. They both left a piece of themselves inside of the seal as a failsafe just in case things went south and holding the Biju at bay. I told them everything that happened to me during my childhood and everything else following it. They agree with me and my way of thinking that I should protect only people worth protecting and say fuck you to everyone else in the village. Oh, by the way, the fuck you part I just quoted, that was addressed to you too. In fact, my mother went on a rant calling you a crybaby bitch who wouldn't be able to satisfy any woman, let alone Rin, because of your inadequately small dick was equipped with a quick shot motion attached to it while her hair came alive. It was actually quite a sight, said Naruto while seeing Obito looking even more enraged. I should have slowly killed your bitch of a mother after I ripped the fox from her gut, exclaimed Obito angrily. Yeah, well, as she so adequately put in her rant, fuck you too, said Naruto with Obito now moving to injure and take the eyes from the blonde Uzumaki, only for Naruto to grab the offending hand reaching for the eyes. You're fast, but I fought and trained under people much faster, said Naruto before he was stabbed in the gut by a kunai in Obito's free hand. They should have trained you to be smart instead of fast. I'm taking the fox from you and I'm taking those eyes, stated Obito, but was shocked when the Naruto in front of him went proof in front of him. It was a shadow clone, and found a pair of hands grabbing his ankles to yank him into the ground. They did. In fact, they trained me to be both smart and fast. Shame it couldn't be said for you and your clan. One would think that the student of the Yondaime Hokage and Uchiha Madara himself would have actual brains to go with his so-called strength. Of course, it is no real wonder you are considered to be a disappointment, said Naruto after popping up from the ground and staring at Obito with amusement. I have more knowledge and skill in my right hand than you do in your entire body, said Obito before getting out of the hole after using his chakra to burst out of it violently. That might be true, if not for the fact masturbation doesn't count as a skill. If it did, you would not doubt be considered a prodigy in the field, mocked Naruto while Obito's face now matched the color of his eyes and charged the Uzumaki in a fit of rage. I'm going to fucking murder you. I'm going to rip the fox out and turn it on Konoha. I am going to laugh as the Kyuubi spills the blood of this village. Any and all friends you have here will die and I will laugh as they are all slaughtered, exclaimed Obito while he launched himself at Naruto with pure taijutsu while his Sharingan eyes were spinning. Difficult to do when you can't even land a hit on me, said Naruto before he caught Obito's fist with his bare hand and kneed the Uchiha in the balls ... hard. Your father wouldn't have done that. he asked Obito before Naruto did it again, and the struggling Uchiha wondered why he didn't phase through the hit. I'm not my father. And to answer the question no doubt running through your head, the seals I placed on you along with the barrier also nullified your little pussy move. I mean honestly Uchiha, phasing when someone tries to hit you. What? You can't handle a punch from someone? A kick? I've been punched, kicked, stabbed, and poisoned since I was a child. Yet when it comes to taking hits from someone like me, the first thing you want to do is phase through it because of your fear of a little pain. Some big bad Uchiha you claim to be. Madara must have been desperate to choose you as a student before his death, since taking a single hit practically makes you want to pee yourself like a baby. Mocked Naruto before quickly headbutting Obito while the Konoha headband on his forehead did extra damage. Seals? When did he put seals on me? Was it his shadow clone? Thought Obito before he was struck again and again by Naruto with the blonde shattering the Uchiha's right leg. You are weak, Obito. It's no wonder you hid yourself from everyone with that fucking mask. You didn't train. You didn't fight. You simply use your fucking sharing and eyes to do the legwork. But take the powers of the Dojutsu away and fight someone like me on even ground. You're just a weak chicken shit pansy, stated Naruto before taking out a kunai covered in wind chakra and sliced it across Obito's face in an X formation, causing both sharing and eyes out of the Uchiha's sockets. In addition, the piece of him that were the spare Zetsu parts, such as his arm he had taken from storage, had been sliced off next. Obito would have screamed out further in pain, but Naruto flipped the kunai until the ring base of the weapon hit the Uchiha right in the jaw 4 times. 2 to the left side and 2 to the right. The force was strong enough to break Obito's jaw entirely and had his tongue cut off next. It wasn't supposed to end this way. My dream, my ambition, I could have been with Rin again. My precious Rin, thought Obito while blood came out of his mouth while only the darkness of being recently blind was there to greet him. Don't feel back, Obito. If you must know, your former teammate Haddock Kakashi is a failure in his own right too. I was his sensei's son. Yet what does he do? He trains the Uchiha on my team and leaves little old me to fend for myself when it came to training. And do you know what happened next? My said teammate goes rogue, using those very same skills my sensei taught him against me. To kill me. All for the sake of power. All to kill his fucking, far more experienced as a ninja for a big brother. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. After today, the Uchiha clan will be no more. The clan will be dead and will only be a myth or story parents tell their children, said Naruto before slicing off Obito's real hand at the wrist. I need to do something. Anything. Minato-sensei, Kushina-san, Rin-chan, hell, even Kakashi Baka. Someone, please help me, thought Obito before he heard Naruto's final words to him. Goodbye, Obito. May you and the rest of your power-hungry clan rot in the lowest pits of hell alongside Orochimaru, Kabuto, Danzo, and the other members of the Akatsuki you helped bring into its ranks. Shimura Tensei, exclaimed Naruto while using a move that Conan had told him about and explained further that any other powers the Rinnegan was capable of doing would reveal themselves in time. That was how Nagato did it, and he didn't really share all of his skills with her. As for Obito, he was completely obliterated from existence. All that was left was a dark black blood smear on the ground, something Naruto burned for good measure. He didn't want anyone trying to collect DNA samples from the Uchiha's remains. Good job, Naruto. At this rate, you will bleed the treasury dry of funds with all of the missing nin you have been killing off, commented Tsunade while the 3 squads of ANBU were behind her in case things went south for Naruto and the barrier. Yeah, well, it is what it is, said Naruto before the barrier went down. I was expecting more from him, remarked Tsunade about Obito. The guy hasn't been in a real fight since the one he had with my father the night I was born. Even when he did, the jerk was evasive, always using his sharing into even the odds against him with the phasing and teleportation he used, answered Naruto while wondering how his father could have been challenged by Obito at the time. Though to be fair, the man was dealing with rescuing his newborn son, his wife who just gave birth to said son, and a giant 9-tailed fox rampaging around Konoha. Your actions will no doubt reach the other shinobi villages. If the Tsuchikage doesn't have a heart attack soon after hearing how you killed off so many missing nin, he will once word of your heritage reaches his ears, said Tsunade, knowing it wouldn't be long before she had to announce Naruto's heritage to the village and the storm it brought with it. So long as he and Iwa lets old grudges die with my father, I don't give a crap. But if he starts something, I will end it, said Naruto while Tsunade nodding since she respected him for that. While Minato struck fear into the heart of Iwa and the Sandaime Tsuchikage during the Third Shinobi War with his Hiraishin no Jutsu, Naruto and what he just did to so many S-ranked missing nin would make them shit their pants. I hate to say it, brat, but at this rate, you'll take the hat from me in another 2 or 3 years, commented Tsunade while Naruto smirked. Maybe I should get it sooner. Having to walk in on you nursing a major hangover from drinking too much the previous night seems a valid enough reason to give me the hat, said Naruto while Tsunade glared at him. Watch it, brat. I can still punch you all the way to Nami if you piss me off, threatened Tsunade and shaking her fist at him. What was that? Did you say something? Asked Naruto while giving her a nice smile. Oh, that's it. Come here, brat. I'm going to smash your face in, exclaimed Tsunade while she chased Naruto around the training ground and the ANBU watching now sporting a sweat drop coming down the back of their masked heads. Should we say something? Asked one ANBU ferret while watching Tsunade try to smash her fist into Naruto. who at that point leaped into the air and flipped her the bird and blew a raspberry at the woman. Do you want to die or be sent to the and ICU? Asked the ANBU captain while they saw Tsunade looking livid and continued her pursuit of Naruto into Konoha. That depends. Do I get hazard pay? And if I do, how much? Asked the ferret ANBU while hearing Tsunade cursing Naruto the deeper they went into Konoha. In order, no, and even if you did, it wouldn't be enough to cover your medical bills, said the ANBU captain since he knew Ferret had been looking for an excuse to get some form of vacation time. Though there were less painful ways to do it. Sleeping well, Iro-senin? Asked Naruto while walking into the room casually. So, you have come crawling back to me. I knew you would, grumbled Jiraiya while Naruto smirked and stepped out of the darkness and showed the sand in his eyes. You couldn't be more further from the truth. The Akatsuki is no more. Your former student Nagato is dead. Your second student, Conan, gave me the man's eyes to use how I see fit. The Uchiha who freed the fox from my mother is dead too. I killed him. I have done what you could not twice over. I avenged your pathetic sensei by killing his most favorite of students. And I avenged my parents by killing the man who murdered them through his machination the night I was born, said Naruto while Jiraiya grit his teeth in anger and frustration. You shouldn't have those eyes. They are not meant for an immature brat like you, said Jiraiya bitterly. And who do you think is a better choice? You, Kakashi, maybe some other person who is a big fan of your cheap smut perhaps. Do you honestly think Tsunade or even Conan would trust these eyes to a whiny man-child like yourself? They would sooner revive the infamous Uchiha Madara and start the next Shinobi War before entrusting you with such things, said Naruto coldly while Jiraiya glared at him with an intense amount of hate. And you are a better choice. A whiny brat who couldn't handle the Kyuubi and whined like a baby when I didn't give him his bottle. Countered Jiraiya angrily. First, I am a far better choice over you, Iro-senin. The Toads did what you could not and would not do. They took my training seriously. They saw greatness. They knew your way of doing things was a fast track to a quick death simply because you didn't do shit. As for whining like a baby, aren't you being tad hypocritical? How many times did you whine to your feces throwing sensei when he favored the snake over you in terms of your training? How many times did you whine when no one gave you the respect you claimed to deserve for peeping successfully on women for one day without being brutally beaten to a pulp? How many times did you whine when my mother viciously stopped you from mooching off my father and his fame during his shinobi career? Do not speak to me about whining and not getting my bottle from you, Iro-senin. We both know you have been trying to milk multiple bottles for years just to stay relevant. As of right now, the tap for any such bottles is officially turned off, said Naruto coldly while Jiraiya was livid at being told his attempts to stay in the limelight and cast his shadow were now over. If he only knew Naruto destroyed the statue using explosive tags filled with nature chakra to turn the area underneath him into a giant sinkhole. You can't do this to me. People will know something is happening when I'm not around. Important people. People who read my books. People who love my smut. When they find out you and Tsunade are keeping me like this, they will march here as an army to liberate my person, stated Jiraiya while mentally envisioning his newly formed army of loyal readers, both civilian and shinobi alike, storming Konoha to free him from this hospital of a prison. Don't be so full yourself. You're not that important. You're lucky I'm paying for your funeral, said Naruto before he started walking away. Funeral? What are you talking about? I'm not dead, protested Jiraiya angrily while he saw Naruto stop and looked back to smirk. Officially, you will be labeled dead tomorrow. Source: a couple hundred STDs found in your system had mutated into one big superbug that caused your dick to fall off, your testicles to shrivel up, and ultimately cause your heart to explode from the stress. As for the real story, you are going to fade away in here, in the darkness of this room, all alone, slowly wasting away, said Naruto while Jiraiya looked shocked. What? You can't do this to me, exclaimed Jiraiya with Naruto smirking. This is your punishment, Iro-senin. I beat you in combat. I surpassed you in just about every single way. Wasn't hard to do actually, commented Naruto while Jiraiya seethed in his body cast and glaring at the boy. I'll heal eventually, brat. I always do. And when I get out of here, the world will know the truth, exclaimed Jiraiya while Naruto suddenly turned around and became deadly serious before walking over to the now slightly afraid Sanin. The truth. Truth. You want to talk about the truth? How about I reveal the truth of how you kept so much from me, or used an old toad beyond his prime to see into a possible future and use it for your own goals? How you provoked the people to turn on Orochimaru, resulting in him joining Danzo's route, allowing the Warhawk to twist his mind, and becoming the very monster Konoha has feared for years. Or how you and the Sandem lied to me for years just so the Kyuubi Jinchuriki would remain stupidly loyal to people who hate him. Maybe I should reveal the truth about how you knew I was your godson and the son of the Yondaime Hokage and still treated me like I was just a mindless weapon to control. Or how about the truth that you have forced female spies in your network to sleep with you or else information about their past is revealed. I'm sure a lot of people would love to know the truth about how the great and gallant Jiraiya of the Sanin got off on practically raping the women within his own spy network both before and after getting information from them, right? Asked Naruto coldly while Jiraiya was now shocked, afraid, and angry all mixed together. You would do that to me. You would destroy my great reputation, my greatness, to your own godfather, demanded Jiraiya angrily at what Naruto was threatening to do. You have no greatness. You have no great reputation. Only an infamous one where the people look at you with disgust. Besides, it's the truth. And another painful truth for you is this: they hate you, Jiraiya. No likes you. No one loves. No one cared about you. They only tolerate you because of your smut, and even that is a stretch. So you can choose to die with only a small sliver of dignity in this room, or you can resist and have your sins exposed to the world with the people demanding you suffer a violent death," exclaimed Naruto angrily before grabbing Jiraiya's cast-covered skull and yanked him painfully forward at a painful angle. "I should have killed you as a baby. I was so tempted to do it. The source of my student's death. The source of the village's pain. I could have done it and achieved such a glorious praise from the villagers and shinobi who suffered from the creature's destruction. The only thing that stayed my hand was your usefulness as its weapon and the fact that Biju would reform in 9 years with no Uzumaki around to hold it," confessed Jiraiya while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. "And leave your precious village defenseless. We both know a shinobi village needs its Jinchuriki far more than a Jinchuriki needs a shinobi village. Do not act like the value of your life is far greater than someone like myself. It's not. You are worthless, Jiraiya. You have always been worthless. The only reason no one has called you out on the truth of the matter is most likely because there were people who wouldn't tolerate it coming to light. Most likely out of it pity, but that's beside the point," countered Naruto while Jiraiya was seething in rage at the insults being aimed at him and hitting where it hurt the most. "You will never bring peace to the world and fulfill the prophecy with that attitude," remarked Jiraiya with Naruto smirking. "Who said I was going to bring peace to the world or fulfill some damn prophecy you are itching to see happen? I'm not. In a few years, I am going to be the next Hokage. I will have my dream and ambition come true. If Iwa wants to start a war, let them. If Kuma wants to join in the fighting, let them. I will personally crush anyone who tries to take away my village, my home, my previous people who live Konoha. I'll see to it that the enemies I face suffer such losses that they piss themselves silly and have nightmares at the very mention of my name. Not yours, mind, so enjoy your time in the darkness here, Jiraiya. Enjoy the solitude. This is your punishment for being the pathetic loser who was so desperate to get out of the shadows of his betters, set things in motion that caused all sorts of problems for the world. In many ways, the prophecy you want to see fulfilled is where one of your students has to clean up your fucking mess. As far as I'm concerned, your mess will be removed through the sands of time. Let it do the work in fixing what you broke," said Naruto before leaving the room. "Naruto, get back here, you little shit. I won't be denied what is mine. Naruto, Naruto, yelled Jiraiya angrily and didn't realize the blonde had put a paralysis seal on his face when grabbing him through the body cast, so it was impossible to move out of the bed. It would be the last time someone ever saw Jiraiya alive ever again. True to his word, Naruto became the 6th Hokage of Konoha, much to the displeasure of some people in the village. But considering there were few alternative choices, those who opposed it were silenced since Naruto was the strongest shinobi in Konoha. Not only that, but Naruto's heritage was finally revealed to the populace once ascending to the position of power. Many were shocked by this and realized how much the boy looked like his father while wondering why they didn't notice it sooner. Many people blamed the Sandaime Hokage, the elders, Danzo, and Jiraiya for holding the truth from them from the start, if not for the longest time. They claimed if the truth had come out, the man's son would have been protected since his birth. Naruto felt they were just being shallow. In his eyes, it shouldn't have mattered if he was the Yondaime's son or not. He was still Naruto and was the one holding the angry Biju from destroying Konoha. If they couldn't accept him as a hero without his father's name attached to it from the beginning, the people were not truly loyal. Just a bunch of morons who were more vain, if not foolish in terms of position than even he realized. Morons he was going to have to properly educate in truly seeing the gravity of their sheer stupidity so the next generation wasn't so stupid as them. The first thing Naruto did as Hokage was to add an understanding of Fuinjutsu to the class curriculum for the students, much to the disapproval to some people on the council since not everyone had a skill for it. Why he had something that was not for everyone. Naruto told them even if they couldn't do Fuinjutsu, it didn't mean the students couldn't understand the principles or understanding the nature of Fuinjutsu. Not only that, but Naruto had felt the system of knowing only 3 jutsus in order to graduate was just not enough for academy students to become genin. Hence why he ordered more that in addition to those 3, the academy would have to go through a chakra level test, chakra affinity level test, and have all academy students in their assigned class rotate into random teams taking on special training missions. These type of missions would be assignments handed out by the Chunin Academy instructors to see who among the academy students worked well together. That way, when teams' assignments were decided, the ability to work well together would be a key factor. As for choosing a Jounin sensei, the Jounins themselves could request a pre-made squad, but no customizations unless necessary. Also, the Jounin in question would have to give a long list of reasons why they would be qualified to teach the genin squad they wanted. If you couldn't produce a valid reason, it wouldn't happen. As for chakra level testing, it was well known that Rock Lee didn't have chakra to use, and Naruto himself had more than the previous Hokages put together. As such, Naruto wanted to ensure those with such unique circumstances would have a chance to graduate with their fellow classmates. If an academy instructor saw a student was producing too much or too little chakra when taking the tests, it was to be reported immediately. Saying to a student try harder and not giving them any source material or finding out what was causing the problem wouldn't cut it anymore. If any academy instructor neglected any of their students and used that excuse, they would be fired, and even imprisoned for it on the charges of sabotaging a potential shinobi of Konoha. Some protested his decisions for one reason or another. Some said such things would be expensive to incorporate into the academy. Others said it would risk showing favoritism to some of the academy students. Others said such programs were not meant for young academy students. What was Naruto's response? The answer was tough shit. He told them that the current batch of students the academy was producing were weak genin. All of them were placed with a jounin, who spent very little time evaluating the team, and said jounin also being forced to pick up the slack if the team passed the test given. It was unacceptable. In addition, Naruto had retired shinobi or those too injured to be active anymore come out to the academy to teach part-time to help pass down their own knowledge to the next generation, providing survival training information, past mission assignments, and all of the information from them. They were put in scenarios where all they had were each other, their wits, and very few supplies. Sometimes the scenarios had involved no supplies at all, but the clothing they had on them, to provide an insight into the life of being a shinobi so the next generation did not think it was all about fame, glory, rescuing princesses, and daimyos like some of the academy students thought the lifestyle entailed. The fact Naruto had done and achieved such things didn't mean they would in his place. Still, the end result of his decision quickly produced results with the genin that came out of the academy being more prepared for the real world. Teamed with those they knew and worked with the best with their given skills, and a jounin who was forced to sit down and actually read their profiles instead of just going for the genin test first and decide on how to train them later approach. If jounin were going to train their genin teams, they were damn well going to put in the goddamn effort. As for the paperwork, Tsunade thought the boy would be pulling out his hair at the sheer mountain of it. Imagine her surprise when he made 5 shadow clones and had them do all the work while he kicked up his feet with a knowing smirk. When Tsunade angrily called him on not only knowing how to defeat paperwork, but also knew how to do it for years, and didn't tell her at all, Naruto just smiled at the woman. Perhaps I did know how, but if I told you, all the hard work and the responsibility of running the village would have never truly hit its mark on an old hag like you. Tsunade's response. She tried to strangle Naruto and had to be held back by 2 squads of Anbu, Shizune, Guy, and Kakashi using Sharingan to eventually put her to sleep. And all the while, Naruto had a knowing smile on his face. It was good to be him in the seat of power. That and revenge on Tsunade for being a neglectful member of his family was sweet. As for Kakashi, the new Hokage wasn't about to let the man get away in life without being punished swiftly, yet very much cruelly. And by cruel, Naruto was thinking of something truly diabolical, if not something close to a war crime. The punishment for Kakashi. He must avoid being hugged in a vice grip by Guy. While that doesn't sound so bad, Kakashi has to do it for 1 week straight. Again, nothing too cruel about such a punishment at first glance, except that Guy would be completely naked. Yes, naked, no weights, no clothing, no hiding his youthfulness to the world. But to give Kakashi a somewhat fighting chance of escape, Guy would be covered in grease and had to hold on to Kakashi for a good 0.30 minutes to make it stop ahead of the week's end. Why would Guy agree to this? Because Naruto played on his pride of never refusing an actual challenge, and the hint the new Hokage gave of Guy not being able to carry out his mission challenge would look badly on the jounin's record. It was only natural Guy would jump at the thought of completing such a challenge while Kakashi got on his hands and knees and begged Naruto with crying eyes to reconsider this harsh punishment. Naruto of course looked Kakashi right in the eye and said 5 simple, yet earth-shattering words. Not a chance in hell. Needless to say, the entire week was pure hell for Kakashi. He spent it running through the village dodging, ducking, running, leaping, digging, and everything else short of all-out flying in the air to avoid Guy's naked form trying to hug him. While he could have let the extremely weird man hug him for 30 minutes and be done with the entire punishment Naruto laid out for him, Kakashi still had some measure of pride in himself, and as a man in not being hugged like that. Unfortunately, even he underestimated Guy's persistence in carrying out his mission. On the last day of dodging the naked man, a picture of a supposedly long-lost Ika Paradise book was being sold, which distracted Kakashi for a solid 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds were all Guy needed to leap onto Kakashi from behind in a massive bear hug from which there was no escape. His screams were heard throughout the village for miles. This incident aside, Naruto's progress with his new reforms got the attention of Iwa and Kumo too, since neither one liked the idea of the Yondame's offspring having the title of Hokage. Both had poor history with the man for one reason or another, and the fact he was also the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was irrelevant. Well, for Kumo it was irrelevant since they didn't see Jinchuriki mindless creatures. Iwa was pissed off and scared all the same. Jinchuriki were seen as weapons of war and had no rights as far as they were concerned. You didn't give a weapon free will to think on who it could and could not fight. As such, Iwa made sure their 2 Jinchuriki were repeatedly disciplined at a young age, told they were weapons of war, had no rights, no real purpose outside of fighting for Iwa, and to have any form of independent thought was treasonous. And naturally, true to their previous actions regarding Konoha, the 2 Kages conspired to take Konoha down. Or rather, attempt to take Naruto down. Something which Naruto knew would most likely happen long before being mentioned offhand somewhere, and had a reformatted spy network cover things for him both inside and outside of the village. And truth be told, the 6th Hokage was no longer surprised by the sheer volume or level of information he obtained from it. As it turned out, Iwa along with Kumo were being secretly helped by a small sect of the civilian and even shinobi within Konoha who hated Naruto. It didn't matter if his father was the former Yondaime Hokage or not. They hated his reforms, his changes to policies, and the fact those who wronged him were punished one way or another further fueled them to secretly commit treason. They had even hired several of Danzo's route that went into hiding. The old Warhawk had not put these men on his secret roster yet due to how recent the time was when entering into its ranks just before his death. They apparently felt they owed Danzo to kill the one who ended his life and destroy the village rather than see their lord's murders have it in his place. Such a spiteful bunch. It didn't take long to round up all the traitors within the village and put them to the sword after revealing their crimes to the masses. He had already sent copies of the proof to the Fire Daimyo to further validate his decision to execute them all before anyone within Konoha became a possible sympathizer and new people with influence who could make some appeal on a guilty person's behalf. As for Iwa and Kumo, they were met with quick but brutal beatdowns by Naruto along with his chosen ANBU squad he assigned himself when reports came in of incursions from both villages. Each time Naruto was on the battlefield, he sent the enemy shinobi back to their villages in pieces with a warning each time with one survivor to tell both Kages to back off or else. They chose or else when both Kages sent their 2 Jinchuriki against Naruto in the hopes the numbers from both Biju from their respected sides would be to their advantage. Only for Iwa to lose both Jinchuriki to Naruto after killing the Iwa NBU with them and the Hokage meeting everyone within a shared mindscape where they could talk without any interruption. After removing the various seals that were on Han and Roshi to ensure they were punished should they possibly step out of line, Naruto took them home back to Konoha. Keeping their status as Jinchuriki a secret, the 6th Hokage merely called them defectors who wished to leave the cruelty of Iwa behind for greener pastures. Naturally, it raised a stink with the Tsuchikage, who demanded the return of his weapons when the daimyos had called for a sit-down to prevent a war from happening. Naruto's diplomatic response was, if you didn't want to lose either one, they shouldn't have been on the front lines. Not to mention how they were treated since birth and how Iwa saw them as things instead of people. Throwing down stolen files and showing just how Iwa treated Jinchuriki since the Showdown Hokage divided up the Biju in order to promote peace. This was, in many ways, Naruto's response to the Tsuchikage as in Uzumaki, which was, in a sense, a big fuck you, with 2 middle fingers to the old man. As for Kumo, he was given his own beatdown, as was Naoyujito when they fought Naruto in battle. When an offer was made to join Konoha, they refused, as the 2 were loyal to their village. Still, the fact Naruto beat both Jinchuriki at their best, and barely looked winded made the Raikage rethink his aggressive strategy aimed at taking down his late rival's son, which was unknowingly the smart move on the Raikage's part since Naruto intended to cripple Ei and Kumo in the event he didn't back off. Not only that, but given how Naruto had the sage's eyes, both the 8 and 2-tailed Biju told their vessels that under no circumstances would they give their power to fight the blonde Hokage. Not just because of Kurama sealed inside of the man, but the eyes were those of their father. To them, it would be as if they were fighting the very man who gave them all life. Not only that, but the 7-tailed Jinchuriki named Fu had found her way into Konoha after running away from Taki. When asked why she came, the green-haired girl told him that Chomai had heard through her bond with the other Biju of your actions. She wanted to be free of the hatred her village had for her and to not be treated like an attack dog for them. In fact, Fu had never set foot in Taki, but was always speaking to a handler, who had sent orders from the Taki Shinobi Council to protect their village or else face the ever-painful consequences. And naturally, such a story pissed Naruto off to no end since it wasn't fair to Fu in the slightest that she had to fight for jerks in a village they wouldn't let her even live in. Naturally, an envoy from Taki came after hearing Fu was there. The man practically that Konoha surrender their weapon immediately, banging his fists on the Hokage's desk, ranting and raving about village security, and the threat of denying aid to Konoha during wartime if they didn't have their property back. How they would do everything in their power to aid Konoha's enemies and see to it the village was burned to the ground with Taki taking everything and anything they want. Naruto's response to the threat. The answer was beating the living shit out of him and send the asshole to Ibiki for answers. As it turned out, the man was part of a group of Taki nin waiting outside of Konoha for him as well as Fu. Once the girl was in their possession, they were to bring her back to Taki, where the Biju would be ripped out and placed in a new Jinchuriki. One where they could remold into being a loyal attack dog and a boundary seal they were working on to keep their Jinchuriki within a certain radius of their village. If the Jinchuriki went past the boundary, the seal would activate, shocking the user, and alert the assigned Taki nins to bring their target back to be punished. To make matters worse, the group of Taki nin intended to take certain liberties with Fu along the way back to their village. If she got pregnant along the way as a result didn't bother them, as none would acknowledge the child. Not only that, but the child might be used anyway as the new Jinchuriki while Fu herself was kept unconscious in a medically induced coma the entire time during the pregnancy. With that in mind, Naruto ordered 2 ANBU squads to find the exact location where the group of Taki nin were located. After they did, the orders were to kill all of them and put all the bodies in a large crate. Once the order was carried out, Naruto had said crate strapped to the back of the Taki nin envoy, and told him to return back to his village with what little dignity he had left while delivering a message to those running Taki. Try this shit again and I'll burn your fucking village to the ground with the giant tree you have being turned into the world's largest pile of ash. I will do what Hashirama did not have the balls to do and what Uchiha Madara could have only dreamed of doing should you so much as even think up a plan like that again. Needless to say, Taki did not complain about the loss of Fu ever again. As for Kiri, they had decided to stay neutral in regards to Konoha since they were still recovering from the past sins of a sharing and influenced Gaara. But Naruto had been able to square away some measure of goodwill toward them by returning Samehada to them as well as letting them know where Kubikirabacho was located in Wave. He only asked that if they took the sword from the grave of Mamachi's Abusa, a suitable and respectful grave marker be put in its place. In addition, he asked that the grave next to Zabuza's not be disturbed under any circumstances. If it was, Naruto made it very clear that Kiri would wish they were still fighting their civil war with Gaara again. Needless to say, Kiri had no intention of provoking the 6th Hokage with a threat like that, and knowing Naruto had the power to back it up. As for Suna, it was on good terms with Naruto. With Gaara being Keisuke, it helped in that regard since both men had mutual respect for one another given what they both went through growing up. Add to the fact that Temari married a certain lazy Nara Shikamaru to further cement their alliance between their two villages. Naruto found it hysterical that Shikamaru's feet were consumed in sand to keep him from running while Naruto himself performed the marriage ceremony. The lazy Nara had gotten the woman pregnant months prior to it and Gaara had demanded that one Nara Shikamaru marry his sister right away when the news reached him about it. The Nara would have tried to flee in terms of taking a long-ass ranked mission, but any attempt was stopped by Naruto, who smirked at the pleading Nara at the time, and Shikamaru's mother Nara Yoshino in the room with them. The strict woman was carrying her ever fear-inducing frying pan of doom before she dragged the pleading lazy bastard out of his office while he left nail marks all along the floor in the process. And yet despite the whole thing being troublesome, Naruto knew that Shikamaru was a happily married man. Sure, he took a few hits to the head via Temari's iron fan, but nothing Shikamaru couldn't take given his track record with his own mother with her frying pan. It was a Nara family tradition for the wife to give their husband the occasional hit to the skull when they were being lazy, or calling their wife troublesome. As for Naruto himself, he had planned to rebuild his clan with the aid of the women in his life who cared about him. Those individuals in his life were Hyuga Hinata, Mitarashi Anko, Shizuka, and his just distant enough cousin Uzumaki Karin. They had found out about Naruto wanting to rebuild the Uzumaki clan and decided they would help him in that regard. It was the least they could do for him outside of their own love for the blonde Uzumaki considering he had helped them out on multiple levels. Even now, Hinata was expected to give birth soon to their son Boruto. She was going through the painful contractions, crying out in pain, trying to crush Naruto's hand with her now suddenly obtained super strength granted to her from the pain. You did this to me. Suffer, suffer as I suffer, yelled Hinata while she kept trying to crush his hand and her eyes were blazing with fury. Only Naruto wasn't feeling any of the pain. How is this possible? The answer lay in the fuinjutsu he put on his hand. Hinata was currently squeezing in a bone-crushing grip. The seal he put on it would transfer the pain to someone else who unknowingly had a seal on their hand. As to the unsuspecting person Why am I feeling so much pain? Yelled Shikamaru while gripping his hand and rolling around on the floor. Serves the lazy bum right. He actually tried to get a long-term mission around the time I was going into labor with our child. Crushing his hand during the contractions was too merciful. This is so much better to watch and see from this perspective, thought Temari with a smirk while feeding their child and seeing her husband suffer. Naruto had secretly put the seal on Shikamaru after the man had fainted from the pain he got from holding Temari's hand during her pregnancy. It wasn't hard to convince her to let him do it in secret given Suna woman's hormonally imbalanced state when giving birth. The angry woman demanded the lazy bum suffer long after she had brought their child into the world, and Naruto's proposition fit in perfectly with her form of revenge. Why aren't you helping me? It hurts, yelled Shikamaru while Temari just watched Shikamaru rolling around in the ground in the pain while their child laughed at the man's suffering. Back with Naruto. I am not giving you another child after this. Never, yelled Hinata while she glared at Naruto while he looked completely calm despite the vice grip his wife had on his hand currently turning purple from the strength applied to it. They say that now, but later will come the apologies, kissing, groping, and apology sex that comes with it, thought Naruto from his past experience with Anko, Shizuka, and Karin with their pregnancies. Naruto was actually surprised Shikamaru didn't realize what was wrong with his hand or suspected what was wrong had been done by him. Then again, the man was dealing with his own wife, their child, Gaara as a brother-in-law, and the overwhelming pain the seal on Shikamaru's hand sent when Naruto's wives tried to hurt their husband when in labor. Oh well, best not to think of it. After all, why make the Nara suspicious? Finn. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.